not reading a map. That's looking at the world.
Oh my God, Hunter,
putting
please,
words on it.
please.
That's writing
Hunter,
a map.
I need you to concentrate. Hold on, Hunter. I need you to focus here for a second, okay? Right? That is a level of comprehension. Call it whatever you want, Hunter, so that you don't spaz out on me. But it's about a comprehension. So whether you can identify countries, right? Like in relation to others, right? Like, hey, like the thing am I showing you? Is that
we're
Europe,
gonna do terrible,
right?
at
Or is it Australia? And then understanding like what those countries are in relation to us, in relation to the America.
Yeah.
Right? It's another
writing a map. I think we're gonna do a bad job. But you know what? Me and Gibbs know. This is the one thing we're gonna be united on, is that we're the United States of America.
That's right, America.
And that's it. That's all we fucking need.
That part's true.
Right.
Can either of you locate all 50 states across the
I have
United States
before.
map?
I did do it.
Have before, like in
Stop saying
elementary school?
read. I'm writing.
Yeah,
I'm
I did it in
writing
fucking college.
You're
I
saying
said
that
identify.
with a blank
At
eye.
one point,
I said
at one
identify.
point, I knew all the countries in Africa and the capitals. But now,
Hold
I
on.
don't know
If I could I identify all 50 states if I look at a map of the
If I
United
gave you a
States?
blank United States map,
Well, so
okay,
there you
with
throw
a
it
state
in. You
outline.
throw in the blank.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
if I got
I
a
could
map of the
probably get
United
pretty
States, I think I
close.
could probably identify them.
No,
It's got
no.
the name on
I'm
it written right there.
Yeah, that's not the hypothetical. I understand. It's difficult for you
Could I
to
do all 50
engage in
states?
hypotheticals.
I could probably do all 50 states.
Okay, you want to test it on? We can go do it on stream. Me and you, one-on-one, blank United States map.
Oh, you think you could do better than me?
Probably.
I
What?
played enough Paradox games where I could beat you guys in Europe for sure. I know all the.
Oh,
countries
well,
in
that
Europe.
wasn't
don't
the
think you-
question.
No, I don't think you could beat me either.
In Europe.
I
You wanna
agree.
go-
I play a lot of.
I agree. You
I
could do
play a
better
lot of
in
that
Europe.
supremacy.
I'm on. I play a lot of.
states down.
I play a lot of like Victoria and like Europa Universal. I'm pretty good at geography when it comes to countries.
So, are you going to accept the challenge?
Sure.
I could
I don't know
probably
I don't know how we're gonna do it, but I mean, if you have, like, a good way of
100.
doing
I
it.
could probably 100% United States.
Well,
I could probably do 100% US too. The East Coast gets a little bit.
Have you ever lived here,
Yeah,
Lactoid?
North.
Because you're Canadian, right?
Where's
No.
North Dakota?
True.
He absolutely is.
Hunter, are you actually asking if I'm Canadian?
Aren't you?
Oh God.
Yeah, he's absolutely Canadian.
This is the danger of misinformation, guys. You know what happens, right?
He's
What are you talking about? What
Canadian.
misinformation?
Of course.
He's a crypto Canadian. He hides undercover the entire time. He makes misleading statements about where he actually came from. He's been sent here to undermine America, which is
believe
why he became a
Yes.
libertarian. We got
Canada's
to
great
dismantle the federal government, guys. It's for your own good. Yeah. Hold on. Which one here is more American? I support my government. You want to dismantle it, Lactoid.
True,
What?
and replace it with the Russian government.
Hold on.
So-
You don't support this government. You want it to be supplanted by a socialist government.
Yeah,
Um,
I support the Kremlin. You support Hamas.
I'm the only one who
Power.
supports the government. Actually, Gibbs is the only one who supports the government.
Well,
I
Wow.
support the
Like this current instantiation of the government.
I support the freedom of the government. I
support
want
what's
to
best
feel
for
of my people. But just like everyone does, right? And if Obama was still in office, Gibbs would say he supports the framework of America, but he wants to fill it with his people, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That's what we have elections.
Obama was doing some pretty base things in the Middle East. It's just saying, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we're
And he's
just,
doing some pretty interesting things with the border as well. Just saying. Might be surprised. Clash for Clunkers wasn't terrible either.
yeah. Sorry.
Wait a minute, that was
Lactoid-
Obama?
Cash for Clunkers?
I
Yeah.
know he did
That
the
was-
phones, but I didn't know he did that.
Yeah,
He did Cash
was
for Clunkers.
Obama.
Yeah, that was under his
Wow. Huh. The more you know.
Yeah. It's
What do
crazy.
you think of
Gibbs
that,
actually does know
Lactoid?
some history now and again.
Well, I didn't.
Yeah,
I was
Lactoid.
ambivalent before, but then I learned Obama did it. I'm really opposed. Really bad policy. Very bad, I would say.
Valid.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's the best policy.
Yeah.
That's his Obama.
I can't.
Ba-ba. Okay. So We are still. Yeah, I just double checked because I don't want to give out bad information. It says the car allowance rebate system, known as Cash for Clunkers, was a $3 billion 2009 U.S. federal program that gave consumers $3,500 to $4,500 to trade in older, fuel inefficient cars for new, more efficient ones. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we're still waiting on a few others. Hopefully they'll be here soon. And then, of course,
Good one.
Ali. Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Ali is here in under a half hour. What?
What's
Oh my God.
good? Listen, we got off work a little early today. What's going
All right.
on?
We love to
How's
see
it
it.
going,
Glad
bro?
to have you here.
Chilling.
Okay.
Hunter, that camera, insane.
Oh, see, I'm not the only
brother.
one, right?
Yeah,
Insane,
yeah. We
brother.
were saying.
I put.
I
I don't know what happened. I don't
put a-
think I did anything.
Listen, I put a little ND filter in front of my E-meet. This shit changed my entire world.
I
But
don't know
that
what I
camera
did.
that you got
I'm
is
like,
spectacular,
I'm worried it's gonna
brother.
go back to the previous quality before.
And then we'll be
No,
disappointed and we'll laugh at you.
Yeah. Shit.
Also, that "What is a Woman" video on TikTok.
Thank you.
Great one.
I saw that
Great one.
message. I didn't respond though.
Yeah. Fuck my algorithm. Now I'm gonna get Lily Trino all over my fucking algorithm. Fuck.
You're allowed
you.
to post
But-
about that on TikTok without getting banned.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently they've changed their rules since I've stopped posting, so now I can maybe get back to it. Because I used to get
It was all
like none of my
he was
videos
too
would
edgy.
go. Yeah, none of my videos would go. I'd get banned off live every 3 lives. Like it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's pretty easy to get banned. Like you have to say unalive and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
there's.
As far as I feel like I have a different experience with TikTok than every other person because that's always been like a cult myth that you have to say unalive instead of kill. You could totally say kill the entire time.
I mean, listen.
No. It wasn't kill. It was suicide.
Yeah, you couldn't say suicide.
Sure. I've never had any issue posting any video with saying the word kill or genocide or suicide or
Yeah,
I think
What are
this
the
is-
other
this
words
is-
that
it
you
was
can't-
funky
This
for a
is
while.
probably an Israeli plot by Mossad to get us all banned right here. Right? What do you
Yeah.
say?
True, fueling the
Uh-huh.
conspiracy theories.
Mhm.
Okay. Hey. Looks like we're all here. We could go on a rant, a side project, but last time we did not get to the subject, and it made a friend, Hunter, quite sad.
I was a little
Um,
tilted.
Yeah. So I
hope
do
that's
want
okay.
to. That's okay. Hey, it's okay to feel emotions here. All right. This is a safe
Really?
space. Yeah. So
I think me and Hunter
like,
clearly won. I think pretty directly last time.
I think we're
Sorry.
going to win.
I don't think
I'm
you guys
excited
won
for the
at all.
lactoid.
I'm still
Sorry.
confused at
What the
what
fuck
your
did you win?
guys' prescription is. I'm very
I,
confused.
I,
as to what your
I,
guys'
you know, whatever it
prescription
was,
from last time.
it was one.
You guys had no prescription.
Okay.
It was just mumbo jumbo.
Look, I'm the doctor. I
Mumbo
bring
jumbo in
the
the
prescriptions. Okay?
ether.
I don't know what you're talking about. I fucking we laid it
Hell
down.
yes.
We wrote
You
You should tell that to women.
script.
I'm
get
the
sued,
doc.
you get sued enough. You're a bad doctor. You get sued a lot
We
for
wrote the
malpractice. I can tell.
script.
The way you do hypotheticals and the way you come out with
Bro,
prescriptions.
I'll
is
sue
just
myself and then defend myself, make
atrocious.
money off it. What are you gonna do? Huh?
Well,
You
Great
should
move.
tell that to women, Later. They call me
Definitely a
the
better
doctor.
lawyer than a doctor.
because it's Monday night.
I got a prescription for loving.
Yo, Grid. Yo.
Grid, mute yourself, bud.
Yeah, mute yourself, friend.
You probably can't hear, I imagine.
No,
Yeah, no, he can hear. He can hear.
No, he can
Alright.
hear if he. Yeah.
So why don't we get started and we'll see where things take us. But thanks for being here. If you're here, follow the channel. I haven't done so already. On all our platforms, YouTube, Kick, and Twitch. Follow the channel, support the channel, subs the channel, resubs the channel, all that good stuff. Okay, and let's get started. All right, the topic. The Senate just passed the 21st Century Road to Housing Act with strong bipartisan support. The bill will create grants to fund housing construction, remove zoning and permit barriers, and more crucially, limit private equity's ability to buy up housing stock. This would have wide sweeping effects on America's housing market during a time of high unaffordability. Do you support this bill being signed into law? Do you think this bill goes far enough? If you're against this law, what solutions would you put forth to address the housing crisis? Trump also signed 2 executive orders on Friday, like 2 Fridays ago or whatever, to tackle the housing issue. Do you support this multi-pronged approach to get Americans into homes? This bill got not passed. It got through the Senate, but it's on its way. We got buy-in from both sides, and there's a housing a House version, right? House Representatives version, that's supposed to be weaker than this. I'm not exactly sure what provisions are like different, but it's these bills are going to go into like reconciliation, and we'll see how that turns out. Like what survives that process. But I've heard that the Senate bill, like, it's a good chance that many of those provisions will make it out. We'll see. Some of these parts might be a little bit controversial, especially the private equity portion. And I'd really like to focus on that. But yeah, I'm curious what you all have to say. We'll go around the room. Start with our friend Lactoid.
Yeah, I'm Lactoid. I have Lactoid TV, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Generally opposed, obviously, to the grants, government money, bad. Generally a good, yay, taking away, restrictions, regulations, all that good stuff. The zoning and permit barriers, I'm actually pretty in favor of that. I think that zoning should be replaced with HOAs, which will solve all the problems. Wonderful, beautiful HOAs, and remove all zoning and just have like factory HOAs and stuff too. That'd be fucking hell yeah. I'm a fan of that. I think really the thing that maybe I'm wrong, because you never know how this goes. Maybe the thing we're going to run into a roadblock here and litigate is, I think the big thing, which is institutional buyers of single family households. People have been talking about this. This was actually something that is sort of almost agreed upon by both sides of the aisle. Like, there's a strange level of bipartisan agreement here. I just don't think this is a thing, really. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, institutional buyers of single home houses is what, less than 1%. I mean, we're talking a tiny fraction. The idea that this is what's responsible for housing costs, I think, is myopic. It just doesn't seem to be backed by the data. And I think that this is a little bit more of a, I think the fact that it's such a small deal is, to me, makes it feel a little bit more like a political baton than anything else, which, hey, look, we're doing something, focus on this. Yes. Look, we're going to stop the big investors from buying your house. And then they're going to pepper social media with all sorts of anecdotal examples of this happening. But again, I really think this is a distraction. So that's my take.
Thank you so much, friend. Let's go to our friend Corey.
There's definitely a lot of the points that I agree with Lactoid, in terms of, let's say a little bit of a deregulation, modifying zoning laws and all that stuff. And I also take the point and agree overall, from what I can tell, of like this aspect of private equity and then buying up housing. That doesn't seem to be like a major problem, or pretty much represents a very tiny fraction in terms of like the amount of home ownership by private equity. Like, from what I can tell from the data, the vast majority of homes are owned by individuals or families and not private equity, as Lactoid pointed out. Where I deviate from Lactoid is like, with the grants and all that stuff. But also, at the end of the day, like, what matters, at least for me, when it comes to legislation or policy, is like, well, is it actually effective? So if at the end of the day, okay, I'm more than happy to, let's say, support this, see how it plays out. If it actually, let's say, in 3 to 5 years from now, it doesn't actually end up addressing affordability, then probably something should change. But as of now, I think there's a good experiment to run to see how it works out. Then hopefully we can actually have data and track things and see whether we're going in the right direction, or rather whether the United States is going in the right direction or wrong direction. And I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you so much. Let's go to our friend Hunter.
Yeah, so housing is one of those things in America that is one of the most studied and most well-known phenomena in politics. It's super easy to understand what the issue is, which is largely zoning regulations. It's preventing housing supply from being built. My main issue with this piece of legislation, Lactoid mentioned it. I don't think that there's anything in here about zoning regulations or about things like transfer taxes or building codes that actually prevent cities from blocking construction. So when it comes to the Housing Affordability Act, I don't think that this is going to do much, if anything, at all. I'm all for grants if they're used in very narrow, specific ways. I mean, grants are good when they're good and they're bad when they're bad. And to me, there's some competitive grants in this analysis. In this bill, there's competitive grants that let people experiment with different types of housing policies, but this kind of feels a little foolhardy considering we kind of know the types of housing policies that work and don't work because we've had 200 cities in the United States already experiment to begin with. My big issue, largely speaking, is this obsession with big institutional investors, and that's hopefully where me and Lactoid are going to agree, that it's specifically Title IX of the Road to Housing. It says something like housing is for corporations, not people. This is like we're running out of food in America and we're saying we need to ban McDonald's. It's like, if anything, they're going to be helping this situation. Why are we banning corporations? They make up less than 1%. It doesn't make any financial situation. It's this complete myth that BlackRock is buying up properties and then holding onto facilities, and that's what's limiting supply. What's limiting supply is city council meetings that prevent housing from getting built. But that's all. I hope that we can have a substantive debate on this. We'll see what we can do.
We'll see what we can do. Let's go to thank you for that. Let's go to our friend Ali.
Yeah, I don't really understand legislation much. I'm not gonna lie. Reading this doesn't make sense. However, when I hear talks about housing, I like Hunter. You keep talking about zoning and all that. I never see that as the issue. I see the issue that there are multiple people who own apartments and apartments and houses that are putting them up for rent, and they make all this money off of their rents, but then they keep jacking up the rent, but they never fix the houses. And then when they finally get caught, when it catches up to them, they can't fix it. So on and so forth. It's like that. Then the zoning becomes the issue and the legislation becomes the issue. I don't know. It just seems like people are making hand over fist when it comes to the like rental properties, and when it comes to like BlackRock is owning everything. I think people feel that they can't afford a house, they have to rent, right? So it's not necessarily that BlackRock owns everything, and it's not like huge, but there's a lot of people who have enough money to buy multiple houses to put them up for rent, or the people that own the apartment complexes, or the companies that own these are the people that they have to resort to every single time. So it does feel that regardless, if you're saying 1% of people own 1% of companies own the property, or they own 1% of the property. Sorry. It doesn't feel that way for most of the people, considering that most of the people are renting. And who are they renting from? They're renting from like the owner who's making money off them. So it just feels like a company or a business it's just a business that they're functioning for. So I actually, we can talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to our friend Gibbs.
Well, first, before we begin getting into this, I have some announcements to make because, why not use our intro as promo time? Papa Gibbs now monetized all across YouTube. Pretty excited about that, so go check that out, guys. Secondly, we are having our second best month of all time this month so far. We reached our goal. We are now going to be marathoning, so for the rest, probably several days. So I'm going to be bringing a bed in here at some point tonight. We'll be doing the whole sleep good jazz and all that fun stuff. So you're ready for the old school Gibbs Marathon. Tune in. As for the Housing Act, I like deregulation. That's great. I don't necessarily like that they're trying to get private equity out, though, because fuck them. Corporations are good. We like that thing. See, Hunter and I agree on something. We like corporations.
What is
you agree by default?
People.
You agree by default.
Our corporations are.
This is the first time we've ever agreed. Fuck you.
This is not. We've agreed several other times. This is the main one, though. But yeah, corporations are people. I'm excited to try to convert him via capitalism to our side. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this bill. HOAs suck dick. If you live somewhere where there's an HOA, they're the worst thing in the world. I hate them, and I hate you if you like them. Let's see. What else? What else we got? Oh yeah, I'm pretty excited to get into it. I had to go do a deep dive on this and find out what the difference was because I didn't know as much as I thought I did about this, which is not that surprising because whatever, it's not even out yet. But hey, let's keep going. I'm excited. Red, I'm ready to hear you.
All right. Well, give me 1 second, guys. I just had to I had to take a phone call there. I apologize. I hate doing that, but
Not a
had to be done.
You're good, man.
All right. I'm actually one of those evil landlords, right? Like I mean, I have a real estate trust that owns a bunch of properties in Columbus, Ohio. We're looking at buying properties in San Antonio. We're looking in various other cities across the country. The reality is to be honest with you, the law that was passed doesn't really do anything for people like me at all. Doesn't stop a single thing that I do. None of the things that Ollie talked about, this law will help at all. None of zero, absolutely zero. As a landowner, as a property owner, I'm not a slumlord. So like all of the properties I have, I keep in very good condition and I constantly improve them because that's how the value goes up. If they become piles of shit, nobody wants to live there. First of all, rents go down. I hate it when the rent goes down. I want to charge the most possible rent that I can. And second, if I do need to sell that property, I need to get some money, right? Like I'm greedy. I'm greedy. I'm just gonna be honest about it. We're all greedy. We need to be honest about our greed. And so I want the most amount of money possible for that asset when I go to get rid of it. No matter how much it's paid me out, I still want more. I still want all of the money. But the actual law only affects people who have over 1,000 properties. Now, the interesting part of this is that I can have a corporation that has 1,000 properties, and I can have a second corporation that has 1,000 properties, and I can do that as many times as I need to. And this law would not affect me, not one little bit. Anybody that thinks that you can legislate any kind of morality is in fucking dreamland. So that's first thing. So let's not even talk morality here. Like you guys are insane if you want to talk about the morality of being a slumlord. What we could talk about is, well, how does it negatively affect property values? Well, it can, but it can also, but it's not negatively affecting it in the way that you think. In general, slumlords drive property value down, and that way it makes it easy for people to buy cheap houses because nobody wants to live in their neighborhood with a bunch of fucking slumlords. They just don't want to live there. So, but now in my case, I bring the property value in my area up because I improve my houses. I make sure they're painted. I charge maximum amount of rent for it. And I actually, my goal is to, when I sell a property, I need to make, I basically need to, I want to clear a little over $100,000 per property, period, like minimum, like absolute minimum. So if I have $60,000 into the house where I paid, with the down payment and any remodeling costs and what it costs me to rent it, make sure that my rent covers the mortgage on the property. This is very simple math. And then as soon as that property accumulates to where I double my money, I consider selling it. Right. So if it's make $120,000 or so, that's fine. But more than likely, I'm just going to keep it and watch that ticker go up. And again, I increase the property value in my areas, which is why everybody hates me. Now, people don't hate me because I'm a slumlord. People hate me because I take a $100,000 house, and because I put money into it, and because I add value to it, it becomes a $400,000 house. And now your dumb ass can't afford it, and that's not my fucking problem. Just don't be poor. That's it.
Okay, I just want to clarify something quickly. So, Grid, based off what you said, well, you can't legislate morality. So I assume you want to get rid of laws against murder, then, right?
I'm sorry.
As in, you said you can't legislate against morality. So I assume you want to get rid of murder laws, correct?
Abortion is already legal.
I'm sorry, Lactoid got me there. How does a murder law legislate morality? when you're allowing abortion. How is that even fucking close? You dumb fuck.
That doesn't
You
answer
You
my
dumb
question.
idiot.
That doesn't
Seriously,
answer my
that's the
question.
fucking dumbest thing you've ever said. You said some dumb
And
shit.
we're off to the races,
That
boys.
was the
That
dumbest
doesn't answer my
motherfucking
question.
thing I've ever heard said
doesn't answer
on
my
this
question.
panel. And
That
I've
doesn't
heard a lot.
answer-
You
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to tell me
sure.
murder has legislating
Oh,
murder is
keep
not
ranting.
morality. There's no morality to it. What moral does it encompass?
So an unjustified killing is not morality for you.
Well, it may be justified in my eyes.
Okay.
Okay.
What? This is okay. Wait, hold on. You said
All right.
we can't legislate morality.
If there's more murder
You
around
simply
the houses,
can't do it, you dumb fuck.
the
Shut
private
up.
price
Stop,
goes down.
stop talking.
Okay, my bad.
Now Lactoid's the one talking. Yeah,
Okay,
Lactoid,
wait,
I'm
shut
just
up.
saying.
No,
I'm just saying.
no. So Lacto, you agree with this, right? As in, like,
yeah.
if we get
If
rid
we more murder, then the housing prices go down,
and that
then
has
we
nothing to do with morality.
solve
right? As in-
affordable housing.
exactly. So you also want to get rid of murder laws, right? Or laws against murder, right?
Vagrancy
Hold on.
laws, anything that can make houses cheaper, I'm in favor of.
Okay, good, gotcha.
Okay.
I know there's a reason why he will never
obviously,
say
when
his
we
name.
say we shouldn't legislate morality, what we really mean is that when we
Well, you
legislate,
can't.
no, not that we
No,
can't.
I'm just saying. I'm just
Well, he
repeating
said
what,
that's what
You
he said.
can't. You
Yeah.
can't
Let's say
legislate
you
morality.
You can't
Yeah.
legislate morality. What you
Yeah.
mean is that you can't do it on the front end, in that you can't just write into laws what you specifically want the world to do. Because obviously you can, I mean, we saw this during Prohibition. You ban alcohol, it can lead to events where there's actually more alcohol than before. And it's just harder to regulate. But obviously, whenever you're writing legislation, you're making normative claims about what you want the society to look like, which is, in a sense, morality.
That's the dumbest thing ever, Hunter.
Wait, hold on. How is it in a sense morality? What are you appealing to? Because if I say that it's not moral, what argument do you have against it?
I would say wait, hold on. Any piece of legislation is a normative claim. We're saying we ought.
Well, a normative claim is not morality. That's just us agreeing that this is how it ought be, how it should be. But it doesn't.
How else can you derive should but from morality?
Here, let me help. Okay, because I think I know what's happening here.
Okay.
Grid is saying that when it comes to housing or any other like technical like market situation, we should be driven
That's
by.
morality to you?
Hold on, I'm not saying that's morality.
Oh,
I'm saying when it comes to these situations, we should be driven by like numbers and stats and like what actually works to achieve XYZ outcome, as opposed to perhaps what some people are like the micro morality of the situation, right?
I
Like,
understand.
this particular landlord rose my rent. That's immoral. Well, no, like
We should be-
I don't think
totally.
I don't think he's opposed to macro
I think that's
morality. I
silly.
think the question is here is, there's a lot of housing policies
you
to be driven by like micro
against
morality.
morality.
I
You
understand.
can't legislate people to be moral. You cannot legislate morality.
Okay,
You
so-
can
Wait,
take a
wait.
moral and say this is
So you would agree, Lactoid, that murder laws have no effect on the murder rate, right?
Yes.
Come on.
Murder should
Hold
be
on.
illegal.
This is
It-
so.
it-
No, no,
I am
wait,
fine.
No.
I am fine with
you
legislating
can't.
morality.
No. I'm
Corey.
gonna steal.
I am fine with legislating
You
morality.
can't.
I'm trying.
Who says
I'm
you
trying.
can't? What claim are you going to make? That
I'm
you
trying.
can-
I'm
Trying to
trying
build
to
a
help.
bridge.
You
I'm
have
trying
no
to help
ground to
because I understand.
Why are we
the-
mad at Lactoid right now?
No. You're
because
just
I'm-
aligned
I'm-
with Grid.
I'm
You're
just
gonna.
I'm just no.
You're
I'm
just going to
try-
be.
No, I'm trying to
sympathetic to him no matter
explain the
what.
situation because
No.
I think I see what's happening, and I think you're like let's bear with me for a second.
You should take one
So
of those
you would-
flags and make them a cape, Lactoid.
You would agree. Oh yeah. You would agree that when it comes to like a technical situation, like let's say we're talking about I don't know, like nuclear engineering or something along these lines. Like it's important to look at yes, the overall impact in the macro is going to have moral implications that we should care about, but like we shouldn't get all up in our feelings about any single case or like any individual
Obviously.
circumstance. And I think this is when it comes to housing as well, because when you look at, I think a lot of housing policy, it's driven by, rent control, right? Where just
Yeah.
objectively, this is horrible economically, but hey, don't raise my fucking rent. Or that's kind of similar a little bit to like NIMBYism, right? Where it's like, yes, building more housing is good, but not in my backyard. Fuck that. And so that's what I think is the thing that I think,
Okay.
Grid, you
That's
can correct
what you
me.
think. Okay.
Grid,
okay.
is that what you meant when you said you can't legislate
So
morality?
I will grant that. I will grant that. So then, but now
Wait,
what on here?
Corey, let's
if-
listen.
Well, I mean, look, we can talk about.
Grid. So then, Grid, can you summarize Lactoid's point for me?
Well, what Lactoid's
He's
really
backing you
talking
up.
about are ethics, right? Which are different than morals.
Oh my god.
This is definitely paraphrasing.
We're
Black
so
George Floyd.
fucking
Yes.
in the weeds. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not the one that brought morality into this, except
You-
other than saying that you
What?
can't
That was
legislate it.
literally in your opening
You can't
statement.
legislate
Like,
people to
whatever.
be good.
Explain
You
the
can't
difference between
legislate
ethics and
people to be
morality.
good. You can't legislate people to not take advantage of what's in front of them. If you pass a law that says I can't do this, I will figure out a way around it. That's what human beings do is we solve
Oh my
problems.
God, that's the dumbest fucking shit I've ever heard in my life. There are
Hell
obviously
yeah! Now,
ways
two
we
of the
can-
dumbest things have ever been
we
said.
can
Yeah,
minimize.
I can say dumb shit.
We can
help me out here.
minimize that. We can minimize the ways that people go around laws. That's like, are you
You
saying
can?
laws are futile? Futile?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to.
So did
pronounce
Grid
that word.
just echo your point, Lactoid? Did you hear those same words that you just
That's
said?
why we should let corporations do whatever they want.
I did not hear my point echoed.
Okay. So he's not saying what you're saying. He
I
can't even
think
articulate your
that's
own
what he
point.
means. I'm trying to be charitable here.
Well,
I think that's
I
what he
just
means.
asked
I know I'm.
He doesn't even understand your own point. Okay, I understand you're trying to pretty much.
Sorry,
be
I'm
sympathetic
with
to him.
I'm
and
with
make
you.
him
I'm
Going
on
being
your side.
charitable. I'm being charitable. That's
Well,
what
you don't
I'm
need to
doing.
be
You're not.
charitable. Look,
Yes, I
I'm just
am.
saying that you don't have to be though.
Not with this guy. What are you fucking talking about? That laws don't affect the way that we handle our do you feel like laws are futile? I guess my question is.
Yeah.
I think that laws are necessary. However, but
Why?
Hold on.
But they don't affect any human behavior. You just pretty much said that.
You're talking about two different things.
Okay.
If you're saying that morality is the guiding force behind laws, I'm going to disagree with you because it may not be my morals. So you can't legislate those morals. You can say ethically this is what we should do. We could say that.
Walk me through the difference between ethics and morals.
Well, ethics are based on logic and reason, and you can argue back and forth as to what they are. Morality comes from God. Morality comes from my belief in myself, and you can't legislate that. You can say that ethically
That's
this
his
is
point, right, Lacto?
unethical.
You agree
this
with
is
that
an
point, right?
unethical thing, right? This is unethical to do this, and I can disagree that. No, I think that's absolutely ethical, right?
But wait, hold on. This is stupid for like 1,000
I think we should move on.
What?
This is
Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead. I don't mind arguing. I like arguing.
Okay. You can only
I think we all
derive.
probably do.
You can't logically argue for ethics without an ought statement. This is what Hume proved, that like there's an is-ought distinction. You have to
Sure.
come
Oh,
at
it's not. Nothing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
if you want to argue any normative claims, they have to come from an ought statement. They have to come from some sort of normative claim.
Sure, but if you make an ought statement that says that you ought not kill someone, right?
Okay.
Okay. And I say I disagree with that. I think that person absolutely ought be killed.
Okay.
What makes your morality better than my morality?
I don't
Hold
even
on.
know how to handle this.
Hold
What the
on,
hell
wait,
are we talking
Wait.
about?
You have
This
more
is
guns. Claims
So
is going to
that's-
be
Yeah, I have more
the
guns,
So-
right?
so-
That's
so-
how.
so-
That,
wait, wait.
preference.
But that's actually not morality.
No, but it's enforcement
That's
of.
peace through superior firepower.
But you would agree it is enforcement of, right? Like,
It is enforcement of, sure.
yeah, right.
But again, you can't. You guys run from this all the time. You keep saying morals, and morals come from a belief in God or a higher power, something beyond yourself that you can appeal to. That I can't simply say, "Well, I disagree with that, and this is why."
Not if it's preference.
Sorry.
Because I think the line you're going down is like it's all preference, right? It's my
Yeah, it's all your
preference
preference.
is
Your
this,
preference is not to
that.
kill this guy. My preference
Yeah.
is this guy should be tomato paste right
no,
now.
but if you argue this guy should be tomato paste, I can keep asking why, and at some point I'm going to
Yeah.
get to an axiom of a normative claim. I'm going to get to some.
Why I just
aspect
don't
of your
like his
morality.
face.
Well,
How
for
about
him,
that?
For him, it's divine
my
So
commandment.
then, so then to
It's
you,
my preference. I just don't like his face.
No. For him, it's divine
No,
commandment.
we haven't all agreed
It's just
upon
because
that
God says
preference.
so.
Yeah,
is
but
gonna be
you're
the-
saying-
is
you're
the
saying
ultimate
ethically, I
breakdown, is
don't
what you
have
can
to get
convince
this from
people.
divination.
And ultimately, this argument breaks down to what can you convince people to agree to, right? Because as a society, we agreed that like murder, bad, whatever, it was downstream of morals, sure. But that's kind of what like you're getting to, Grid, right? Is that at the end of the day, it's all preference, and if can you legislate your preference, right? That's what it feels like because I've heard this, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've agreed right now that the murder bad, that if you kill someone, and if you kill someone just because you
I don't think we do agree about that because we kill people all the time and don't call it murder.
What?
We just dropped a bunch of bombs on Iran. Do you think people died in that?
I'm sorry. It broke up for me. What did you say?
Jesus Christ.
We literally just killed a bunch of people in Iran. Do you think that's murder?
Do I think it's murder? I mean,
Ollie's maybe the wrong person to ask.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say yeah for sure.
No,
I mean, like,
Ollie's the exact right person to ask.
But I think, but here's the thing, right? You'll do that. Like, you'll say that you don't agree that it's murder, or do you agree that it's murder?
I'm on the fence because I honestly don't believe that they necessarily needed to be killed, but then again, maybe they did. I haven't heard a case for all.
So it's gonna be like, yeah, well, I think they were murdered, but then I also think that like that would be terrorism too, right? Like just bombing cities in other countries. Like we don't agree.
It's a good argument
like,
to have.
The people in power, however, the people in power get to make those decisions, and we don't necessarily have choice in that.
Right.
So like that.
Nobody asked my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Nobody came in and said, "Hey, dude, what do you think?" And I would have said, "Yeah, I don't know. Let's give him a pass."
Exactly. So we don't really get it. We don't really get a choice, even if we do think it's murder. We don't get to have our preference be legislated in that regard. But that's kind of what you're saying. It's broken down into like right now we kind of agreed to these set of laws. At least like you're born here, you're not leaving, right? You by choice are choosing to live under these laws. And at the end of the day, those were someone's preference. Yeah, someone's preference one is what it is.
Yeah, someone with the most guns preference one, but that's the
exactly.
I think there's a lot of people who don't like choose to continue living in America. That's a little more complicated, right? I'm not sure people can just get up and go to a different country. It's usually a little bit more involved.
I mean,
seems
depends on how hard you're trying. You can leave America if you needed to.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm confused at
I'm
what
gonna
you're getting at.
I'm gonna.
No,
I'm just
okay.
Are expatriates not a thing? Like I'm confused at what you're getting at.
No, that some people
I'm
would prefer to
repudiating
leave,
this
but choose
idea.
not to.
Yes,
Or could not to.
I'm disagreeing with the general claim that by choosing to stay in America, you thus consent or agree to the way that it's run or any of the other laws thereof. I don't disagree that you can legislate morality, just to be clear. Obviously,
that's just because you're a libertarian and you have to make the argument.
I think everybody. I think everybody agrees that you can't just get up and go to a different country. It's not so easy, right? Like,
I mean, once again, just get up and go. No, if we resort to like I'm gonna move tomorrow, no. But like if you don't want to live here, if you're
wealthy enough,
or the legislature, you don't have to be that wealthy.
You don't have to be that wealthy to get up and go to another country.
Once again,
well, technically,
but you can plan for it over like the course of 3 to 5 years, and you'd be able to get out just fine.
Or you can just walk. You can just walk like a hobo back in the day.
And go to another country of which you fully consent and agree to all the laws, because there are so many of those around.
Do you have to read the fine
maybe
print?
You consent to agree with more. Yes, 100%. You may agree with other countries' laws more. Yes.
More, you might agree with them more, but you would agree that
you're not going to get your perfect country.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
so you would agree that like I can't go anywhere and avoid taxation, so I don't agree to taxation at all.
You can.
Which country?
Go to Dubai right now. Go to Monaco.
I don't
tomorrow.
think
you're a lawyer. You should be able to make enough money to
Monaco.
move any
No, I can't fucking move to Monaco.
Why?
What are you? It's expensive as fuck to move to Monaco,
so
and
the
immigration is hard. And
it will cost a lot of money to ship his motorcycle.
So yeah, stop being poor, make more money, get out of your taxes.
There we are.
Best point made thus far.
It's a skill issue.
Yeah.
There we are.
You're a lawyer. You can make more money. No.
Ultimately,
I'm being so serious.
I love it. Ultimately, the left wing argument shifts to the right wing. Love it or leave it. Stop being poor.
I've always said the best way to debate you is to get to the right of you, and if you get to the right of you, you're in gold.
Look, if that's where we want to ground ourselves, sure.
It wouldn't cost him a lot to ship his motorcycle.
I think Grid has enough money to where if he wants to leave, he can leave.
Grid probably does, yeah.
And so he's choosing.
I own houses in China.
Yeah, see, but he's choosing to live here.
Oh yeah.
He's okay with what we've agreed
he should move to a
upon.
more free country like China.
Yeah.
No. I mean, once again, just like when you have money, everywhere is free.
You know, that's a solid point, Ollie. That there is. I listened to this guy's speech the other night about how traffic laws in California are ridiculous because they're not enforced on poor people like ever, but they are enforced on people that can actually pay the fines and everything. It's like but the laws truly don't apply to the rich people because they just pay the fine and keep going. Like they don't give a fuck, right? They just keep growing. And so the people in the middle that appear wealthy but actually aren't, they get fucked.
If you're rich, bankruptcy is the flex, not a bad position.
One of the things they do, this is one of the few things that I sort of agree with that they do in Sweden, but sort of, but not really, is fines are as a percentage of your income. So, like if you're rich and you get a ticket, it's like an obscene amount of money, because the expectation is it's actually like it's supposed to be
Based.
a deterrent. Now, the problem I have with it is, on one hand, I like the idea of like no matter what, like this is a punishment for you. You shouldn't be doing this. But on the other hand, I do think rich people are superior to the rest of us, and so deserve to be able to break the law more often than the rest of us do.
Speak for yourself, the rest of us.
So you think Epstein is superior
Rich
to you,
people are
or
better
was
than
superior to
you.
Lactoid?
I have one exception, and that's Epstein.
What about Diddy? One exception, Diddy.
Two exceptions.
Easy.
Two exceptions.
Easy.
You just keep adding exceptions.
One more will come. Yeah.
Julian Maxwell.
His moral compass is adjustable.
Yeah, it's adjustable.
He was okay with Julian Maxwell. He was not okay with the other. Got it.
She's kind of a baddie, though.
Yeah.
Could I steer?
What?
True.
Could I
Yeah,
steer
she
back
was.
to that?
She was.
I'd be
I'm sorry. I want to switch back.
How
And I
desperate are
promise.
you?
But like,
No, she wasn't
said
ugly.
something
She wasn't
absurd
ugly.
here.
And them biddies were doing
Wait,
work. All
Hell
right.
yeah.
Was
Hell
she?
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God,
She had some biddies,
Okay.
buddy.
And she's a ride or die. So
True.
Well, there's
True.
that.
True.
Okay. All right, fine. I'll move past this. But like,
Listen, if the Mossad is great at finding good-looking women to do their work, all right.
Not snitching on Julian Maxwell thing.
So we've devolved to talking about chicks that'll go to jail for you. That's
Hell
that's
yeah.
what this conversation
what
is about.
better way to drive down housing prices? Like you said before.
I actually walk outside my backyard.
Before you're gonna buy, walk into the neighborhood, pop a couple off. You know,
We can bring this back. Hunter, zoning. What
cut down 20,000.
This legislation, you said it doesn't do anything for
Hunter.
zoning. What the fuck does zoning have to do with the fact that there's already abandoned apartments or housing or like all these abandoned homes? Can you explain that?
Yeah,
There's
sure.
mad abandoned homes that like apparently I can't buy and live in or fix or whatever the fuck. Why?
Yeah, so abandoned housing, specifically when we're talking about abandoned housing, oftentimes we say that there are more vacant homes in America than homeless people. They're 10 times the amount. This is a completely warped statistic. Specifically, you're saying abandoned and they're saying vacant, and those are a very big distinction. When it comes to vacant houses, I could show you the data analysis on it, but largely vacant homes can be split up into 3 different sections. The first section are houses that are on sale or on the market, but are vacant because no one's moved in there yet. I don't think that should count as somewhere that homeless people should move into, because obviously that is taking a strain off of housing costs because they're on the market. People will be moving in there soon. Second are seasonal homes. And the third are abandoned homes. Those abandoned homes are largely in places where homeless people are not, places in the middle of the United States that no one wants to move to. And they are also so depreciated that they're a hazard to human beings, so that you shouldn't move in because there's like chemical waste or
Well, as opposed
there's a
to
reason it was
right?
abandoned.
Like
What?
we're saying this as like as opposed to street living, right? Like I mean, some people take the chemicals,
which is probably better than a lot of these abandoned houses. To
right.
give Hunter credit
so
here.
Genuinely, yeah, I would prefer them living on the street than they.
Because
Okay,
there's so many houses like black mold, unstable floorboards,
asbestos,
shit falling in on you. All like there is genuine risks with a lot of this dilapidated housing for sure.
Fair, but like the issue is, I hear this all the time that like the issue with the affordability in the housing crisis is that the zoning doesn't allow for building new homes, right? Like
we're super underdeveloped.
Yeah, the NIMBY thing that you can't build apartment complexes, so on and so forth. But then like the issue for me is, if someone builds a new apartment, that's going to cost a lot of money, and the rent isn't going to be any more affordable. It's going to be less. A new apartment building isn't going to be cheaper, right? It's only going to be more expensive.
No, it drives down rent because hold on. Let me explain this real quick. Because wait.
Yeah.
I live in a super new apartment complex. I actually just moved. This is a brand new. It's like a 15-minute city. It's fucking awesome. Okay, but it's way more expensive than where my previous place was. But here's the thing. I moved out of my previous place, meaning that they are going to have fewer people. There's more spots that are opening up in other
in the quote unquote
areas,
cheaper apartment.
in the cheaper apartments, because I'm
Yeah,
moving
but wait,
out.
wait, okay, that's beautiful. I love how you think that's how that works.
Okay.
Because when I was bouncing around in Detroit, there's a bunch of new development in Detroit. And it's very nice and it's fucking expensive, right? What
Right.
happens is when the people move out of these older you moved out of your place, it was 1,600 when you were living there.
Uh-huh.
It's 1,750 for the next guy that's moving in.
Yeah. Now, why
like,
is that?
so-
why
so
would that be? Why do they not have competitive prices?
Well, they don't need to have that is the
Right.
that is the
I agree.
competitive price.
They don't need competitive prices, and this
Yeah,
is
so-
largely because they don't have enough competitors.
Well,
if there's
even
more-
if
if
you
there's more
have
open
competitors,
units-
when you build the new units, the prices are going to be higher. So it's not competitive. It's not going to bring the rent down. Like the
Yes,
new
it will,
units are just
because
gonna be more
I'm-
expensive
Because
and the
there's
people aren't going to
there's
have the rent
filtering.
deflate.
It's called filtering in economic principles. It's the idea that I am moving out of
to the more
older
expensive
place.
apartment,
Yeah.
Yes,
which
Yeah, exactly.
drives the prices up because look, we have this new
What?
development that costs 1,900, so we can't charge 1,600 here. We're going to charge 1,750.
What are you talking about? First off, they're
Yeah.
going to have vacancies in their apartment, and they're going to want to fill those. And if they can't fill those quickly enough, they're going to lower the prices.
Usually
That's why.
they
Wait, hold on,
can.
hold on, hold
Usually
on.
most places don't have problems filling
I
their
agree.
vacancies.
Why would that be? Why would people be flooding into that fucking spot as quickly as possible? Because holy shit, a new place just opened up. I got to move in there right now. If it took like 3 or 4 months to fill these spots, don't you think that people will start dropping those prices to start incentivizing people to come and live in those places?
what I'm saying is like, okay, so like I'm looking at like places to rent in Michigan right now, right? And
Yeah.
it seems like you can't get anything for less than $1,700 that's worth a damn. And if you hit the 1,500 mark, you might as well be living in like the actual ghetto. It's pretty fucking bad. These
Totally.
houses are bad. They haven't been renovated since the 90s, early 2000s,
right.
right? But it's like 1,700 is like the new average, is kind of what I'm saying. And so
Okay.
it's like all this new stuff that's going up doesn't seem to be making things more affordable. It just seems to be like the new stuff is more expensive, and then the old stuff is just getting, because there's nowhere else to live, right? Like if you want
so
to live
because
in
they're
like
not
a
building
decent
enough.
city, if you want to live in like a decent city or a clean area, it's just like this is the new minimum.
This is okay. Like I
Okay,
do you want to see like 1,000 stats on this? Because like this is the
Yeah,
most.
this is just empirically true.
I understand the stats, but like I
so
understand that there's
yeah.
stats to it, but then there's also the lived experience of like people can't find rent or afford their rent. and the
I
rent
fully
is
agree,
going
which is
up.
what I'm saying. Unless you live in fucking Houston or Japan, yeah, prices are going the fuck up because people don't allow building to occur. Building is illegal to build in most cities. You can't upzone
in most
places.
suburbs.
No, in most anywhere.
Well, hold on. I maybe I missed something here, but I mean, Japan housing market right now is actually pretty flexible. I've looked into buying some houses there.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, hold on. You're right, because Japan has a declining population, so they're having
Right.
more housing in the market.
Right. Yeah, there's
Once
a lot
again,
of houses for sale.
Supply and demand, right? I mean, ultimately,
Right.
the price of living, the price of housing is, can you compare the amount of places available and the amount of people that want to live there, right? And obviously, you take into account the financial ability of the people that want to live there.
That's surface level. Let me tell you what we got going on
Let's
here in
go,
Nashville, right?
whatever the fuck's deeper. All right, let's hear it.
Yeah. Let's. So
We're-
what we got
we're
going
right
on
now,
here,
we're
like in
surface
Nashville, is
It's just going to be
It's
other
always better
supply
when
and
you go
demand.
deeper. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. So, this was this is about a year and a half ago. They figured out that there were about 18,000 surplus apartments in Nashville. The reason is not that there aren't people to move into them, or that people that that don't need housing or or not even that people couldn't afford them. They just built so many of them that people just don't want to live there now, and people don't necessarily want to live in an apartment in the city when they can move outside of the city and commute in and live maybe a little cheaper and definitely maybe a little better. So what they've got all of these apartments, but the banks aren't foreclosing on them because they obviously don't want to lose money. The contractors will not reduce the price of per unit for rent or to buy them because they lose money. So they're just in this holding pattern of not allowing people to live there
They're going to have to
because
drop the prices at some point.
at some point it's gonna come down like a house of cards.
Yeah, they're going
and
to have
that takes out an entire level of basically pricing structure in the community, because now, you know, a 1,200 square foot, well, not 1,200, probably 1,000 square foot apartment is going to be, it's not going to be $4,000 a month anymore. It's going to be $2,000.
Well, they're going to try to
Well,
sell
you-
that
you
building. Wait,
literally-
they're going to try to sell the building before they take the loss
Because
on
of low
rent,
demand.
aren't
No,
they?
you literally just described like a bubble. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
bubble,
that's exactly what's going on.
everybody's predicting
And it's
the
in
price is
every
gonna be a
major
certain
city in the
way.
U.S.
I don't think it's in every major city, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, we overbuilt. We overbuilt. Well, maybe not New York. but
I'm sure
we
there's some
overbuilt.
places. I know, and specifically, you brought up Nashville. I know in Nashville, I know for at least historically in the past like 5 years, there's been massive demand in Nashville, and that's driven up housing prices dramatically. And so it wouldn't surprise me that there's a lot of intention of, okay, let's build more housing there to try to, you know, kind of cash in on this while also bringing the housing price down. And then maybe they overestimated it. Maybe they
Right.
built up more than they expected. Maybe
Or
they
too
charged
luxury
too much, or
apartments.
too luxury, or there's all sorts of things that can contribute to the bubble. But at the end of the day, like, unless they want to lose more money, they're going to have to rent out those apartments, or they're going to have to sell them. And if they have to sell them at a loss or rent them at a loss, they're going to be renting them cheaper to meet market demand, which
Yep.
lowers housing prices. Ultimately, just like any other good, housing is very responsive to supply and demand. Of course. That's what we're talking about. And so, if we can't address the demand part,
to live, the demand to live places, is you're never going to necessarily be able to meet it, right? People have to live places. People
That's
want to
right.
live close to their families, so on and so forth. But like that's what I'm saying is like the issue. The issue is you guys are saying that like so there isn't enough supply, so that we're going to build more supply, and that should
Yes.
drive prices down,
Yes.
right?
it does.
So I've never experienced prices go down. Maybe
That's like
prices,
Well,
prices stay
I mean,
But
same.
that's like
maybe
that's like
prices
saying I've
stay
never
same.
inflation, they go
experienced
down.
evolution. That's
Well,
like
hold
saying
on,
I've never
hold on.
experienced evolution. It's like shit. Sometimes this takes such a long time,
It-
or such like a macro
Yeah,
analysis. that
it's
really
maybe
you
just
have
where
to
you're at, right?
test
Like
this empirically.
when, just for example, I was looking at properties today in the Mesa, Arizona area, and in all the way up to Prescott. They're down 3% a year right now in home value. They were pushed way up because you had people from California and New York and other places like that moving there. A lot of people from Michigan, cold
High
places
demand.
like want to move to the desert. And then of course they figure out that it's the fucking desert and nobody wants to live there. And then they move back, right?
Demand drops.
Demand drops. And for about the demand was really up high for several years right after COVID. And then it's sinking, and it's losing 3% per year in home value. Here in my hometown, same kind of deal. We had a lot of people move in from out of state, New York, California, all over the place. Drove the housing prices up ridiculously, and now they're settling back down. And as a matter of fact, I've got a property that 2 years ago, you know, according to like Zillow and a bunch of the other, you know, which is irrelevant, doesn't mean anything, but it was worth about 800 grand. They got it at like 300 today, which is about what it is actually worth. I mean, there is an actual value to that property. It's about $300,000.
Yeah, so it's dropped down to its actual value. So it's
Yeah,
not
well, it'll
necessarily that
go
you
back
lost,
up because
right?
it's
Yeah.
you know it's land, and land they're not making any more of it
But that's
except
the
in
issue,
Saudi
right?
Arabia.
It's not that you kind of like it drops back down to like equal for you most time. Hopefully you break even to like is the worst situation. But like, you know, if something jumps up 300% but then drops down 100%, that's not really like being less. That's just
But it can happen though, because what happens is people like they say, well, I'm okay living an hour and a half from Nashville and commuting in because I get this house, and this house is like $500,000,
And that opens up
and
housing in the urban area.
and all of a sudden, this, you know, a place where the houses are 180 grand are all of a sudden $500,000, and then people go, yeah, man, it really sucks to drive an hour and a half into work every day. So they go to sell it, and of course the value goes back down to that 180 or lower, and it actually you lose a bunch of money. That's how that's real estate speculation 101, normal shit. And people do lose a lot of money. Now, people who just don't allow that to happen and who have absolutely no feeling about a house. Like I look at a house, I don't care where it is. I don't care what it's like. I'm looking at a numerical value and just factoring a bunch of different things in, and that determines whether or not I'm going to buy the house. I'm not looking at it going, wow, that house is pretty. Oh, I like the neighborhood. Oh, it's got a good school for my kid. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at how far is it from this? How old is it? Is it up to code? When's the last time the roof was done? I think there's a whole list of things that I give a shit about, and the rest I don't, because I'm looking at it as an asset, something that I'm going to be trading in, and that's just a mindset issue, really. And you
By the
either,
way,
but I want you all to realize something, that if you guys went out and took out a 50-year mortgage, and that sounds insane, right? But if you just paid on it for the next 5 years and then sold it, or even refinanced it into like a 15-year, you'd save yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest, and you would have a very cheap payment for that period of time. And that's going to fuck rent even worse, because when somebody can buy a house for cheaper than they can rent a house for, they're going to do it, or they ought to do it.
50 year, yeah.
Well, I think that would also push rentals a little bit lower, right? Because now the rentals are trying to compete.
It could, but there's a floor on rentals, because we have costs, we have overhead,
Yeah.
and we're just not going to let it go.
I hear that, but even okay, couldn't you buy rentals and then on a 50-year mortgage?
Oh yeah,
too?
I would. I'm waiting for that to happen. I'm waiting
Yeah.
I'm waiting
Ollie,
right now you can't. So, I mean, okay. So you understand what part of what really happened to make all of this real estate bullshit happen is Obama and Biden, when they were in office, they removed the controls on the bank that said that you couldn't use, like, Lactoid as just a home buyer. He could not go out and buy an investment property on a conventional mortgage. He had to use a commercial loan, which costs, it's a higher down payment, it's a higher standard for income, and you have to have a track record of having to do it. Those controls were removed. And so what happens is Lactoid, who does nothing about fucking real estate, but he's got a little bit of money, and everybody says, hey man, buy rentals. You'll make money. Your mortgage is $1,300. You rent it for $1,500. You pocket a couple of hundred every month. Your mortgage is paid for in 10 years. You have a house for free, right? That's a sell, or 30 years. That doesn't happen because there's a lot more costs involved, but it's a good line. It got people to buy a lot of houses, and it got people who ought not own 6 houses owning 6 houses. And that's what caused that's between 2005, 2008. That's what caused that whole mortgage.
Thanks, Obama and Biden.
Well, I blame honestly. I blame the banks for that, because if you remove the controls on the banks are going to do exactly what they're going to do. So when Trump was in office the first term, he put the controls back on, we were checking with one of our bankers, and we're like, hey, we would like to do this house on a conventional, because we might actually move into it. We don't want a commercial loan on this house. And they're like, no, can't do it. You already own a house, and you can't buy another house. You'd have to live in this house for a year before you could rent it out or anything, right? And we didn't want to do that, so we went through a commercial loan, no problem, it's no big deal. But I kid you not, when Biden was elected, my banker called me about within the first 3 months and said, hey, that loan you were talking about, yeah, we can do that now if you want to. Just come down. We'll take care of it, because they removed the controls once again, and it's a very, I mean, it stimulates the economy, because people all of a sudden will start buying houses left and right that they ought not buy, and it creates a lot of volatility, which I like volatility because I make money every time that happens. But when you're messing with this in this way, and with banking, because banks are going to make money regardless. They're just going to make money every time they turn around. So they don't care. One of the things we've noticed is that we haven't seen the same number of auctions. We see what houses that are in default that should be foreclosed on that are not getting foreclosed on. We see a lot of different things and going on that I don't understand. We think that the banks have come up with a way of wholesaling the houses on bad mortgages out, and that benefits me too, because I like that.
All right, Raid.
Sure. I want to go ahead.
Or
You
Grid.
go
I
first.
mean, Grid.
Yeah.
You have to understand that a lot of people are worried about their rent increasing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say the mechanism should be in place in order to affect that?
You can't put a mechanism in place to lock rent down.
What? There's no way that you can lower rent?
How would you do
Yeah,
that?
lack
How would you
Build
do
more
that?
housing.
Build
That's the way
more.
to
Thank
do it.
you. Build more housing.
Yeah, you could build more houses, but
not
build.
gonna
But,
drop
okay,
the
all right, all right.
You
I
guys
like your
are
energy. I like
crazy.
the energy. I like the energy.
I'm
Let's
not crazy.
examine that
Don't
for a
make
minute.
me be 1-1 with Grid over here, but
Or
he's fucking
construction
right.
workers.
Let's
Me and Grid never agree, but he's right.
let's
All right,
examine
Grid,
that for a
let's hear
minute.
it, let's hear it.
Let's
Why would
examine
that
that
not
from a
lower
reality-based point of view.
I'm ready.
Build more houses. I love it. Love the energy. I'm actually trying to build some houses right now.
Excellent.
What do you think in 2021 or 2022, a 3-2 on a eighth of an acre lot, which is just a standard McMansion? What do you think the build cost on that was? Just
I have no clue.
round
Depends
number.
Depending
on
on like
location,
state
right?
as well.
Well, no, just the build cost. Build cost. You already own the lot. You're building. You're putting a. You're
Wait,
putting a
the
house
build
on.
cost
it,
is the same per state.
more or less.
I mean, yeah, dude.
Lumber costs what lumber costs. Labor
No,
costs
I-
what labor costs.
Okay. Interesting.
Labor doesn't cost what labor costs. It's going to be different based on the minimum wage.
Yeah, like wouldn't it be more expensive?
What,
Like,
hold on. Did
I-
you
I-
just
I
say
can-
minimum wage?
hold on. I can imagine like if you're
Yes?
going to be
Am I
building in
crazy?
Long
Minimum
Island
wage.
If you build in fucking Utah
versus
versus
Mississippi.
versus
They're not getting minimum wage
Versus
to build
California.
typically. Is
That's
the
is
dumbest
there-
thing
is
I've
there-
ever
we're not
heard.
getting
I
minimum
don't.
wage
I don't
to
have a
build it.
single minimum wage person
No, okay,
anywhere.
but prevailing wage. Okay, minimum wage was a bad thing. Prevailing
Fine.
wage, right? In Long Island,
Prevailing wage is
or-
better. Yes, that's better. That's better.
In like
Right, so
Manhattan,
just figure.
But like on average, just say it's the
Yeah,
same,
on
right? Like,
average, it's going to
just
cost for a
throw a number
3-2
out
back then was about, and the lumber costs could vary a little bit, but more or less, you're looking at about $125,000 to $130,000 to put a house up. That house will be
Wait,
then
when?
worth about 300, huh?
when?
for the
2021.
McMansion.
21, 22, 23 in that area.
Okay.
Oh,
In,
You're
in
saying-
anywhere in the United States. In any-
it's
any
under
50
200,000. You're
To
hold
build
on.
a McMansion?
Hold on, under 150,000 to build. Why
build
couldn't I
cost.
go do that?
Are you a contractor?
No, but I know where they live. I can like.
Yeah,
build-
right. Okay. Do you
Not a
know how to
threat, Michael?
negotiate with them? Can you do that?
Oh wait, sorry.
You know how to
Are
make
you
this
saying
work?
are you saying just the material costs are that?
No, I'm talking about, a carpenter crew, you're with your framers, plumbers,
Yeah.
all of these guys. Yeah.
Why
they're-
couldn't I
also
hire them
developer-
for 130?
You could. Why don't
but
you?
I couldn't. I can't build a house for 130,000.
Okay, well, I'm
That's the
sorry that
dumbest
you
thing I've
can't
ever
do
heard.
that.
McMansion.
I'm sorry that you
a
can't do that.
fucking McMansion, not some peewee little.
McMansions aren't that big.
Great.
McMansions are cookie cutter. They do them in 6 weeks.
For
Ah, you're so dumb,
120.
Lactoid. How come you cannot see?
No,
You know
wait,
how
it's
dumb
not.
you
It's
are.
not.
I don't know.
It's
I don't know
not
if
the
it's
time
120,
frame
but they're
that's
not. Well, how much
allowed.
do you think they are? Wait. I don't know if it's
How much?
120.
You guys are insane.
I'll-
When a house was
I'll-
$300,000, when a house was $300,000, do you honestly think
Yeah,
it cost
like-
$300,000 to build it? No, it costs $125,000 to build that
They
house.
got to make money on the house.
We understand
It's
that part.
insane.
So
Okay, so just like,
stop.
what do you guys think the
I
house
understand.
costs to build? Just
Okay,
just go off of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess, and if I'm gonna Google what the actual like cost of a new construction is. I think I'm gonna be right. I would guess.
I've already
Currently-
gotten.
All right,
Currently, new
okay.
construction
I
at
haven't
200.
looked it up. I haven't looked it up. I'm just gonna guess. I
Yeah,
think that if
just-
I wanted to build a standard 2,000 square foot house,
He said mansion, by the way. Standard
no,
mansion.
yeah, I'm not even talking about mansion.
Mansion.
I'm
It's
not
a,
even
it's a
talking about mansion.
term.
I'm talking about like a 2,000 square foot fucking suburbaville house. If I wanted to build that, if I wanted to go and hire all the contractors to put the whole thing all together, I'm guessing it'd run me $315,000. Am I right? Ryan?
Right now, or back then? But like right now, you think a house is like 350,000.
Sorry, hold on one second. Sorry. What was the cost that you specifically
He said
said there? I
315.
apologize.
315
No. To do what exactly?
to build about 2,000 square foot house in
You
suburbia.
own the land.
In the suburbs.
2000. Okay.
Yeah,
so
just
I'm gonna-
assume the lot cost is out of it.
So okay. I'm gonna read you what it says here, and it's above. This is a 3,000 to 5,000, but like we can scale the cost
Okay.
here, right?
Fine, a little
That's
bit
a
more.
McMansion.
So it says building a McMansion, typically defined as a large mass-produced home ranging from 3,000 to 5,000 plus square feet, generally costs between 1 million and 2.5 million for the structure alone. And then it, it goes.
To be
more
fair, I
down
said
with-
2,000 square feet. Okay.
Ray just doesn't know the
yeah,
number of
well-
zeros in a million. That's all. He's just off by
Yeah,
an order of
yeah.
magnitude.
And
you
then,
know?
like,
I'm telling you, my
from,
build
I think
cost
he
is
might
not
be
that
the only
much.
millionaire.
I'm literally building
for
those now.
structure,
You're a
in
developer.
the Midwest, in rural areas, it says
I thought
like
you were
for
a
the structure
landlord.
and the land would be from
Why wouldn't it be both?
750,000 to 1.2 million for the
Okay.
structure and the land.
Okay. So I
Well,
mean,
land is what land costs right now.
Maybe-
Land, I mean, right now we're looking at anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 an acre, depending on where it's at.
because
Okay,
look,
what-
when you're right. When the 300,000, when they're selling that, which I mean, for new builds, it's going to be more than that. But if you're if like, obviously they have to make a profit, and also, but if you're paying contractors to build it for you, they're also going to have to make a profit, right? I don't.
Right.
In what way? 120,000 would be crazy.
All right. So on my property, or right next to my property that that we're building on, they built it's a fucking. Hang on, I will actually just pull it up and see.
And to be clear, I want to be clear. That was from Google's AI mode. Just to be clear,
So
right?
so wait,
it's
so if
from
it's so okay,
be
so
honest.
if it's 1 to 2 million to build a McMansion, how much is it to build an apartment complex?
Millions.
A lot more.
That-
Or
that's like
renovate,
90,000.
or renovate, right?
Millions.
And
Much
then
less.
and so
Yeah.
like once again, these people that are building the rent, you're making the city better, right? You're adding more to the city, you're so on and so forth. I just don't
Okay.
see how the property value goes that why the property value
315
would go
was
down.
probably low.
Wait. Ali, how
probably
do
should have
you
said
how are
higher.
you not understanding that when the supply increases, the costs go down?
Because
I'm
the sub-
I'm
because
lost
the-
how
be-
that's
because,
lost.
because I think like part of this equation is that like we're acting like there's a set amount of people, as like we build more housing, it takes like 5 years, but then over those 5 years we have 5 years more of people that are renting, right? There's 8 new 18-year-olds every single one of those years, right? There's more people
Yeah,
to
but
rent
there's old
to.
people that
Well, it would
die.
right. It would obviously
Yeah,
be
but not as
relative to the
much.
population. Wait, hold on. It would obviously be relative to the population.
Right.
The population is increasing as well. Then sure, yeah, we're going to need to increase relative to that number as well.
This is why Trump said
Just-
when you deport the illegals, housing prices are going to go down because there's fewer
Right,
people.
because supply is lower.
I mean, yeah, if you're talking about like how
or
many
demand is
millions
lower.
of people,
But you're also
tens of
losing out on a lot of
millions,
construction crews. So
Exactly.
so prices are just going to go by. It all equals out, is what I'm
It doesn't
saying.
just all equal out.
Okay, I'm
because
just
It's
saying,
just
okay. You're
there's
getting
just a
really
lot of
angry,
mechanisms.
but like once again, I'm coming from a place where I own my house. I'm not really worried, right? I'm just kind of seeing what the fuck's
Wait,
going
hold on, Ollie. I have a question.
Yeah,
Your housing sorry, the cost of your house is increasing. Yes, the
the
worth of your
cost
house.
of my house.
The worth
like
of your
the-
house is increasing.
Yes,
Yes,
100%.
Okay, cool. Because it's an appreciating asset, right?
Yes.
Do you not look at that and go, "What the fuck is going on?" Because if you drove a car,
No, it
And the
makes
cr-
sense
the
that a
price
house is
was
an
the-
appreciating asset, though.
why? Why could it?
Well, okay, considering that if you're supposed to take care of your house.
Because I have
if
an
the
explanation
neighborhood-
for why it's
wait.
an appreciating. Go ahead.
Be,
Sorry.
well, I mean, hopefully, if the neighborhood continues to grow in a positive like trajectory, right? You're gonna get better schools. You're gonna get better the taxes are gonna go up. You're gonna get better roads, better parks, so on and so forth. So, man, obviously, your house is gonna be worth more than the thing that you bought. It's a house. I don't see it as a car, right? Something that should be better maintained. It's something that is going to go up in value with like the community and the surrounding area getting better.
But largely speaking, the community
Like
doesn't need to
gentrification,
get better.
unfortunately, is going to be the answer, right? Gentrification would make your
Nice,
house
gentrification.
be more.
Depends on what we mean by gentrification.
The neighborhood becoming
oftentimes
better.
gentrification
There's a
is
positive
really,
trajectory
really.
to your community. That to me.
That's not gentrification. Just to be super clear on
I
the
understand. I understand, but I'm
definition.
saying
You don't
like, if-
understand.
no, I do understand. I'm saying if your community gets better over time, right? Then your house is obviously going to be worth more because the community is more desirable to
that's
live in.
gentrification.
It makes sense. Yes.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
gentrification.
Obviously,
is
gentrification is when
specifically-
you go into like bad neighborhoods and you try to buy them out and push the people out of the neighborhoods. I understand that, but I'm saying like
Yeah,
in
push
the
them out by
simplest
making
terms-
it better.
Yeah, in this, yeah, in the
Yes.
yeah. Well,
No.
no, it's by making it more expensive.
No,
But
no,
I'm
no,
saying-
how
no,
do
no,
they
no,
do
no,
that?
no.
Well, by buying it out, right, and making
doing
it better,
what?
quote unquote.
Yeah, how do they make it better?
Well, I mean, according to you guys, buying it out, making it better should make rent cheaper. So
That's
I,
exactly my point. That's why
Overall, it
gentrification is
does. Overall, it does.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why gentrification is a really poor term. Gentrification is the specific use of buying up an old, emaciated apartment building and then renovating it. It's not when you build new housing; it's when you're renovating older apartments.
Well, when most
you
people are
can
talking,
also build new
when,
housing
yeah,
in
when
an
you're
area.
building, in
but then that
neighborhood-
doesn't
People
gentrify
buying
that
broke
doesn't
neighborhood-
gentrify local residents because in fact
It
more
can.
openings will occur for them.
Yeah.
Because
No,
it
no, no.
filters that
Okay.
process out for them.
I know what you're saying, and you're like, okay. You're like partially correct, but in very like micro scenarios, this doesn't always hold. You
I understand.
can, yeah, you can like through certain housing builds and overall area like improvements,
Gentrify
you
neighborhoods,
can
yeah.
gentrify neighborhoods. Now, does this still overall decrease housing supply across the board because you're building new housing? Yes. The areas that like there's other areas that become cheaper for sure. And I agree with you that there's also a little bit of a counter effect here of when you build more housing in an area that also that has a lowering effect, like a lowering pressure
Right.
on the housing price as well. I'm just saying that you just got to be a little bit careful because you can, depending on the house you build in a very like localized area, potentially increase the price. That is possible.
But yeah,
But
so you
then
were saying I
also,
was
but
wrong about
then there
that,
would be
Hunter?
filtering. There would be filtering into a different city.
Yes.
Then wherever they're
100%.
moving from,
Yes.
wherever they're moving from, you're essentially going to be helping someone more.
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool. So then I think that that's a poor use of gentrification. We should specifically be looking at when we're renovating apartments rather than just building new apartments. That distinction matters a lot to me.
Well, if you're building new apartments, the idea is that the surrounding apartments should be getting renovated as well, right?
Why?
Like you're not gonna have because you're
No,
not gonna
no.
because you're not gonna have new builds that are worth a lot of money next to shit builds that are worth no money.
Yes, you
and
do
people just
all the
moving into
time.
the new builds while living next to the shit builds.
Hold
That's-
on. Of course that happens. You have luxury apartments in a thriving city, and you have a shitty. You have like 2 blocks away. You have shitty apartments. Of course that happens, and those shitty apartments those prices will go down because all of the people who were moving there, who wanted to live in nicer places, will move out of that, driving demand down.
Once again, that's the idea that it drives
I mean, they can
demand
afford
down.
to.
There's the wait. So most apartment complexes have like waiting lists of people who want to move in.
Yes,
and they're
because
they're
supply is
denying
low.
them. And they're denying them. So the people that move out, there is a huge supply of people that want to move in. I don't know where you think the supply of people wanting to move into places ever decreases,
Hold on.
or that the demand ever decreases for.
Have you
wanting to
heard
live
about
anywhere.
Gary, Indiana? There are situations in which people want to stop living in an area, like people
If
flee.
the area,
certain areas.
if the area goes down, right, then the property values ultimately go down. But that's
Yes.
not that's not
Gary,
like
Indiana is
legislation
very
making-
affordable
wait,
right now.
Wait, that's not legislation's making things more affordable. That's just the city being on a negative downslope. Like you can't help that,
Right, but the
right?
reason
People are leaving the
Yeah,
entire city if the
Yes.
city is fucked.
but look at the effect, right? So yes, people leave Gary. Like Gary's population has dropped by like more than half. It's a travesty, and there's not all these people anymore. So there is a lot of houses compared to the amount of people that are there.
Yeah.
Compared to, and so because of that, housing prices in Gary
Yeah,
are
and
very
how many
cheap.
people are moving to Gary, Indiana willingly,
Very
not
few
because
people.
they have to, because of the affordability, because they got pushed out from whatever neighborhood.
Wait,
into whatever
But
neighborhood, right?
it's a
all you're
self-correcting
doing is
problem.
all you're doing is funneling all you're doing is funneling the brokest people around. That's all that's happening. It's not becoming more affordable for them. It's just you're funneling them around to, honestly, they're going to end up paying a little bit more rent than they were in the previous place.
Well,
just
let me make a hypo for you because I know you love my hypos. If there was,
They're the worst of them all. The worst.
I've got good hypos. I did good on the LSAT.
Go
No,
ahead.
for those we need Fabian
I
here
got a
for
really
the,
high- I got
the
a really
best
high LSAT
typos.
Okay,
Holla at me.
let's say there was one house
Mhm.
Yes.
and no other houses could be built. How much money do you think people would pay? How much value? What it would cost to buy this
I would
house? do you think?
spend
Are there
$20 billion.
Are there huts and tents and things, or what's going on?
There's
What's this
nothing.
like living?
It's either this
There's
house
nothing.
or you have to live in the fucking trees. Like you got to
People
live on the
would be
like,
fucking
on-
trees.
We would just have
on the
people
paved
constantly
trees.
killing each other. People would just be
Yeah,
constantly
it's like
killing
Mad
each other
Max.
to live
It's
in
like
this house.
Mad Max.
Yeah,
It's awful.
Worse
But,
than Mad Max.
but everybody respects this one rule, which is whoever owns the house, they own the house.
Oh,
What do you-
okay, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think this house is gonna like sell for?
Sell for? I don't think this person's ever gonna be able to sell this house.
What do you mean ever be able to sell the house? Of course, he can sell the house.
There's not gonna be a
He goes,
price.
who
that
wants this
anyone
house?
can-
And everyone
No,
screams,
no,
please, I want the house.
This is Lactoid's hypothetical, right? I don't think he's ever going to be sell the house, because why would I sell the house that I'm living in when there's no other houses?
Did you ever think of that?
So there is going to be no
Owned.
price. It's going to be an
Owned.
infinite.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
Dollars.
Yeah, you
Trillions
didn't think
of
of that,
dollars.
did you, like?
no.
You didn't think of that.
Hold up. I can work with this.
Why would I
answer.
sell my house? The only house.
I can work with you. I can work with this.
I
answer.
build another house.
So
I move to that house.
No,
You
listen.
can't build houses in this hypothetical.
You can't build
The,
houses.
the, the, the original price drops for the
Yeah.
second house because I built another
what-
house.
what-
which
what
is
I
Hunter's
would-
now you
point.
get it.
If there are no houses, and
I'm
we just
getting
start
there. I'm
building
getting
them-
there. I'm trying to get there. We're gonna get to the second house in a second. Right now, we're on the first house. Okay,
The first house.
we're on house number 1.
Grid, am
This
I
is
doing
the-
you proud?
Stop.
It's Schrodinger's house.
No, it's not.
I'm,
what?
I'm questioning that LSAT
It's
score.
a
Yeah.
new
Wrong
It's
hypothetical.
a new invention
Corey.
called housing,
Oh,
and this is the
God.
first one. And now
Okay.
we haven't gotten to the
Guys,
second one
guys.
yet. Like, go ahead.
I know. It's very exciting.
Yeah, go ahead, Lacto.
Very,
Let's do
very.
this.
Everyone's very animated. I understand.
No, I'm just
So,
listen,
in
this
the
is your
first
hypothetical,
house,
baby.
in
Your world,
order-
I'm just living in it.
In order to convince the guy to sell the house, you would need to get him to part with the house. You would need to give
True.
him such sum of money that would convince him to go out and live in the trees with the rest of the animals, right? You
Yeah,
have to
for
give him
sure.
a fuck ton of money. He's going to
Are there
demand.
businesses? Is there things to do with this money?
Please.
Is
just
there
follow.
are there
No,
things
you
to
get-
do with the money?
Yes, there's things to do with the money. Okay.
Cool, awesome. As
Yes.
long as there's
There
places
are
to go on
Ferraris
vacation.
in
Tons
this
of things
world.
you can do. Yeah, there's all sorts of shit you can buy, but just not houses.
Cars, but no houses.
And so you're
Resorts,
gonna-
but no
yes.
houses.
You live in a
Okay.
Ferrari.
And so you're
no,
gonna.
wait. Here's
I-
critical.
I-
Here's
I-
critical to it. Fine.
And so
I'm trying to help
you're
you
gonna
out.
you're gonna have to
Yeah.
you're gonna have to pay him a ridiculous amount of money because
Ungodly amounts of money.
ungodly amount, right? Because it's the
Money-
one house.
Yeah.
It's the
I
one
don't
house.
know how I made this money.
It's
I
so
don't know
much
how
money,
I
yeah.
made this money.
Oh,
but
it's
yeah,
worth
you're
so much
true, you're
money.
Right.
Okay, now let's say we add a second house.
True.
Is that first house as valuable, Ali?
No, it's not as valuable.
Why
it's
not?
still it's still pretty fucking
It's
valuable.
still
It's not
pretty
as
valuable. I agree.
I would
Because
agree.
But is it?
there's
But is it
because
as
there's
valuable?
more of them because there's more supply to meet people's demand.
Uh huh.
Yes.
And that lowers
if you
the
have,
price.
If you have the supply,
And that lowers the price,
if you,
Ali.
if you have the supply, it'll meet the people's demand.
yeah.
All we need to do is
And that
build a
lowers
house
the
for every
price,
single
Ali.
person, and every person that's coming up, and then
Stop. Ali, I just need to know if you build the second house, does that lower the price?
100%,
Okay, if you build
cool.
3
Where are you
houses,
lost
that would
me?
lower it down even more, right?
even more.
Even
Whoa.
more.
Yes, if you go from zero to 100 to 100, the price of the 100
We
is
use
So
some
let's keep
mathematical
adding.
reduction here.
yeah.
And then the housing prices keep falling, right?
For initial buys, yeah, for sure, every time. For the initial, if we start from
Where
zero,
is-
then yes.
Okay, walk us through where you.
Wait,
where this doesn't
wait.
connect.
I want
Where
you to
you got
understand-
lost?
I
Where
no,
between
I want-
1
no,
and a million
no.
houses?
Here,
Which
here,
number?
here. Because you guys we're working from infinite amounts of money down, right? But right now there is a set amount of things. There are things, right? And there's prices for
Correct.
shit. If you build a
That's
new
true.
apartment,
There are things.
once again, I need you to show me with
We
the
got real
empirical
deep
data where the
level analysis
prices are
here
going
today.
down for the other apartments due to just because there's more apartments.
Yes, I
Where
can
is
show you empirical economic
Send
evidence
me-
that
send me-
building
send me-
housing
send me- send-
lowers
send
the
me
cost.
links.
This
Let's
is the
get
most
these fucking links going,
studied.
baby.
We've
This
had
is
this
the
debate.
most
I have
studied
sent this
subject.
to you.
Like I could pull you 20 fucking graphs where we talk
Yeah.
about. Oh,
Send
wait,
in the
hold on.
graphs,
When
Hunter. Help
you-
me out.
So when you send me the graphs, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look up the local listings of the local rent of any place that I want to live, and I'm just gonna show you how high it is and how
You're
it's
going to
not
refute
going
those graphs
But
with
not
your.
wait, but
I'm
not
gonna-
with
I'm
your
gonna
experience.
with your-
You know what?
yeah.
I'm gonna refute your stats with what? Anecdotes. 'Cause that's how we do this,
Chad,
baby.
Chad,
'Cause that's how we fucking do this.
who
baby.
needs numbers when
'Cause-
we got lived experience? Good point.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of, yeah. Because is it true that millennials are having a hard time because of avocado toast? What was it? We're doing too much avocado
True.
toast. That's why we can't afford
Yeah,
anything. That's what the
because,
stats said, right? That's where
I
that's
had-
where our
that's
data's
Starbucks.
That's a
getting
new
us.
one.
Yeah,
I had
true.
not heard that.
That's clearly true. I've seen
Yeah.
millennials with avocado toast, so that must be true.
Okay, so I want to try to engage in here, right? Because I feel like we're making our friend our friend Hunter sad. And
Yeah, me and I'm on Lactoid's side. This is crazy. You
No,
guys
it's just
are-
because Hunter thinks
I
because he got
wanna-
the new, more expensive
I want
apartment that
to-
the guy behind him got
happens
the
a lot,
cheaper
Hunter.
apartment.
This is filtering. This is such a fucking known phenomenon. This is like the
what-
most studied
Yeah.
shit in economics. Is build more housing shit happens. It
Build
fixes
more
everything.
housing. Housing is so expensive to build that the rent.
It's illegal to build. That's the issue. It's fucking illegal.
Or,
It's
or
illegal.
artificially more expensive because of the regulations.
Why is it
and
illegal to
OSHA.
build?
Because wait, hold on. Let me
Which is
stop.
why we abolished
Yeah, why is it
OSHA.
illegal to build? Actually, I want to know.
Stop.
Prices go
Stop.
down.
Hold on. This is my shit. Don't fucking. Okay, cool.
I've never
Why
been so
is it
happy
illegal
to, be, like,
to build
sitting
in
on the
America?
sidelines for a
Why is it
panel
illegal
before.
to build in
This is
America?
great.
This is a great question. This is a great
Yeah,
question.
why?
Is it illegal? Okay, great.
Yeah.
If you want to build a house in America as a developer, you have to go into a city council meeting and start advocating for changing the zoning so that it is allowable within the city's regulations. Now, what often happens is a lot of the fucking loser ass landlords go into the city council meeting and go, wait, hold on. If you build this apartment building, my rent is going to go down and I want to make as much money as humanly possible. So I would actually like you not to build those apartment buildings. And they fucking swarm the city council meetings and they say, no, don't fucking build apartment buildings here. Please don't build apartment buildings here. And then the city council meeting are just filled with the entire room is just filled with fucking 80-year-old loser ass landlords who want to make as much money as possible. And
Just
they
had a
go,
little envious.
"Fuck."
So what's
I'm not-
considered?
I'm not 80 yet,
Wait, Hunter. What's considered a city? Like, is Dearborn a city or is it a suburb?
I don't know. Well, I don't.
Well, okay. Can you? I mean,
It's it's a suburb.
I'm
Come
what's
on,
the
let's
difference
be real.
between a city and a suburb? Is a better
Legally,
question,
it's
I think.
probably a city.
I don't even know.
Legal.
What,
Oh my god.
The
I'm
lawyer
actually-
goes right to the
I'm-
legal.
Like,
Hey.
what's the difference between a city and a suburb? Because I
Sorry,
think you're talking about like, people.
It's
we going
not
with this,
super
right?
clear.
Well, because
There's
he's-
going
because
to
he's-
be a
because he's,
council-
because he's saying landlords are going in and they're saying their prices are going to go down. If landlords are owning apartments, right? Like I'm thinking of like bigger apartments than like maybe a 3-story apartment, right? I'm thinking of like
No,
when you say city,
not
I'm thinking of like a
necessarily.
downtown area. That's kind of what.
think of literally any place in America. Think of literally any place. Okay, you've got
There
a
are
place.
metropolitan. To be clear, there are
Any place?
metropolitan areas.
Yellowstone National
right?
Park.
Fuck.
There are metropolitan areas, and then outside.
Houston's
of
like the one place in
geographic
America
boundary,
where
the
this is actually
metropolitan
not
area, you will
happening.
find suburbs.
So you can't choose
Yeah, it's
Houston
not
either.
actually that hard to figure this out.
No, that's fine. Okay, so
There's
like
Minneapolis, I think, is doing really well. So don't think of Minneapolis. Think of any fucking. I'm gonna think of Little
Nashville
Warren.
has
Well,
too
no,
many apartments.
because
You can't
I'm
build
not
apartments
because
here.
the
Minneapolis
reason I'm
is
going to
not
ask
doing
is
well.
because you're saying it's landlords flooding
what was it then?
you're saying it's landlords flooding city
Well,
council meetings, and-
it sounds like he's specifically talking about apartment complexes because I mean,
Yeah.
for me
and
to
so-
now, for me
'Cause
to
that's
build a
upzoning.
house, I don't really have to do much of anything. I apply
To
for a
build an
building
apartment
permit. I tell
complex,
them how
though.
big it is.
For single
done deal.
family homes,
Easy.
sure.
no, to build like
well, if I want to build 10
an
single
apartment
family,
complex.
Yeah.
So if I have 21 acres, if I want to build houses on that 21 acres, all I do is I do have to appear before the city council, but it's not they don't approve anything. I just give them my plan and they go, okay,
And
all
it's
right.
large-
Largely
build them
for
up for
single
rent,
family
which is
homes.
fine.
Wait, hold on. There's an emphasis on single family homes in America. This is because fucking American dream. Everyone wants to own a single family home. Those will get passed super easily. But the problem is that doesn't really fix the supply issue. The way you fix supply issues is upzoning.
Build
by
up.
making huge
Okay.
apartment buildings. That is illegal in most cities in America.
And it
My
ought
argument.
be.
Wait. I've had this conversation.
Communist
before. I had this with
blocks. That's what you-
non-fun. He tried to explain
No.
to me how this would bring the prices down. So I can agree that like maybe building a bunch of apartment complexes around a suburb would bring the prices down. But the argument to me isn't that landlords of other apartment complexes are the ones at city council meetings. There's a bunch of people who live in these suburbs that do not
Like
want
me.
apartment.
Yeah, they're
that do not want
losers.
apartment. Wait.
Yeah, I
No,
agree.
they're just homeowners and
Yes.
they don't
Wait,
want
hold on,
their
hold on.
neighborhood.
I
They
was
don't want their
talking about
neighborhood to
homeowners.
wait. They don't want their neighborhoods to just become like random sprawling apartment complexes because they've invested into the land, they've invested into a
I
community.
agree.
So it's not just landlords; it's also people who just
said
don't
homeowners.
want their community to
Fine,
change.
Yeah,
fine,
nobody
I
wants
agree,
more apartments.
No, you said
Homeowners.
You said
Fine,
landlords.
Fine. I think landlords are largely speaking the ones in those city council meetings. But you are right. Homeowners, anyone whose fucking wallet's going to get a little bit thinner.
No,
with
no,
apartment
see,
buildings.
no, don't do
It's-
that. Don't
You're-
just resort it. No, don't just resort it to their pockets getting thinner. There are people
Why?
who, because there are people
Hunter,
who
Ollie's
bought
actually making
into
a good point here.
There are people
Yeah,
who bought
Ollie's-
into
there's an
Ollie's
aesthetic,
actually
there's an
right.
aesthetic distinction
Because when
here.
I'm buying a house
Sure,
for
I agree.
$380,000, I'm
And it
buying
sucks.
part of the community. I'm buying into a community. I'm buying into an area. I want to see a progress for this area, especially if I'm paying $350,000, $250,000, $400,000 for a house. No. I don't like most people that are spending this type of money don't want random apartment buildings popping up, not because the price
I
of their
agree.
house is going to go down, because eventually it'll go up regardless.
I think
They
largely
just
speaking,
they don't want these things in their neighborhoods.
largely
It makes
speaking.
it makes the neighborhood ugly.
I understand. Largely
And
speaking.
crime.
Well, I don't get the crime, not so much. But like,
No,
wait,
not
are
even
you
a little
are you
bit
part of the
crime.
non? Are you part of? Do you know who
Hold on.
non-fun
Yes,
non-fun
crime.
is? Wait, do you know who non-fun
How
is?
crime?
No
Homelessness.
crime.
Homelessness.
More-
do you,
more
do you-
population
do you know
density?
who non-fun is? Do you know who
No
non-fun is?
crime.
Okay,
Okay,
fine.
so there's
But
this-
no. Actually, I disagree with you. But whatever, we can get into
I
that.
have stats
I'll
on
be
this
honest
one.
with you.
So like,
No.
are you part of the people who
You-
like think that that it being affordable is more important to the people than the community or like because
Yes.
we can
I
just
think
demolish
this is
all
really
the homes. We can
interesting.
just demolish all the homes and make a bunch of apartment complexes, but but most people don't want
Ah,
to do so.
comrade.
So, Hunter, I
You put all the
hold
housing
on,
in one
hold on,
place.
hold on.
Yeah,
Can I say
hold
that?
on,
Can I-
right, Lackoid, yeah.
Mate,
Hold on,
Can I-
hold on.
can
Let me
I-
say something
I
real
want to
quick. Let me
engage
say
with Hunter on
real quick.
something because this is super
Communism,
interesting to
baby.
me.
Can I say something real quick?
Slava Ruski.
I want to say something real quick, just real quick. I think specifically when we're talking about the aesthetics of a neighborhood, and we're like, we don't want apartment buildings to go up, but people are coming in anyway. That's largely going to displace a lot of residents that currently live there, and homelessness spikes around the like when capacity when supply doesn't get increased. And I think specifically when we're talking about crime and we're talking about aesthetics, I think homelessness being allowed to sprawl into our streets is something that should be avoided at all costs. And I think that building apartments has shown to decrease homelessness.
So this is an interesting.
overall.
Pricing people.
Hold on, just give me a second here, Hunter. This is really interesting to me because you want more evil robber barons, not less.
I want more evil robber barons.
Apartment
Who
owners
do you
are-
think
are
build
not
the
going to
apartment
be-
complexes, Hunter?
Yeah, they're not going to be doing cheap rent.
Yeah,
Like,
Hunter.
yeah,
Wait, I'm not even. I'm not even.
I'm
fucking
literally
following
right
a
now,
little
like
bit.
one of the things,
Apartment
one of my
owners are the
projects on my
slummiest
plate
of
right now
Multifamily housing is
is
run by landlords, isn't it? Is what
Oh,
you're saying.
of course.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you're
of course
asking
I
for
do.
more landlords to come into my
Of
suburb.
course I do.
Well, okay.
Of course I am.
These
well, hold on.
Blood-sucking
One of my
landlords.
projects right now is
Of course I am. What a
build to
dumb-
rent. We're building houses not to
Uh-huh.
sell them,
I know to
but
rent.
to
Build to
rent
rent is
them.
good.
build to rent, and it's
you'll own nothing and you'll love it.
You
That's
guys are
right.
so fucking
You will own
stupid.
nothing.
Let's move
and
everything to
love
the
it.
subscription model.
Here's my issue. Here's my issue. Renting. Americans are way too fucking obsessed with buying your fucking home. When you are a student or when you're someone who
I'm glad to know Hunter's on my side as an evil robber baron.
I'm not morally against landlords in any way. Even if I was, I couldn't legislate you out anyway. Because morally speaking,
To win, it's a
I don't know
win
if
for
he
the
was
evil
fighting
robber
you.
barons. It's a
I don't know if
win
he
for
was
the
fighting
evil
you.
robber. I'll
So
take
this is
it.
the issue.
Okay, so I
Hunter,
wanna-
is
I wanna
liberals
try to
are
never found
pro-
landlords
liberals are
the
pro
issue.
slumlords because you guys
I
think the
want
rents
to-
go down when we have more slumlords in the world. That's the issue.
Well, I won't be a
Okay.
slumlord,
Slumlords
but
can
I will
only
be an evil
exist.
robber baron.
I wanna
slumlords
try
can
to
only
move the
exist because you're
conversation.
taking advantage of a situation that is
I
largely.
want to try
built.
to. Okay, guys, I want to try to shift the conversation. We're gonna start a fight. Okay, all right.
The fight starts now.
Oh,
That's
now
fine.
we're
we
gonna
haven't
fight?
already started.
I want to start a new fight. Excuse me. So private.
Hey, by the way, so Prime, just give me 1 second. Before I forget about it, Lactoid, the typical contractor percentage of homeowner costs home building costs is about 40%. So where I would build a house for, say, I don't know, 150, 200 grand, you would spend 350 to 400 grand doing the same thing. Because you would pay the contractor 40%, and I don't do that. I'm my own contractor.
Hold on. You just said that you would have to pay the contractors to come build the house, though, right? You don't personally
No,
go out there and build
I
the
act
house.
as my own contractor. I deal with subcontractors, and I pay them as little as fucking possible.
Okay, so let me understand this correctly then. Are you
Mhm.
telling me that because, and maybe this is like this, I believe much more. You're saying that like as your position, because you're a
Mhm.
large contractor, because you can offer a lot of jobs, you have more negotiating power to reduce the price the subcontractors have to charge, as opposed to me, little old Lactoid,
No.
where if I try to go to
No,
subcontractors,
I'm saying
they're gonna
that
charge me more because I'm just one
You
guy.
have to pay a contractor's fee. He doesn't because he's a contractor.
So you can't act as your own contractor because you don't know even how to talk to these people. So you engage in what's called a general contractor, and he marks everything up by about 40%.
Well, now
And
he
the
knows
con-
that.
Sorry.
But I feel like maybe I hope I'm not being dumb. I'm pretty sure, like, okay, if I did, I guess, a little bit of homework, and I got to the point where I'm like, I figured out how to work with these subcontractors, I still think it's going to cost me like
Yeah,
$300,000
you could save yourself
$400,000
maybe 20 or
out of
30%. You could save yourself a good bit, but you got to know which crew. You got to know, man. I'm telling you, there's a bunch of shysters in contracting.
Yeah, Yelp.
Yo, you don't use Yelp. Don't use Yelp.
Okay, Google reviews.
Use
I
it
don't
this
know.
hypothetical world that Lactoid
This
thinks,
is
you
oh,
know.
come on. It sounds a little bit to me like you're a middleman. Like you're just
No,
kind
I
of
cut out the middleman.
No, he's the contractor.
you-
The contractor is the
I
middleman.
act as my
He is
own
a
contractor.
He finds
but-
people who,
But you're acting as a
Lactoid, when
contractor,
you-
right? Because you build the thing and then sell
Yeah.
it, don't you?
but he doesn't have to pay himself
No,
40%.
I build it and then I own it. But
Well, you
yeah.
build it and then you
I
own
could
it, but you
sell it.
obviously you rent it, right?
I rent it out to people. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay.
So you.
Yeah. So like when I
So-
built my sunroom, I got 3 quotes on it. The first quote was $160,000. The second quote was like 180 or something. And then I got one cheap ass quote for like 100. I built it for like 65,000.
Yeah. Well, here's what I suspect. Okay. Could be wrong. Talking a little bit out of my ass here, but I do strongly suspect this. That the reason why you're getting good deals is because you work with these people a lot. You are somebody they want to stay on the good side of, and you are somebody that they are going to do a lot of jobs for. And so you are able to negotiate lower prices in ways that everybody here in this panel simply can't.
We
That's my
could have a whole
guess.
conversation about how to deal with contractors.
Well, if I
Can't
build a
drive too
house,
nice a
I'll-
truck. You can't drive
Next
too cheap a
Monday.
truck.
If
you
I
got-
ever,
you
if
know,
I
all
ever build a house,
prime.
I'm gonna hit you up, and I'm definitely gonna
Sure.
ask for some advice. Yeah.
So, okay, I wanted to shift the conversation a bit. Private equity, bad. That's
Yeah,
my argument
obviously.
there. Bad. Well, hold on, not
Obviously.
our friends Lactoid and our friend Hunter
Yeah.
seem to think otherwise.
We're the hand
And
washers
so-
of fascism.
So,
Of course.
yeah, they don't think it's bad enough. They don't think
Lacto
it's
gets
bad
left,
enough.
Hunter gets the right hand.
I think
Wait, Hunter, let me present my argument first, and that's going to be part of Grid's argument, which was that most of these large corporations are going to do exactly what Grid did. They're going to set up small LLCs that are going to buy up as many as they can, right, and hold them off. So like there was a
whoa. Don't just move past that grid. Is that what you're saying? You buy?
not that he doesn't
Sounds
think that you
illegal.
could do that.
Just so you know, this
Wait, no.
sounds very illegal.
Doesn't sound illegal. Sounds
sounds-
like fucking not a way to make money. Yeah, I'm not gonna
Wait,
rent it.
wait. Not all of these.
No,
not
that
all
could
these,
make money.
private equity firms. Not all these private equity firms are trying to make
Yeah.
money, right? So there was when I was in college and I was in Ypsilanti, Michigan, downstream from Ann Arbor. There was a huge thing, a huge talk in the city about remember like 10 years ago when like Chinese
Hey,
corporations
everyone
were
quiet down.
buying up.
Money just came in.
my bad.
$50 from Doobie. Thank you, Doobie.
Shout out, dude.
It said, totally agree that general contractors are the devil. That's why you pay broke family
My
members
man
to do
Doobie.
most of the donkey work. Also, ignore Hunter, please. Americans should be obsessed with purchasing and holding a profitable property, right? Well, okay.
Yeah,
Doobie
I
as
have a
an
little
actual rich
disagreement. Yeah,
person,
I kind of agree with that.
Doobie as an actual rich person, I think would know. And Hunter
Wait,
as
hold
an
on.
actual
Obviously,
poor
it's gonna
person
make
wouldn't
money.
know.
I'm bad. I'm against that.
So wait,
I don't think my position is exactly fleshed out here. Just to be super clear, obviously, if you wait, what does it mean? Purchase and holding profitable property, like holding as in not renting that out.
Yeah,
How
living
could
in-
you
that-
should be obsessed with
I mean,
buying
okay.
a home and owning
Oh,
it.
yeah,
keeping
yeah.
a home.
living
or
in
holding
it.
it on your
Gotcha.
balance
Yeah.
sheet.
Hunter, imagine, leave it to Beaver. Okay, you have a wife, you have a husband, and you have 3 beautiful children, a white picket fence, and a
I
beagle.
like renting.
and you
And
live
no
in the
black
house
chicken.
and you own it. We can talk about that privately, but you own it. You own the house. This is good. It is good to have this level of stability. It's good to not have a deal with. I hate dealing with landlords. I hate the idea that somebody can walk into my house at any with just hey, I'm gonna check on my shit. No, you don't get to come into my house unless you have a badge and a gun and I have to let you in.
Lactoid likes the idea of shooting people.
So I'm
with
gonna
grenades
say
and
this.
bombs.
I'm gonna say this.
Um,
I love that when my toilet breaks, I just call someone up and just go, "You deal with it."
I
and don't even
replaced my
pay for it.
toilet. You
Yeah,
learn to
you
be
just
a
fix your
man by
toilet.
owning something, right? You gotta fix it.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
but
I hear you. I don't want to do that.
I
wanna
carried the
fucking do
whole
that
thing in.
shit.
It was heavy as shit, and I fucking
I
made it
don't wanna
work.
do that. I make someone else
Thank
do it.
you.
I
And then
say,
he grew
you
a beard like a
fucking-
real man.
Thank you, Doobie, for the kind $50 super chat. You can also super chat anyone else out there. If
Do
you
it.
want us to discuss your
And you can super chat
your
higher
comment.
amounts too. Just FYI.
Wow.
You can
more.
do that. That is also an option.
We should
right?
test the limit of how much you can super chat. Actually,
I think that's a perfect experiment. I've never seen the end of that rainbow. Let's see if it exists. There's certainly a pot of gold. I can
How many
imagine.
zeros can fit on that
for
space
sure.
there and on the super chat?
Exactly. What happens, right? Does it like roll over or anything? I don't know. Hold on, we got another one.
Ooh,
Another thing.
there we go.
Doobie. Thank you, DB. It says, I mean, purchase it, live in it, prepare it, and then rent it out. Selling it is haram.
Right,
Thank
true.
you.
Make
That's
make
right.
Interest is hot on.
Oh, we included
Can't
renting.
do it.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah. So do you agree?
Yeah, every
Um,
American should have 2 rental properties.
Should
I
be
agree.
obsessed with it.
Yeah, you should be obsessed with it. Yeah. What
I think
do you
the
agree,
only way-
Hunter?
I think if everyone had 2 rental properties, largely speaking,
They would be empty.
no. That's funny. Who would you rent to? Everyone's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Every man, woman, child, 2 rental properties. Can't fail.
No, I have a huge issue with this. Largely speaking, we have to be okay with our assets depreciating in value. Otherwise, like I think I'm not against people owning homes. I am against people owning homes and doing everything in their means to appreciate that asset, including restricting supply at their local city council meeting. That is what I am against. And I think that incentivizes that behavior. And if that incentivizes your behavior, you shouldn't be doing it.
Spoken
That's not
like
why
a true
people are
communist.
doing it, but it is a wait. Listen,
How is that coming?
people
He's,
don't
he's,
want to
he's asking
buy
for more competition, literally.
Yeah,
Like,
but like-
That's exactly correct.
Yeah, I know, but
That is-
but like there's a difference between buying a car, right? Buying a car and buying a house, right? No one's buying into a $300,000 property in like being okay that it's depreciating in value. Who would be? Why would anyone buy a property if like it was going to just go down in value? A car is a necessity. You have to have a car. You can
A
rent
house
if
is
you-
not a necessity. I'm not even following.
Wait, no. Owning a house for a lot of people feels like a necessity. Right? Unless you want to
Okay.
resort everyone to rent, that's fine. But no one is going to buy a house and have it like you'll have no one buying houses at that point.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I think
That
would
no
be
one buys
better.
houses.
Wait, hold on. Houses need to start depreciating in value. It's fucking crazy that the house market just keeps upticking, and this is largely because no one is building houses. If we start building houses, then housing values are going to start decreasing.
How many
And guess
people do
what's
you
going to
know
go?
that's paid off their houses?
Hold on. Guess what? That's going to happen. Rent is going to be cheaper.
Yeah. So how many people
All
do you
of
know
those-
have paid for their houses?
When is it going to be cheaper? Is actually
I've
is
paid
actually
in
the
full
question.
for my house, full for their houses, or mortgage their houses.
Yeah. How many people have paid their house off?
That I know.
On this panel or in life?
Just in real life. How many people
I
do you know?
genuinely don't think I know anyone.
Okay.
My parents paid off their house.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
I know tons of people who own their houses, but no, paid it off in full. No,
Well, you
very
don't-
few.
You only kind of own it. You and the bank own it, and the bank has a larger share.
Right?
So you're technically renting. You just get to rent at a lower rate.
Sure.
You're building equity,
No,
which is different.
Your house
Which
is
is different.
your house is collateral. I don't know if that's the same
So
thing.
so Hunter houses
No.
shouldn't build equity.
No. That's what happens in when we have built enough houses. No.
There will never be
I-
enough houses.
It will,
Hold on, hold on.
Yeah,
It should
what
keep
what
does
does
up.
that
mean?
even fucking mean?
Oh,
We
wait,
can
when
always
did
try
you
to
have
keep up.
enough housing?
Hold on.
Yes,
It should, at the
that-
very
that-
least, in an ideal market with pure equilibrium, which I agree is never going to be hit, but assuming a perfect equilibrium, it should at least keep up with inflation.
Wait,
What,
Lacta, are you
housing
okay with
values?
that?
No, they
wait,
should
wait,
be
Lacta, are you
decreasing.
okay with the
If you-
housing
if
market
you're
becoming something
fucking-
that
if it's
just
a 50
stays
to-
stagnant?
If it's a 50, hold on. If it's like a 50-year property, I lived in this place when I was just a student. It was like $250 to live there. It was crazy cheap. I probably picked up asbestos living there. It was crazy. And like it was falling apart. It was shit. That house is worth more than when it was built. That is a travesty. That
No,
doesn't make any sense.
hold on,
I,
but that's
wait,
simple
listen to what I
market.
said. Right, listen to what I said.
You said
though.
it should keep up with inflation.
Yeah,
The
with general
location that's
inflation.
No, that should
expensive.
probably
It's
be worth less than when it was built.
But it's probably the
Why
land
would
that
it
it's
be worth
on,
less?
right? It's the location that it's at. It's
Yeah, hold on,
why
it
it's more
depends.
expensive. Just
It
because the
depends.
building is run
Are they
down doesn't
making
mean
more
it-
land?
It depends. Hold on, I agree with you.
No, but you
if-
wait. Hold on.
Hunter,
Up, you can build up.
If you kept it up, if you maintain the
It can't go
property,
up.
if you maintain the property, I think that at the very least, then it like holding around inflation makes sense.
Oh,
I
sure,
agree.
sure,
If you
sure.
let it become
Consistently-
dilapidated, then sure, yeah,
Great. Okay, cool. That's all I'm saying.
it drops in.
Wait,
by the way,
but
it
but
does
even
kind
if
of
it's
drop in
dilapidated,
value.
if it's if
It
the
could,
neigh-
but
if the
largely
surrounding
not.
neighborhood,
In
if
some
the
areas, it
surrounding
doesn't
neighborhood,
because it's crazy right now. But
even
Yeah.
if it's dilapidated,
what I'm
right,
saying is
you-
the
you-
issue.
your guys' argument is wait, Hunter, your
Mhm.
argument is that building new housing and blah 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 should drive the price down, right? But like my argument is that like let's just say you have a dilapidated house on a block, right?
Uh-huh.
The entire block got renovated, but now I have the shittiest house on the block now.
Mhm.
Someone still wants to live on that block. They want to buy that land. They want to buy the property because the property's on this land on this nice block. That's why my property went up in value. Not be like that's just it.
You're looking at it that
The demand is there. The demand of someone wanting to buy my property for X amount because it's in this nice neighborhood with all this new build is why it's expensive.
The real issue that I have here with how you're viewing this is you're seeing price as necessarily tied to whether or not the places on your block have been renovated. And I'm saying the places on your block can do absolutely fucking nothing and they would still appreciate in value.
It depending on if the neighborhood. Wait, no. If
Yes.
if you live in a bad neighborhood where nothing in that neighborhood's getting fixed, your prices aren't going up. If
Yes,
you
they
live in a
will.
bad
Land will go
neighborhood
up
where-
Largely
because they don't make any
speaking.
more land.
Yes.
yes, but if you live in a shit neighborhood and then things start getting better around your neighborhood, the prices of your things, even if
Okay.
you don't fix them,
All
will go up.
else
That's
equal, the
literally what
price
it
of
is.
your house will increase. All
Hey,
else
Hunter,
equal.
Hunter, so let me ask something.
So then, like, I don't see what the
Well,
like
no,
your
I-
argument against that is.
Build more
I
housing.
don't
Like,
understand
I really
Hunter's.
want to hit that 20 times.
I really don't
Build more
understand
housing.
where
You
you're
build
going
more
with this.
housing and my house becomes more expensive because my area becomes
becomes-
more desirable.
No,
It's-
it doesn't. It
yes, it
doesn't.
does.
Because you're
Thank you,
increasing
Diddy,
the
for the
amount of supply.
$50. Oh.
It really is
Yeah.
that easy.
It really
So,
is.
so Hunter, let me ask something. So why do you think it's wrong for a piece of property that was worth, say, a piece of land that I could have bought 5 years ago for $500 an acre is now currently today worth $10,000 an acre?
Yeah, I think that's probably
Bare dirt.
indicative of an issue.
Why? What issue do you have with that?
It's
Why should
indicative
it
of an
not
issue.
be worth $10,000 an acre?
Wait, sorry. I think that you're taking a stand. It's indicative of an issue. I don't find it an issue in of itself.
What issue is it indicative of?
Wait. The land itself.
Dirt, bare dirt, was $500 an acre in 2020. It is currently today, 6 years later, worth $10,000 an acre.
I don't know if I have an issue with that.
You don't have an issue with that. So if
No,
a
bare
house
dirt.
that's built on
Hold
a piece
on.
of dirt goes up in value, it's because that piece of dirt has value intrinsically in and of itself.
Let me think about that. That is it. That is.
Because I don't care what the house is that's on it. The house can be a falling down piece of shit, but
Land
the
is what you're
dirt,
buying.
that
Location.
piece of dirt is worth money.
The location is what you're
The
buying.
fact
not
that
the-
it
not
has
the
a
building.
house on it now that can be renovated or torn down and rebuilt has value. You simply don't understand value, and therefore you just say,
Airspace.
"Well, I don't want it. I don't like it."
Even the air, like the
Wait,
airspace,
wait,
like
wait.
it's the
Hunter doesn't
location you're
understand
buying.
much, really, honestly. I think
Nice,
he's proven
Brian.
that.
Well, he understands hand
Hold on.
washing very well.
You're
Yes,
you're
he does.
It's a
saying
great hand washer.
you're saying that the land in America increased from $400 to $1,000. Laxwood, did you hear this?
yeah, I've been listening.
Hold on. I'm
Wait,
gonna.
I'm just going to clarify something. I might be because I don't actually know the answer, but like, do people truly own land in the United States?
Yes.
In some
Yes.
places, and in some places, they're about to be able to really own it because they're getting rid of property taxes.
Well, no. I think. Do you mean? Do you
goddamn
mean
right.
that? So hold on. I just because we talked about this lactoid, right? Like how under circumstances like the land under your feet, like after a certain distance, like it's not actually yours, and then like the
Mineral
government can
rights,
do-
and
Mineral
water
yeah,
rights, and all that.
yeah. And they can do things like they run pipes underneath your land, and technically you can't like fuck with those pipes and all that stuff. Is that what you're talking about, Corey?
That's what I'm getting at. Yes, as in like,
Okay.
but like, there's like it is actually like yours, and like you can do whatever you want.
Well, I mean, it
Not-
kind of
not in
depends
the
on who
true
owns the
American
contract.
Is it
dream
is it
fashion,
ownership in
no.
the same way as like a car?
Well, it kind of
No.
depends on how the contract's written, isn't it? Because if you have mineral rights, gas rights, all that sort of thing, then yeah. But if you don't, and they find natural gas there, and they want to tunnel in from the lot next door,
I mean, ultimately, I think
Well, then, so then you would
so-
agree that you're renting the land.
What?
Kind of, yes. If you're paying property tax, it feels like you're renting the land because if you don't pay the property tax, the government can come and take your land away. Yada, yada,
Well, I mean,
yada.
in theory, they could through eminent domain take your property anyway, but they have to reimburse you for it.
So at
And
least somebody has to,
sometimes
like,
it's not a bad idea to have eminent domain come in. To be honest with you.
$50. Thank you, Doobie, for the kindness. He says you can go online right now. And
That's
buy
true.
Large parcels of desert for like $30K, then just sit on it forever.
Well,
I guess-
yeah, my
I
dad's,
suppose you could.
my friend's grandpa bought land up north Michigan, like back in like the 50s, 60s for like I think $5,000 for like 100 acres or some shit. And today it's worth like it's pretty fucking pricey. It's around like $1 million because there was like oil reserves that they found on it that they own the rights to, and so on and so forth.
If
Like,
you get lucky, yes, you can buy like quote unquote worthless land.
well, no,
and then at some
you
point,
don't have to even
something
get lucky.
happens.
It's like right now, if
you're
you're
going to
looking,
pay taxes on that land.
Wait, yeah. If you look in up north Michigan, right? Like the taxes are going to be super low because they're not really like doing shit for the roads or so on and so forth. You can buy
Well, if it's
land in
unimproved
areas-
land, you don't. In some places, if it's unimproved, you don't pay property taxes. on
Yeah,
it.
so like, but like
Land
you can
value
buy
tax
land
would
in
fix
areas
this.
like there, like Hunter. To your point, there are cities that are kind of going up. There are people who are buying parcels of land and building apartments and building homes and so on. So the property value, like you can buy a piece of land right now for like 10 grand and wait 5 years. The surrounding areas are building. It's going to be worth a lot more money.
Yeah, hold on. If
Yeah.
you're saying there's land that's like in a place that's on the up and up, right?
Yeah.
I'm what Dubious talking about. But he says desert, right? I mean, it could actually be like sandy, right? But it could also just be a worthless plot of land, right? For
Yeah.
otherwise worthless, and
Well,
like
worthless
the
now.
one that no one could like reasonably speculate would go up in value, right? But like there's like a lottery system here. One of those pieces of plots of land is going to go up in value for some reason, right? Some reason that might not be foreseeable, right? Like so, for instance, the AI boom.
People
I
want to
already
own
see-
do a
I
lot of
land.
already
plots
see the
of
problem
land.
with this one.
Yeah, people want to own land.
Well,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got a
you're
scenario.
right.
So
It's
there
like
were people.
lottery.
Hold on. Actually, go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
there's a reason why you got to be careful playing the lottery because there's you're missing out on the benefit of investing that money in other things that are going to make you money, as
Mhm.
opposed
Yeah.
to potentially in this case losing money. You're paying
but
taxes on
this
that.
is
In most
stock,
cases
right?
that I know of, maybe there's some jurisdictions that don't.
I don't think
charge,
you pay
um,
taxes on desert land in Arizona unless you build something on it.
Well,
But-
I'll tell you-
I don't know.
I'll
Maybe
tell you
it's
what.
true in Arizona. I'm not sure. But then
It
here's
is
the
an
here's the
interesting
thing.
thing, though.
you know what you're
adverse
y'all keep
possession.
saying you
Have
can't
you-
make
if you
land?
guys
Very important
driven-
thing to keep in mind.
Well, what was the average possession? What is that?
So
Can you tell
one of the
us
classic
quickly?
cases they have us read.
I'm
in,
gonna get to you, Gibbs.
Yep, one of the classic cases they have us read in law school. I forget the name of it, but there's companies that do this. There are companies that will buy large tracts of land, and they're holding companies where they'll sit on the land, hope it goes up, hope that somebody needs it, or maybe they have some reason to believe that someone's going to need it, and then they sell it at a profit. That's the idea. And so one of these companies was bought up a shit ton of Alaskan land for dirt cheap, right? And there was these hippies that showed up one day, and they wandered on over this property, and they just set up shop because, I mean, who's going to stop them, right? These people owned the land on paper, but nobody was coming around and shooing them off or whatever. So they had a little shed, a little tie
They
dye.
made meth.
Yeah. They were,
Made meth.
this was before meth. This was back when weed and coke. This was before meth. Maybe some
Okay.
Quaaludes. Okay.
Yeah.
And in America, if you sit on land for long enough, it becomes yours.
Yep,
legally.
squatters' rights.
So if you I forget
by
what it is.
state
I think-
again.
Yeah, it's state by state. I know that like in California, I think California is one of the shortest time periods. I'm pretty sure it's like 3 years or something.
In Michigan, it's by encroachment. You have to literally encroach on, like, you have to territorially take someone's land and kind of claim it. And
This
then
is how it
becomes
works.
yours.
Yeah, this is how it works in every state. You have to go onto the land, set up shop, and basically act like it's your land. if
And you
do
have to
this-
improve it.
Yeah, yes. Well, improvements go towards the argument that you've adversely possessed the land. And so in this case, the hippies, they got the property and they got to keep the property for the little commune, and the holding company they're just shit out of luck. They lost their investment, they lost the land, over. And so if you loan large pieces of like undeveloped property, like I would visit that place every once in a while. Like keep in mind the kind of years you're looking at, make sure you're surveying it properly, make sure other farmers, because this is the big thing that happens most of the time as farmers. Well, they'll start plowing or seeding a little bit more into your land over time.
Mhm.
That's usually how it happens. So you got to be careful about that.
So,
Interesting.
so as far as undeveloped tracts of land and buying it and that sort of thing, if you've driven down 40 through Arizona and New Mexico, you'll look on either side and you'll see these big things that are spinning around. They're called windmills. They generate electricity and whatnot. And
Did you think we not know what windmills were?
well, some people, I can't make any assumptions here. And what they do, what these companies did is they went around to all these people that own this land that has literally nothing on it but fucking cactus, and they paid them a lot of money to go in and build these and put these windmills in, and they pay them every year to have those windmills on that property, and it's worthless, literally worthless desert land, and yet those people are getting a paycheck every month for land that they probably paid for 100 years ago or whatever.
Let's get to our friend Gibbs.
Yeah, y'all keep saying that we can't make land, and that's not technically true. I've been thinking about this.
Dubai's done it.
Well, that's true. We also have people use old oil rigs, they convert into other stuff, and I'm just going to bring up that liberal hot word that everybody likes to use, climate change. Even that desert land, that might soon be beachfront property if you sit around.
Could be.
Enough. And then you could just be rich and have the only, your forefathers invested in this land. So I don't know if I really am buying that we can't make more lands. In fact, we've cleaned out swamps. Houston is basically on top of a swamp. New Orleans is basically land.
We could also take Cuba.
They've even extended New Orleans, if I recall.
Or we can build up.
They took built the little dikes, and then they built.
It costs a lot of money to build up.
Yeah,
To be
because of
clear,
regulations.
Climate change wouldn't make more land, right?
We've already done that. Though. We've already made
Taking
more land.
property
The
taxes
land
will
will
cost so much
change,
money.
right? Like the desert becomes beachfront property.
But I get what he was saying, but I'm saying it's also it doesn't make.
Well, that land would be useful.
So I want to bring it back.
I want to bring it back to the private equity.
Let me
do that, Ollie.
Also,
me and Hunter were in the middle of the conversation about it.
I've created lots of land.
No. I want to jump in. Sorry, I don't want you guys to go. I want to do it.
It's your panel.
Thank you.
You don't want me to
thank
jump
you.
in?
I appreciate you.
Fine.
Listen, I'm
I
just
thought we
a
were
guest
friends.
on your panel. You're supposed to be the moderator. We're supposed to be goofing it up, but okay, I got you.
Calling you
Whatever
out.
you want, Prime. Whatever you
Go ahead,
want.
Prime. You have my permission. Go ahead.
You're supposed to be the moderator, but
It's
in reality,
okay, all right. So I want to engage with our friends. I want to engage specifically with Lactoid and Hunter, but other people can jump in as well, especially if we have disagreements. So yeah, private equity equal bad, right?
Mhm.
Now, that's the short end. That's what goes on the signs, right? Like the protest signs. But private equity is just like an investment model, right? That's what it is. And gathering private money and then focusing it on a problem, whatever it may be. Which is, I think, in itself fine. But like how private equity tends to behave in certain markets, certain industries, that's where we have an issue. So specifically, we're talking about housing here, right? And private equity in housing has pretty much been shown to be parasitic. They are a detriment to the housing market, and I wanted to make a distinction here, right? Because our friend Hunter at the very start of this, he said, "Why wouldn't you want corporations within housing? They're going to solve the housing problem." That's a weird statement just off the bat, but still, I understand what he's. I think I understand what he's trying to say, and that like the legislation is pushing out entrance to the market to like maybe could increase supply or something
New
like
builds.
that. But specifically, when we're talking about private equity, like what they're talking about is not like pushing corporations out. Corporations are in the housing market one way or the other. They're in there. But they're talking about this investment strategy and the negative externalities that it brings to this industry, and that's why private equity should be pushed out. I disagree with Lactoid, Corey, and Hunter were talking about before. Oh, private equity isn't a big deal. Actually, it is a big deal in terms of certain parts of the housing market. Yes, actually. And it's weird that you guys are saying otherwise. So I'm going to stop there. I have lots to say on this, right?
Okay.
But I want to give you guys a chance to have a back and forth with me.
Well, you didn't really stipulate the negative externalities or counter our argument
you want
that
me to say
they
more?
make
It's
up less than
bad.
one. Wait, hold on. Two things.
Sure.
First off, I'd love to hear more about those negative externalities.
Sure.
Second, I'd love for you to counter our argument, which is that they make up less than 1% of the housing market.
I won't counter that at all.
Okay.
Actually, no. The
So
thing
tell us
is,
why they matter nonetheless.
okay, I will tell you exactly why, Hunter.
Can I just
Um,
clarify something? Just quick, like, are you saying that like it's private equity that has like that is the disproportionate effect on the housing market, or you're just saying that it has an effect? Because I don't dispute that it has an effect. I'm just saying it's like it's not a
Just to be
significant
clear,
effect.
I'm talking about institutional investors, not private equity.
Well, I'm talking about private equity because I don't know why. Don't let's not expand this conversation.
No. But that's who make
we
up.
were
1%
talking about
of
private
the
equity.
No, that's who make up 1%, less than 1%, and that's who
Yes.
banned from the Road to Housing Act.
Exactly that. So that's the thing we're talking about right now.
Right, not private equity.
Hold on. Sorry, Hunter. What are you doing here? Private equity was one mentioned in the legislation, correct?
Well, institutional investors is who we're talking about.
Correct.
Which is
But
the
private
same,
equity-
I
Not
think,
just
in this
private
case. So I don't know
equity.
what the.
If what you're referring to is the exact same, because I think institutional
BlackRock.
investors is a larger group there. But whatever, it's fine. Okay, if you're saying the same thing, then I'm not going to.
Yeah,
Sure,
we're
just continue,
both
sorry.
referring to BlackRock and BlackRock-esque entities, right? That's kind of what we're talking about.
Okay. Oh yeah. If you're talking to me, then yes.
Okay.
yeah, sure.
All right.
Mhm.
Fair enough.
All right. So all right. There's no confusion then. So yes, indeed, it does make up about 1% of the housing market. But right, that's the national housing market. Obviously, housing isn't a national asset; it's a regional asset, right? Like the housing market changes from place to place, right? We have different prices. And different conditions in terms of how many people are around, like in terms of demand and supply, and the laws, regulations governing it. That's where it matters, right? And then from there, not just like the concentrations of private equity in these different cities, right? Because like the distribution is uneven here. Not just that, but it's also what part of the housing market we're talking about. So in terms of single family homes, they're not nearly as big of an issue, but in terms of single family, like bought single family homes, but single family rented homes, they're a bigger issue. And then for apartment buildings, based on multifamily renters, apartment buildings. That's
What's the issue with them owning the single family rental homes? What's the issue?
Excuse me.
Do they deliver an inferior product?
So it depends. They could. So then I'm gonna focus on is the apartment buildings. I know less about the single family home rental. I think a lot of the things I say are going to carry over there, but I don't want to die on that hill. So I'm going to focus on the apartment buildings. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like on those apartment buildings, right? Their ownership. Those are what we've seen is a clear pattern of the quality of the living there becomes less, right? The amenities become less. The prices go up, And
Can you give me an
have
example of that?
overall, I will. I
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
will.
do you have a link or something I could look at?
I will provide you with one. 1 second.
Okay.
Let me finish my point. But I will provide you with something. So not only do prices go up, quality goes down. There may not necessarily be a slumlord necessarily, but they are trying to extract value and value very quickly. We can get back to what that means later on. So there's that, and also one last thing, it takes away choices. So when you have these large institutional investors, we can use that term, operating within these like discrete housing markets, because there's a bunch of housing markets, not just the one, not just the national, but in these local housing markets, at some point for renters, when they're moving about, they lose access to competition. Though sometimes, and we definitely know they do this, they come up with a bunch of different names, right? They'll call themselves, they have a bunch of different LLCs under one investor, and you think you have some choice there, but it's an illusion. And then, of course, that also goes into like setting prices, because they're not going to compete against each other, right? They get to raise prices in a way across the board. And the bigger they are within the market, the more
which companies
have the ability
McKinley and Ypsilanti is a good example of this.
Which one? I'm sorry.
McKinley in Ypsilanti, Michigan. They own like most of the apartment complexes in Ypsilanti. Go ahead, Prem.
No problem. I'm going to provide you. No worries, friend. I'm going to provide you with a link, and I'm going to refer to this article a bunch, so it's worth taking a look at. I'm going to put it in our group chat.
So I guess my experience with dealing with private equity and investor type deals. Well, first of all, so when I first moved back to Tennessee, and we were in a unique situation. We didn't really know where we were going to buy a house, and we still own a house in California and another one in Colorado and some other stuff, but that's irrelevant. And so we actually rented from American Homes for Rent or Progress. No, it's Progress Rental, and their one of their big investors is, I think, Vanguard or BlackRock. I think it's BlackRock. And but BlackRock doesn't actually have any control over what Progress does. They just give them a bunch of money and expect to see a return out of it, right? Progress does all of their, that they just do what they do. And same thing with American Home for Rent and Liberty and all of these other companies that, in fact, I think pretty much the entire neighborhood that I lived in ended up being owned by either Liberty or Progress, right? And so literally, like every time a house would sell, it was Progress or Liberty that bought it, and they turned it into a rental. Now they did a great job during my, when I lived in that house. If the AC went out, it was a single phone call. They had somebody there within an hour. They had somebody on call all the time. They had a maintenance guy. When we moved in, the house it didn't look brand new. It was an older house, but it was clean and the paint was good and everything. Carpet was new. So I don't have the experience with these with what you're talking about. Now maybe it's because I'm dealing with homes and not apartment complexes.
It's the locations that you're dealing with too, right? Like
sure. I'm sure, but I mean, I think nationwide that standard's pretty well kept because you're right. People want to maximize profits, and the truth is that no matter how desperate people are, they will look for the best deal they can get. And if what you are offering is a pile of shit, they're not going to want it. They're going to go somewhere else, right? And so it doesn't behoove someone,
or they're just going to take it because they have to.
Yeah, it can go.
Weren't you just saying that you could move out of the country if you wanted to?
I could.
Yeah, you'd have to plan for it. You and Lactoid keep holding this against me as if I'm saying you could just pick up tomorrow and go. This is
I want to. So before we get distracted, all right, I'll let you go, Gibbs. But I do want to jump because I don't want to get distracted here. Go ahead, Gibbs. Gibbs, you're muted, friend. You want to say something?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Prod. I'll go after you if you don't mind, because I want to move the topic a little bit to something else, part of the problem.
But I mean, so let's. I guess my perspective on this is different because I'm not as familiar with the apartment complex side, and I don't deal with apartment complexes. I think that there are a lot of trouble in there. It's where you lose
Yeah.
money. Although
Uh-huh.
we may actually be we may be investing in one shortly. So I don't know. Maybe I'll listen to
Yeah.
what you guys are saying here.
Yeah. And we still love your perspective. So, to our friends, Hunter and Lactoid, I don't know, other white guy, whatever. But sorry. Yeah.
We're called the
So
base
it seemed
department.
like I want to understand your position here, right? So I don't mischaracterize you, because maybe we're not as far apart as maybe I think, right? So I want to make sure I understand. Do you all think that private equity, right, or institutional investors, we can use whatever term you like, being able to buy up these large amounts of rental units within a housing market, right, a hot housing market, do you think that is a neutral thing? Do you think that is a beneficial thing? Do you think it's a negative thing? We start there and work our way down.
So I glanced through your article.
It's a very
when
long
it-
article. It's a very
yeah,
long article.
I
yeah.
skimmed it. It seems
Mhm.
like I don't want to misquote it, so I'm going to give a little summary. It seems like what they're saying is some private equity firm bought up this apartment building and didn't upkeep it at all, and it just went to shit. Is that a
So
fair
they-
summary?
They
That
focused on-
was what I looked at, but I took 2
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
So they focus on one in particular to tell the story, but like to be clear, like it's a larger story than that. But you're correct. They focus on a company called Greystar that bought a specific apartment building, and they told the story through that lens. But go ahead, yeah.
I think that the only reason that they were unable to really that they were able to do something like that is because they're taking advantage of a situation, which is dwindling supply in America. I think that if you have a proficient or a sufficient amount of housing, which by the way, we're 3 million short, we're 3 million units short in America, that you wouldn't be able to do this. If you don't upkeep the place, the office would move and they would move to a cheaper location nearby that was able to take care of their needs. But because they don't have enough options available to them, that the people are able to take advantage of them. So I'm against the private equity firms taking advantage of these people, but I also think that the reason why this is occurring is because they have the ability to.
Well, wait, what if it's not
I-
necessary? What if it's not necessarily taking it?
Here.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So before then, sorry guys, I just want to focus on a few
Yeah.
things. I want to get and I sorry, you have your hand up, Gibbs? Is that
Yeah. I just whenever y'all. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so Lactoid, I want your opinion on that question I asked.
Yeah, I got no problem with private equity. I read through the article.
All of
There's
it?
no way you read
Already?
that fucking
There
article.
is when it goes into history. There's a middle section where it goes into the history of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae.
Mhm.
I did skim that part, but I read the first part. There's like a first chunk that it's Hunter summarized it pretty accurately, which it's mostly just like an anecdotal. This one came in and made shit suck, and talks about how like they pursue higher profit margins for their investors, and then there's the last part that kind of goes back to that, and then there's a middle part that explains the history of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. The article definitely is.
Oh my God, who is clicking? Please, someone is doing a lot of clicking. Please, someone's the mouse clicking or something. Okay,
There's a couple stats.
it's probably Gibbs.
Yeah,
It's not me.
There's a
I'm
couple.
not doing anything. I'm just sitting here. I'm just.
Yeah, we can hear you about to take a hit.
Yeah, you can hear that. You can hear that, but
Yeah,
keep
we
going.
can hear that. Sorry, go ahead.
There's a couple stats in here, but I mean the article is clearly there clearly is like a slant. So like for example, I'm going to read this part of the article. Quote, another advantage for Wall Street-backed landlords is their ability to wield influence in state and local politics, she said, shaping decisions that make a big impact on renters. 2018, for example, Blackstone, different than BlackRock, spent more than $6.2 million fighting a ballot initiative that would have allowed rent control in California cities. First of all, good. The fact that rent control is even being listed by this article as any kind of good thing, I think, is indicative of something.
True.
But two, nothing in here really like makes me concerned that once again this is
You haven't read
a
the whole thing, to be very clear. But go ahead. That's fine. Sorry, it's fine. But you just haven't read the whole.
I
thing.
have
got
read
an
a
AI summary.
I have read a disproportionate amount
He's
of
read
this for the amount
enough
of
to make an
time
opinion.
for the amount of time that I've had it. I have read more than enough to have an opinion. I've read probably
You
95%
can have
more
an
than
opinion, but
Americans have read this and come to an opinion. I even found this is a paragraph like 3/4 down the page, Prime, that I found.
You
I'm
skimmed
just-
through it, and then you found the
I
one thing. I knew
skimmed
you
through the
skimmed
part
through
they were
it.
talking about the history of Fannie Mae and
Okay,
Freddie
all right,
Mac.
it's fine. No,
I
it's
don't
fine.
need
I'm
to
sorry.
know
I'm sorry.
about
I'm
that.
sorry, friend.
I need to know what
I'm
their
sorry,
point
friend.
is when it comes to
Go
is it a
ahead.
good
It's
thing when
okay.
private equity firms
It's
they
okay,
come in
right?
and,
Yes.
when the private equity
Okay.
firms come in. So far, what this article has demonstrated is that they are very effective at destroying incredibly terrible policy. So that's good, great, fucking awesome, way to go, Blackstone. But then the other thing here is, yeah, I'm not seeing whether it be through this or whether it be through anything else, that I'm not seeing anything here that to me concerns me all that much. Once again, this article is about apartment units in large apartment complexes, which are going to be owned by companies to begin with, as opposed to, I think, what this bill targets, which is single family homes, which is a absurdly small percentage that are owned by institutional investors, including private equity.
Yeah,
so,
but,
I mean,
Well, I want to.
real quick. So, to the extent that this is related, because it's not super related to this bill, but to the extent that this is related, I have no problem with a company, regardless of what they call themselves, coming in and buying out the property of another company and then making changes, some of which might lose them renters, as the article explains. One of the complaints was, well, then they raise the price and then higher income people come in and move in. Okay. And
Right. What's the issue there?
what's the issue there? Sometimes you're
Oh
going to
my
want to market
God.
to a higher income group of people. And
For
then
sure.
the places that they leave open up.
But okay, so this is the issue that I'm having right here. I'm like looking at this bill.
I'm looking at their Yelp page, and I got to be honest with you. I think that's a hit piece, Prime. I'm not sure that there's anything factual in that thing that you sent.
You haven't read
I
it,
don't-
so let's start with that.
So
Their
I-
Yelp page is like
I'm going to read the
like-
whole thing, even including the fucking Freddie Mac part. I'm going to read the whole thing.
Okay, so-
Here we go.
You get over
So I've read whatever you just posted, but I have been reading through this bill right here.
that.
Right? And
Someone's
so I-
honest. Thank you, Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to what Joe was saying, and it kind of got me wondering because part of this that we talked about was the zoning laws, right? And so I started diving into this, and there's some kind of interesting stuff in here, right? And so one of the things they want to do is they want to have you updating zoning codes and regulatory process, adopting pre-approved pattern books of housing designs and speed of approvals for ADUs, duplexes, townhomes, etc.
Sorry, what are you saying? I don't understand. What are you saying?
All right,
Can
so
you
they're
repeat
using
that?
pre-approved pattern books, right? So it's basically they're just going to be like slop. It's just going to go in. They're just going to be like regular, the cheapest kind of houses you throw up together, whatever you go. And then it also includes like preformed, like kind of like prefab stuff. And then it goes in here and it talks about how it's going to incentivize low-income housing and all sorts of stuff like this. I don't know that this is what I was really expecting when I'm reading through what it's going to do for the zoning. When I was thinking the zoning, I was thinking, I deal with a lot of like, we have land all over Texas, right? And so in some neighborhoods, there's oil. Well, what you'll do is you'll build an oil well and then you'll build a shell of a house around it, which is kind of what I thought they were talking about here. That's not really what they're talking about. They're not saying that they're going to make it easier to build houses in areas where there weren't houses before. It seems like what they're doing is they're going to just like throw a bunch of cheap crap and they're going to try to make low-income housing, lower property values, like lower all these things. And like, I don't know that this is actually as good as it's been sold now that I'm really in depth into this. I got some concerns, especially in regards to how they're doing the zoning. Do y'all have any thoughts on this?
So I don't want to.
I don't understand zoning. To be fair,
I
that's never my
actually
argument.
really want to focus on this part.
Can,
I'm
what
sorry,
does-
I don't want to?
can I focus on it,
I-
because like I want to because
Okay.
okay, so like Hunter, what's the problem with what Prime was illustrating was that like a company comes in and buys a majority of the apartment complexes within within like a neighborhood. So like I'm gonna relate it to the college town where it was like McKinley. They buy it up. If there's now no competition, and even with the money that they're making, they're building new apartment complexes, but it's under their name, under their tag, under whatever. So it's not like the prices are going down; the prices are going to be going. There is no competition.
Sure. If there's no competition, then that's a monopolistic practice, and I'm against it.
Okay, so
So hold on. No, I don't want to, guys. I don't want to focus. So and I see your hand there. Like, yeah, you're talking about what's the problem. Well, yeah, the problem is that when you take away choice, then it allows these renters to abuse tenants, right? That's the thing, right? You're saying,
It
hey,
only
it doesn't
allows-
matter if we
They operate under different
but-
LLCs with one
Hold
like,
on, hold on,
oversight.
hold on. You are going to have to point to very, very, very specific examples where an entire institutional investor is able to take over an entire fucking city because
No,
largely
hold on.
speaking,
Stop.
being a fucking
weasel.
I'm
No,
talking.
no, I'm not going to stop because you're being a fucking weasel. No, I never said they're going to take over an entire city, right? There is no example of them taking an entire city. I never said that, right?
Okay,
that's
then what are we
I'm not gonna
talking
give you
about?
that
Wasn't that
dumbass answer,
McKinley?
right?
Isn't
And
that what
so,
the
no,
McKinley
that's
example
really
was?
stupid. That's really stupid. I was very specific in
Okay.
what I said previously.
I was
said, hey,
responding
the
to
more-
Ollie, by the way, but go ahead.
The more. Did Ali? Did you say one of them was going to take over an entire city?
It's not that they take over entire cities, but
Is
you
that
have
not what
like
McKinley
large groups
is?
of people who are buying out. You have companies that are buying out apartment complexes, right? And if like one of them owns 7 different apartment complexes under different names, right? One's like Spice Street,
Well,
one's
but
Longmeadow.
hold on.
one's whatever, so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
The bill doesn't. The bill that was just passed doesn't really apply to apartment complexes. It
I
applies
know.
to
He
single family.
changed the conversation.
We
He changed
understand
the
that. Hold on.
conversation.
Yeah,
to
we're
this,
moving the conversation.
So they're operating under different names, like some
I
will be Spice
understand.
Street, some
So
will
they're
be
taking
whatever.
over an entire city under different names. Yes.
No, an entire
not
city.
an entire
I'm
city.
not
Entire
following.
city?
Then what are we talking about?
All right, hold on. We're talking about private equity taking over apartment buildings. We didn't say the entire city worth of apartment buildings. You didn't have
No,
to.
but
do that.
no. Why can't they just move to a different part of the city that's not owned by this institutional
Why can't?
investor?
Yes, exactly. Hold on. When you take
Well,
up,
it's 'cause
we
that's
just-
what I was
we just
talking
had
about
a-
with the zoning
we just had a
and the
conversation.
incentives.
We just had a
Wait, hold on.
That's
conversation.
exactly what I was
Wait,
talking
about-
about.
Shut the
Hold on.
fuck up, Gibbs. I don't know what you're saying. I'm
Well, hold
trying
on,
to
hold on.
listen
This
to
is
Prime.
hold on. I've been quiet this whole time, and this
Fair.
is
I'm just
exactly
trying
what
to
I was
listen
just
to
talking.
Prime.
This is. Well,
I know.
This is
That is
exactly
fair.
what y'all been. I was just talking about with regards to like how these are going to be taken over, what they're going to zone, what buildings are going to take, what's the prefab, what they're like incentivizing, how they're going to use old buildings. This is everything I was just talking about, and you're like, oh no, and now you're like, oh okay, now let's talk about it. It's kind of crazy. Y'all are just like making a fool.
So what I was saying, hold on. What I'm saying is that like you can become a big enough buyer, right, and a big
Okay.
enough player within a market, right, where you can start dictating terms, right. You don't have to be
3
the only
companies on all
player. Great.
apartments.
So hopefully you understand that, Hunter. Great.
Right.
So now that we've understood that, that will be the problem. You're saying, hey, first of all, why can't these people just move, right? Like after we had a conversation about the difficulties of like moving out of the country, yeah, it's not the same, but it's also difficult for people to move from one place to another,
Okay.
right? To upend their lives, to destroy whatever they had going on. Maybe their work is close to them. Now maybe they have to travel much farther away, and this happened not because there was some sort of change in the market, right? Only because this company, which we could say this investment firm, bought it up and decided to make these changes. Right? There wasn't some sort of a massive change. They just simply did this. They imposed this upon this. And you're like, well, why can't they just immiserate the population? This is a very liberal way of thinking, of course.
Hold on,
Yeah, like
hold on,
what
just
difference would it make, right? Why don't we just
Also,
move these
Lactoid,
people
stop reading
around?
that
It actually
stupid
does
fucking article.
cause.
Jump in
Almost
when
done.
it is.
Almost done.
I don't know. I'm like
Yeah, hold on. So hold on.
I'll respond.
Okay, well, while we're doing that, sorry, hold on, guys. I'm gonna do this myself. You guys were talking a lot. I'm gonna talk now. So Hunter,
Yes.
like, does it does the quality of the lives of the citizens of a region, of a location, does that matter at all, right?
Yes, I
Or
would say it
can a
does.
corp? Oh, it does. Okay, good.
does,
All right,
it
so then you
does.
would say. So then on the other end, then you would say
Mhm.
that that would inhibit the ability that. Then we should be allowed to inhibit the abilities of corporations to immiserate them.
I would say insofar that it would help them, sure, but I don't think it would help them.
How would it not help them?
Because largely speaking, wait, hold on. Fuck. We got so lost to the point. Here's the point. I'm not even gonna answer that question. I want to get to your main point.
build more apartments to affordable. That's the point.
No, I'm
No,
gonna go.
no,
I'm gonna address
let's say
Prime's
it.
point. I'm addressing Prime's
Sure.
point. Prime's point is, okay, I want to be super clear. I don't want this is a question because I think that I understand you. Maybe I don't. Okay, you're saying an institutional investor can take up a large enough part of a town's houses insofar that they can determine how those houses are operating, and they can ensure that prices don't go down, and they can reduce competition within a city. Is that fair to say or no?
Within a city, and specifically a type of
A
housing
region.
market
We'll
as
say a
well.
region, like a small part of a city.
No, I hear you, right? But I'm saying, like, I'm just adding one other part to this, right? Because
I would say you have. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just very quickly, just one other part to it, right? Because what we're talking about here is that they're not going after just any type of housing, right? They focus on specific sectors, right? Our friend Ali talked
Sure.
about like them buying college dorms
neighborhoods,
or
yeah.
whatever, right? Yeah. Like in the article, it does say that maybe Lactoid read it. Of a point where they private equity switched to that type of investment strategy. So, but in this particular investment strategy, we're talking about apartment buildings. So that sector of the housing market in that region. But go ahead.
Sure. I'm going to say, also, Grid does want to get in here, but I do want to answer.
Yeah, I'm
your
trying to be
question.
very polite here, but I it's fine. I'll listen to the.
I do want to say, first off, if a company is overtaking an entire sector of houses, yeah, I would be against that.
Okay,
Second-
let me ask you, Hunter. So
Hold on,
let's just say,
no. Before you jump in, I want to get this out because we're gonna move away from this. So Hunter, right? I got questions for Hunter. You got a question for Lactoid. I'm gonna get those questions.
I
asked,
do have
right?
to answer
So-
this. I do think, first off, housing is one of the most diversified assets in America. It's owned, largely speaking, by mom and pops. Like it's not like food. It's not like stores. It's like this is almost solely
God.
built by landlords who are just grandparents who own their house
Oh
and
my God.
are giving
Can-
it.
can
to
I-
their-
Oh my God.
look,
No,
Hunter, let me-
no, don't. I want to focus on one thing.
I'm
fragment.
So I'm
focusing
going to
on
say
this one
you're going
thing.
to have to be really specific with these incidents that you're referring to are going to be very sparse between them. It's not this global national issue, but those
So-
times that they occur,
Yes,
sure,
exactly
they're bad.
what I said.
Hunter,
Exactly, right? It's not a
Hunter,
global
can I-
national issue.
if I may.
I just not please not yet. I just want to handle this myself.
Yeah, shut the
okay?
fuck
Right?
up, Grid. All right, the boys
So
are talking.
we'll get to you, Grid. I promise, Grid. We're gonna get to you.
Watch
yeah.
it.
So the sorry, I didn't.
Yeah,
say
I
that.
read the whole article.
Oh, thank you, Lactoid. Okay.
Yeah, Grid was
but,
right. It's a hit piece. Go ahead.
Okay,
I know because I read really
it
fast.
seemed like shit for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. So, like it's not just one company, and they don't, like I said previously.
No, but it
they
is
don't
one
have
company.
to-
It's just under different
No.
LLCs.
That's a strategy that some of these investors do, right? And that does indeed limit competition. But there could have been multiple companies doing the same thing. But in effect, right, we have
An
a bunch of
oligopoly.
companies-
Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, you know the name, but I'm saying in effect, we have a block of housing that's taken away, right, from these other types of ownership strategies that offer it's seemingly different results, right? Have a pattern of offering different results to this one strategy that has to have high returns very quickly. So, why the problem with private equity? Private equity is, and Lactoid knows this because he read the article. Private equity, their funds often last for 10 years, right? Like that's the life of the fund. And within that 10 years, they have to get returns, right? And so within that set time frame, hey, I got to buy up housing, right? I got to institute some change, right? And then I have to get a return on that investment. A private equity is trying to do extremely high returns on that investment. So how do you do that? Well, you could maybe, right, buy up the housing and then make improvements. What our friend Good talked about that, right? He says he buys up housing and he makes improvements that raises the property value, right? And if you can't buy it, well, whatever, right? I just made like more quality housing. That's your problem, not my problem. Okay, that's one thing. Or you could just buy up the property, jack up rates, right? Apropos of actually doing nothing, right? Reduce services, like it was shown in the article, which Lactoid knows because he read it. And you can make the experience worse, right? Or actually adding anything into it, right? As opposed to other ownership strategies that aren't on a time limit. they don't have to make their money back immediately. They can hold this property for a long time. And when you
What
do
what
that,
ownership
it
strategy?
encourages- hold on a second. And when you do that, it also encourages a longer term thinking. Well, we're not trying. There's not an asset I have to get off my books immediately, right, within a 10-year time span, right? I don't have to get this off my books immediately. I'm actually trying to create relations, have good customer service, and so we don't have to engage in predatory practices. So yes, it makes a difference. The incentives are the problem, not simply that like private equity did it, right, where the money comes from. No, it's the incentives that are aimed at extracting as much value as possible in a short amount of time. There you go.
Okay, real quick.
Okay, may I please?
Go ahead, Grid.
Please, because Hunter, I want to ask you something. If
Yeah.
I, for example, owned 65% of the available apartments in a town, would you say that I had like a monopoly?
Not even probably not. It would depend on how rent.
But would I meet your threshold for
affected.
for being the bad guy
It depends if
and
rents are
controlling costs? 65% is a lot of doors, and every unit that I own is around 100 doors, maybe more.
It would. I don't even understand. It depends on the market. Like I don't know
So
what the. No.
I
Here's the
got you.
thing.
I got you.
Here's the
Keep
thing.
going. Keep going.
I don't know how much you would need to own in order to stabilize the price and reduce the quality of the homes without lowering.
Why
costs.
would that reduce? Why does that in your mind it inherently reduces the quality of the home that I would own 65%?
No, it
Why would I
doesn't.
do
This
I didn't-
bill
I said
inherently
otherwise.
reduces the value of the homes. That's what I keep trying to tell y'all. The way I'm reading this, it's literally the way it's laid out. The incentives, it incentivizes.
Grid,
you
I think
to
you're
make
misunderstanding
shittier
me.
prefab homes as opposed. to
I could be. That's why I'm. That's why I'm
like-
trying to. I'm
Sure.
trying to ask you these
I'm
questions.
saying.
I
I'm
wanna
saying.
understand.
Obviously, if you have 100% of homes,
Mhm.
you can do whatever you want with the homes and not decrease the prices.
Well,
I don't know if 65% you're
so,
able to do that. It's all
I know
about the
Prime hates private equity, but I am private equity. I literally have a real estate
I don't
trust
hate
or
private.
a real estate
I
fund. It's
said
not
that
trust.
he
very
hates private
smart.
equity. You got
I
it
said at
right.
the very start, I don't hate that.
Yeah,
I said
he
like
does.
it
Yes,
doesn't matter.
I'm literally that guy.
Investments
I mean, we've got one fund. We're doing another fund, and we're going to get
He's
now.
that
Now we're looking.
guy, Prime.
I am that guy.
Just
And
building.
it is okay. You can hate me,
He's
but
the
I
villain.
don't
I don't
understand
hate
none of
you.
the things
I
that you're
don't hate
talking
you.
about.
Grid can't listen.
That
Yeah, he has-
guy.
Yeah, none
is
of
a
you,
villain,
none of
it's
the
fine.
things
He
that
wants
you
to be the
guys are
bad boy.
talking about are things that I do. I'm right now in negotiations with a guy. There's a guy in Florida
I was
that owns
talking about you.
65% of the apartment buildings in
Are
this
you
town.
doing
And
a
what he
Buy it
does,
up, raise the rents. He's gonna do
what
it.
he does is he goes to these boomers who are in their 80s that own these apartment complexes, and their kids don't want to have anything to do with it. They just want to sell it, and he buys it from them, usually in cash.
Great.
And now he owns 65%, and we didn't realize he owned that much of this, and now we actually are in the middle of doing a deal with him to buy another 100-door apartment complex from that exact thing.
Is he one of the guys that will like send out the mailers like, "Hey, we'll buy your home for cash"?
I have no idea how he gets the
If he's
leads.
buying
or anything
apartment
like-
Is
complexes.
it usually
no.
older? Hold on, is his customer base usually older people?
Yeah, he's like what he was telling is like most of them are like in their 60s, 70s, and
Yeah,
80s.
don't
and
let your family sell to
forever.
guys like this. Oh God, I
And
know what this
and
guy
they
does.
and they just the family just doesn't want anything to do with it, and he buys them, and we're
Or
like
they
we're in the
don't
middle
know.
of trying to do a deal with him. I think it's going to go through. We'll see. But
Yeah.
that
What's
would
your-
give
I
him
don't-
go from 65 to 75% of the apartments in this town that I live in, which is not a small town. And I didn't realize that one guy owned all of that shit. That was very funny to find
It's
that
kind
out.
of how it is.
So,
It's one guy or
I
a
ha-
couple guys.
Yeah.
Right.
So, hon,
And
none
and
of
so I'm just curious when you talk about this and so you have all of these people. There's literally no reason for us as a private equity firm to downgrade any services. Matter of fact, we're trying to offer more services because we're now having to compete with smaller, more mobile, more boutique.
You're a good company, but
Sorry.
that's not
Yo,
indicative
hon,
of
no,
all
no, no,
companies.
don't even-
No, but
Don't
he's
give
saying
that-
that's the
one second.
incentive.
Fine, knock
He's
it
saying
off.
that that's
Don't
how
give-
I make money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't
that's how I
give
make
that.
money.
hold on 1 second. Don't give him that. One, I don't know anything about your fucking business. I don't know anything about your fucking business. And I don't know if it counts as to the things that we're talking about, talking about large institutional private business. Because we're not just talking about anyone that raises money privately, right? And then invests that right within a small fund to buy
you can invest, Brian.
houses, right? Yes, I know. Hold on. But like that's not that, and that's fine, right? And I hope you're doing well, and I hope everything you're saying is true, right? But we don't need to analyze it, we don't need to get distracted by it. We don't have to deal with that, right? Because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about large institutional private investors within this private equity sphere, and how they
75% of the doors of apartment buildings in a town is a big business.
Doesn't matter, hon. I don't have to. I do not have to like spend my time guessing about the anecdote that you're trying to come up with, right? I'm talking about a larger trend within the housing market, right? So that's what we're discussing.
And I'm asking you to prove the trend because you haven't. You have one example of a company that was a hit piece. It had nothing to do with anything. I keep asking you to please tell me what the threshold is. What is it? What's the threshold?
Just saying nonsense.
Hunter couldn't give me the threshold because there isn't one.
Well, I don't think that they're. I don't know if they're.
Shut the fuck up. I am trying to actually have this conversation. Stop fucking distracting me. Stop it. Stop it. Shut the fuck up. Stop it. Okay? We're having this conversation. I'm not gonna fucking guess at whatever the fuck you're doing in your fucking apartment buildings. I have no idea. I hope it goes well for you. I hope it's profitable for you, right? But it's not what we're talking about. So stop fucking distracting me. Fuck. Any which way. Back to it. All right, back to it. Lactoid, what did you have to say?
Prime, you gotta fucking calm down.
I feel like I got the judge.
Don't fucking tell me to do
after.
That. Don't hold on, stop. Hold on.
Oh boy.
Don't fucking tell me to do that. Say it again.
Okay.
Don't fucking tell me to do that.
Okay.
Hold on, you want to say something to me? Hold on, do you have something to say to me? Do you have something to say to me, Hunter? Yeah, you. Yeah, I'm fucking talking.
I think you got anger issues. Yeah, I think you gotta calm down.
Okay, get the fuck out of here. Moving on. Lactoid.
I think Gibbs has something interesting to say. I saw his hand up earlier.
Please.
Gibbs.
Lactoid, please.
I have no comments.
Lactoid, please.
It's time.
Well, I had a comment on the article. I don't know if the current, because I was saving that, and there was like a current back and forth. I don't know if this might be a little bit off topic from that.
So I would like to talk about the article, or
Okay.
not just the article. Sorry. Specifically, I like to talk about like the larger part of the sector, right? In terms of the private equity, the large actors there, and how they interact with the market. That's what I had asked you originally.
Sure.
So, like, what are your thoughts on that?
So I guess I'm going to relate it to the article, but I'm going to bring it to, I guess, the larger question. So the example that they use in the article, I think that I do somewhat agree with Grid that there is a hit piece element to it, and that they really hyperfixate on how terrible this, the Greystar is, how horrible it is when they come in and took over the apartment complex. But I think here's a critical part of the article. They hyperfixate on the anecdotal examples of people getting a bad deal, or what's perceived to be a bad deal. But every time, one of the complaints was, oh, they can just get somebody who's willing to pay more, right? They can just get somebody who's going to come in and raise the and pay the increased rent that they're paying for the perceived lesser services than they get. And so my argument would be this: if the market is reacting this way, I think what it demonstrates is the people that were already living there were getting a good deal, right? And I think that a lot of the frustration comes from the fact that they're no longer getting this really good deal, and that the terms of the private equity, when they come in and they set the higher rates and they reduce the services, this actually is meeting the market demand for that area better, which I just don't blame them for, right? If you raise your cafe prices and people are willing to come in and you don't have a loss in volume, then of course there's, as a business, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Now that's the first thing. There was one thing brought up in the article that I actually think is a decent point. I think all of it was hot trash, honestly, except for this one point, which is that Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae are, and I already knew this, they're corporations that have a congressional charter. They're government backed, and the mortgages are government backed. And these large institutional investors are able to use government backed mortgages to finance their purchases, these acquisitions. I don't see why that needs to be a thing. Like, I'd be okay with moving all of that to private. Like, if you want to get a private mortgage from a bank to purchase a giant building like that, I'm fine with that. But I think it is fair to say, well, why should they get the benefit of having a government-backed mortgage that can offer them better rates than a private bank can, because it offloads a lot of the risk to the taxpayers. That was the one. There was like basically a paragraph of that. The rest of it was focusing this anecdotal example. You know, these two gay guys. Their dog fee rose 25%. They're really pissed about that. That was a big part of the article. But the whole government-backed mortgages part, fair enough. That probably shouldn't be a thing.
So I agree. It was okay. I didn't cut you off.
No, that's
Make
good.
Sure.
That's basically it. I think that a lot of the complaints are bad. A lot of the complaints are really just anti-market. I think that when you look at a lot of people that are commenting, they're really proposing, like, we need rent control, we need anti-market solutions, which I think is all bad. But there is a paragraph in there that I think that it says, well, why should they be able to get this government-backed mortgage? And it's like, well, fair enough. Why should they? I don't know.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that point. I'm going to expand. I'm going to let Hunter in a second. I'm going to expand on another piece of it. But on that point, yes, the article talks about like these government-backed loans that these institutional investors can get. It goes on and it shares like, of the top 20 of the biggest loans that Freddie Mac made within some sort of span of time, right? It all went to these private equity.
Because they're making the biggest
what
purchases,
period of time
to be
was that?
fair.
Yeah, no, they are. Sorry, what would you say, Scott? I'm sorry, not Scott. Grid.
Same.
It's all right.
apologize.
Scott and I look so much alike.
Yeah, that's right. Whatever.
What time period was that? Were those loans
Time
made?
period? I can find it for you. So I don't have it off the top of my head. Private equity firms are behind 85% of Freddie Mac's deals. It says a time period here, but one second, I have to find what it is. It might have been within 1 year, or it might have been.
It was like 2017, 2018.
It's around that time, but I'm sorry. I know there's a year in here. I just I don't know where it is. Apologies. Can I get to that to you later? I'll have to look for it. But it's within some sort of time.
It's just kind of melds in with what I was talking about earlier, how as an investor, you are not allowed to use those conventional type mortgages, except when specific people have removed the controls off the banks, including Freddie, access to Freddie and Fannie. And what happens is now you have corporations that in under normal circumstances cannot legally use these type of loans, and then all of a sudden they can, and they take great advantage of it. So I'm just curious if it was within what time period it's in, and if those controls had been removed, because I know that when Trump got into office, first term, one of the first things he did was shut that down, because he understands how that kills the real estate.
I think this was 2016. I believe so. There's a few years here, but I think it's 2016 within the article. In 2016, the biggest loans involving private equity firms made up at least 11% of Freddie's total deal volume. Data shows in 2017, they accounted for at least 6%. Greystar's purchase that year was part of a deal worth nearly 1.8 billion. So I think this in particular was talking about 2017, either 2016 or 2017. But I'd have to read through it again to.
Yeah, again, in 2017, I got a call from my banker telling me that they could put me into a conventional loan on an investment property. Also, that they would use, and this is what should really scare you, is I didn't have to actually use actual income to justify the loan. I could use estimated rental income as part of as part of my qualifying financial packet. I didn't actually have to prove that I was actually going to make that.
So-
Just say that it's going to rent for $1,800 a month or whatever, and they would accept that as part of my financial packet.
So I just want to quickly do this and move on. So anyway, I agree with you, friend Lactoid, right? You were talking about these loans, right? And well, maybe the part that you might disagree with me is that, like, as part of the criticism within the article is that we're getting these loans, these government-backed loans, but then there's like no guarantee. We get nothing for that, right? And so they particularly were talking about tenant protections, right? Like, if you're going to take these loans, right? Well, why shouldn't from the public trust, why shouldn't we get some level of public good for it? And so like it may not necessarily be like rent stabilization, because I know my friends wouldn't be a fan of that, but there might be other things maybe we could agree on, like benefits to the people living there. You're getting these loans because remember, you're getting these loans as a discount, right? In terms of their interest rates and all that, right? And so should that cost something?
Well,
right?
that was my problem, because the proposals to me are like they're negatively influencing a market that I think is particularly responsive to supply and demand, and it's important to be responsive to supply and demand, specifically demand, right? Like you want there to be a dynamic housing market. And
I agree.
I think that when you get to the point where it's like, oh, we're gonna, certain rent controls that's gonna discourage building housing.
Not rent controls. Yeah.
Right. You're saying not rent controls, but
yeah,
it's not the same thing, but it's sort of the same thing when you're demanding like a certain level of service be provided, because now that is a additional cost that you're gonna have to be paying more, which it's really just the difference between like a lack of incoming as opposed to more outgoing. On a balance sheet, it's still worse, right? It's still less overall net for what you're doing, and that's a net that's not as responsive to the market. The one thing I'll say is I think that the intuition of, well, if the public is backing these loans, shouldn't the public get something out of it? I think this is the problem with the public backing the loans in the first place. These big institutional investors, especially, right? You want to make an argument about, buying your own mortgage or maybe even like a local landlord or whatever. Like we can argue about that. But if you're a large private equity fund, I think it's perfectly reasonable to expect you to go to a bank and get a loan the way that you should in a free market. That should be how it works.
So I disagree, and this is just me being a socialist and you being a fake libertarian.
Also a socialist.
Also a socialist.
But like I think I just don't mind imposing costs on companies, especially if that cost is for the benefit of the public. I'm okay with taking a level of dynamism out of the market. There's all kinds of friction that goes into like being a market player, right? I don't mind the like imposing some sort of quality controls on a company that like benefits the public, right? As being one of those one type of friction involved in it. But yeah. And it's okay. I understand you have a disagreement on that one. And that's just the way it's going to be. But I have more to say. But before then, I'm going to let Hunter back in here. Hunter's back.
Glad to be back, boys.
Yeah, Hunter, do me a favor.
One thing about the finance.
One second. Before you do that, Hunter, hey, don't fucking disrespect me like that again. Don't ever fucking do it. Don't do it. Don't tell me how to do my job. Don't make these snide comments at me, right? Don't fucking test me on this shit. I'm glad to have you, Hunter, but don't fucking test me like that. Don't mess with me.
Okay.
Are we understood? Good. Great. Then I'm happy to have you. All right, we can move on. Go ahead, Grid.
So one thing on the financing thing is like when we do a deal, we leverage as much as we can in the deal, but banks typically won't loan us more than about 60% of the cost. So we 40%, we have to come up with ourselves. And we do that through either the fund and just use cash, or we'll use bridge loans occasionally to make that so we'll put 20% of our own cash in, and we'll take 20% in a bridge loan, and the remaining 60% will be an actual mortgage, but still not a conventional mortgage like you would think of, like your mom and dad would buy a house with. And so I think that one of the things we have to be really careful of is how we think about these loans and how they're structured, because they're all structured very generally, and I don't know what this deal with Freddie and Fannie was with this specific deal that they did. That seems very, honestly, sounds illegal to me, but I'd have to know more about it. But one of the big things that I deal with a lot is just, are we in compliance? Are we going to catch something on the backside where we get the deal done and then we're hit with some sort of fine, or we're going to be tied up in court because we didn't do things right? And by the way, when that happens, investors all of a sudden are not very happy investors, and they want their money back. To buy into my fund is about $75,000 as a base. So we have people that are, that's where it starts. And somebody gives you that much money, they want to know what you're doing with it. They need to know that there are controls and you're being careful with it. And so I don't know what, again, I don't know what these guys are doing. Obviously they're dealing out, if they're talking a $1.8 billion deal, that's a chunk. So,
what kind of profit? What kind of profit margin is the normal? I guess is an expectation on a $75,000 investment.
Most people want to see at least 5 to 7% per year on your worst year, right? So they want to see more, right? Like they'd love to see it when we're showing them 20, 25%. Yeah. Because we've remodeled, or the equity in the house has grown so much, and whatever. They love to see that. Everybody loves that. But at the end of the day, we have to play within the rules,
right?
Or at least the small guys do, because between the IRS and all of these other agencies, they would love to just catch us sleeping and put, take a bunch of money.
For sure.
Okay.
So, and Lactoid knows.
So
IRS, boo.
Oh, of course.
No, don't boo them.
Boo.
So my larger point is that private equity is not a neutral thing, and that there can be specific incentives that drive specific. I see you, Corey. We'll go to you next. Specific investment. Specific incentives, yes, that drive behavior, right? That the incentives that drive, for instance, Grid, right? Or let's say our friend Gibbs, right? I'm sure Gibbs owns a few properties, right? Those can be different. Now, it doesn't mean they can't arrive at the same conclusion, right? Gibbs has no problem extracting as much money from a situation as possible. He's made that very clear to us. Doesn't mean you can't arrive at the same conclusion under a different incentive scheme. But if you put people in a similar situation, right, and give them similar incentives, overall, you're going to see patterns emerge. That's what I'm talking about with this private equity. That the goal is to get as much money out of investment in a short amount of time, right? Do you have time necessarily to build in to raise the value of the property, right? Raise the value of the services or anything like that? Are you doing that? Or are you just immiserating the people under you? And I don't think it's simply acceptable, right? If our libertarian friends say it's not acceptable that you just go to a different country, I also don't think it's acceptable to necessarily uproot families and tell them to go fuck off to wherever the hell you land, right? Especially in a tight housing market. Now, I agree with what Hunter was saying before. I absolutely agree in terms of you should be raising supply, right? Yes, that is part of the process, right? 100%, we should be doing that. Within the article, right, that Lactoid said he read, it talks about that you need 320,000 units. I'm not sure if those are just apartment units or any type of housing using to keep up with demand, just like population growth, right? And we haven't been meeting that, right? And that might be also a regulation issue. There's all kinds of reasons why we aren't meeting those those goals. But in the end, we should be raising that up. I agree that if we were raising supply, right, there's just more housing units coming on the market that would dilute the power of these institutional investors. But that's not happening. And in the world that we live in right now, I agree with all of that. Right, I agree with what Hunter said there, and I agree with a few other things that have been said. Right, I agree with that. But in the world we have now, we haven't built enough. Right, we have the housing market that we do, and in that market, that very tight market in some metropolitan areas, right, people still need to work, they still need to live, and we shouldn't be immiserating them like this, tossing them out just for the profits of a corporation. That's my argument. Anyone else can address that or not?
I think part of I think part of the main difficulty that we're going to have, Prime, is that in a supply and demand calculation, you're trying to hit like a natural equilibrium. And if you feel as though, which I think is the case, that we're short on the supply side, that we're not reaching the demand, the absolute last thing you want to do is make it less profitable to build houses. And this is the big issue with rent control, but this is also the big issue when it comes.
Are they
to
building houses? Are they a lot of these? They might be. I'm asking. I'm like, that's a general question.
They are, but the housing trade isn't just going to be building housing. It's going to be buying housing and renovating it. It's going to be buying housing and changing its use, changing what class you're marketing to. All of this is important when it comes to a city naturally developing. But also, they're taking those profits and they are going to be building housing in the event that it makes sense, in the event that it actually is profitable. And that's all part of it. And this bill, to, I guess, give it a little bit of credit here, this bill does recognize that to some degree, in that it, I think, very specifically doesn't prohibit institutional investors from building houses. The problem I have with it is that it puts limitations on how long they can hold on to that housing. And what I'm concerned about is, again, whenever you limit the profit margin of people that are going out and building housing, I, as an investor, am going to be less interested in investing in that. Because why would I invest in any like a REIT? Why would I invest in some kind of housing-based private equity firm when instead I can put my money in the market elsewhere and get a consistent, 7 to 10% return without having to deal with the headache of renters, who can be a massive headache to deal with, right? I need to see more cheddar. I have to see more than market returns if I'm going to deal with renters. I have to get enough money to put up with renters to make it worth my time. And we need all landlords to feel it profitable enough that they are going to put money into housing.
Yeah,
He's right.
I'm going to go to Corey
That's how we're going
next.
to drive prices down, right?
I'm going to go to Corey next because he's been waiting, right? I'm going to go to Corey next. But I'm going to say this, right? And this, we will find no agreement here, good friend. But
I started off by saying this is the disagreement.
No. I got a bigger disagreement than that.
Capitalism, making money generally.
Well,
I know, I'm not that far off.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, friend, here is that like when we're dealing with public goods or public necessities, right? Human necessities, maybe, I should say, that we shouldn't be left to the whims of the market, right? We shouldn't have to necessarily make it as profitable, as attractive for an investor to actually put their money in and hope for the best. No, in fact, we can actually, as a government, right, we can put our money to these public goods. We can build housing. We can do that, right? As a nation, we can do that. Other nations do that, and they can build high quality housing. And in this country, our problem was we didn't do that, right? We built housing in certain neighborhoods where we concentrated poverty. We didn't invest in those neighborhoods, either in the buildings or in the infrastructure around them, right? To help raise the value of those neighborhoods, to give more opportunities to those people living there. And then the obvious outcomes happened, right? That's the big problem. But in other countries, they don't do that, right? They invest in housing, they create housing, and they invest in infrastructure around that, and they have good outcomes. So let's do the good thing rather than the bad thing.
Talking about the Euro poor countries.
Sorry,
Are you saying every European country is poor, like Norway?
The Euro poor countries.
What? Yeah, so you're gonna find every country that's poor is zero.
I'm pretty
poor.
sure the
There's
only
no-
country that has above, like leaving aside Monaco and these little things that are countries.
Let's go to
countries.
Corey afterwards.
I'm pretty sure that the only country that has like a higher disposable income than us is, or no, I think we're on top. I think Luxembourg. I think we've been vying with Luxembourg, which again,
Which metric are you using?
country.
You're just using disposable income or like per capita GDP or
disposable income, like income
Okay,
per
that-
person.
that might be true. Per capita
Yeah,
GDP, I
because
know
we're
that
rich.
is incorrect.
We're rich. Yeah. And when you look at the GDP, when you look at GDP per capita,
Yeah, and so and they've
those like
done better
Monaco,
for their
Luxembourg,
and they've done better for their. Actually, I don't know about Monaco in particular. I don't know. But they've
tax
the
havens.
nations I'm talking about have done better for their citizens with less money, right? Yeah,
The
those
only
Euro
examples
poor
you have,
nations
no,
have done. Yeah,
you
yeah.
have Norway, which is like an oil country, and yeah, they got lucky.
Yes,
that
and you can invest that
you have
oil
Qatar.
into the people. Oh,
Is
what
it
do you
United
know?
States
country.
an oil country?
Yeah, it's an
No,
oil
no,
company
we
too,
are, but like per
let's just be
capita, nothing
clear.
like Norway, or
That's fair.
Qatar,
So hold
or
on, hold on.
Saudi Arabia.
And yet,
I mean,
and yet
Kuwait will give you a
billions of
house when you get
dollars-
married.
and yet
Yeah,
billions of
Kuwait.
dollars appear out of nowhere when we're going to go bomb brown people on the other side of the world. It's not that we don't have.
I'm
money to invest
opposed to
in them.
bombing the brown
I
people.
know you. Hold on, I know you are. I know you are.
Okay.
It's not a criticism towards you, right?
All right,
This is the
good.
system.
I'm also opposed to bombing the white
Yeah.
people. It's happening right now too.
I'm not.
I know
I'm
Kyle
also
Hunter's
opposed to that
not,
too.
but I am.
I'm
It's a joke.
also
I'm
opposed to
against bombing white people, guys.
I'm
Everybody gets a bomb. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm against
Bombs for
bombing
There we go,
everybody.
Gibbs.
Yeah.
But yeah, like to the system seems to find money, right, for all these things that aren't public goods. Actually, we can just invest in that, right? We're seeing that for a reason the housing market, and there's lots of reasons why we aren't meeting supply levels in terms of investors, right? And some of them are good, some of them are even government problems, right? There's lots of reasons why that's not happening. But in any case, right, we're seeing a problem. Government can actually intercede in this and make a positive difference in it. And I don't reject that. I don't reject it out of this like crazy notion that public housing equal bad thing, right? I think there's forces in this country that were very much invested in making that the case. That propaganda won't work on me.
Look.
Before then, let's get Corey because he's been waiting, and then we can go to Hunter or anyone else who wants to jump in.
I do want to maybe clarify something, Prime. So, like, is it your expectation? I think similar to like Ali's of like, let's say, the average American should expect that they own a home and that home appreciates in value.
No, it's an asset. You
Okay.
can appreciate or depreciate. Yeah.
Okay. So then I guess my question doesn't apply. So, but then Ali, it seems like if I'm understanding you correctly, like you are of that expectation, but correct me if I'm wrong, of like, as in you don't see a problem of like having the expectation of like the average American should be able to like own a home and that home should like pretty much in all circumstances appreciate in value.
So not all circumstances, expectation, but understanding that there's a risk, right? You can buy into a bad neighborhood. You can buy into a neighborhood that people are leaving. So on and so forth. It's not you're not guaranteed that your house is going to appreciate in value. You have to make the right decision.
No, I understand, not
Yeah.
guaranteed, but it's like that should
That's
be like
the hope.
average.
That's the hope. That's the
but
goal.
I understand, but you think that should be the average American's hope and expectation.
Goal. Yeah.
I don't think the
Okay.
average American.
So then I'd be curious to know, like, then why would you be against this, like this private equity buying up apartment complexes? Because like, well,
So
because the private equity, they don't buy, well, they are not the majority owner of households, family households in the United States.
it's the reason I'm against that is because I don't think the majority of Americans are going to be able to afford homes. They're going to have to be forced to rent, right? They're going to move to apartment complexes. I think when you have
But then just
two
build,
or three, I think when you have two or three like private equity companies that like own the majority, if not all, the apartment complexes in one area, there's no competition. The rent's just going to go up, and that they continue to buy like lesser properties, and they don't have to renovate them because that they just own it, and then the rent can go up in that property as well.
yeah, but I think that would then, I think, speak to Hunter's point of like, well, that there should be like, they would want to increase building. I'm pretty sure Hunter is not advocating for building more houses, but
Yeah,
like to
building more
your point, like
apartments.
that means that there should be building more houses because like you want the average American to like own a house and that house appreciate in value. So it's like, well, why should you should be advocating for just building more single household houses?
I think people should be able to build more. I'm not against building single family houses. I'm against the way I'm saying I don't think the issue is that we need to build more apartment complexes in cities, because I don't think that helps the affordability. I don't think that does anything for affordability.
Okay,
Like
but
I
then-
I lived in a shitty apartment in downtown in Detroit, and like once again there was a bunch of new renovation and new buildings going up. All that happened was someone bought my shitty building and made the price go up. And so
Okay,
it's like it's not like they bought it and now my building was better and my rent was cheaper. It's like, nope, my rent just went up and I just lived in the same shitty building.
then presumably, like, okay, given like, you know, you have one policy to enact, like passing the policy of like banning private equity or institutions from owning apartment complexes does nothing to achieve your goal, then, right?
Oh, well, what's my goal? Right. My goal
Well,
is, like,
from what
more
I
people to-
understand, like your goal is like the average American should have a house, own a house, and that house should appreciate in value.
So no, actually, my goal is just that so people can afford their rent at this point. I don't think I don't think building more apartments does anything for people being able to afford their rents. I don't think selling these apartments. Once again, I mean, I just haven't experienced it. Like, you can show me stats all day, but the experience for me is the nicer a city. Like to everyone's
but
point
then-
here. Wait, to everyone's point here. Wait, come here. The point of buying property is to make money. And the point of fixing property is to make it worth more, right? And the point of owning property in an area that's on the up and up is that your property is going to be worth more money. So like Prime, when you were saying,
How you
like,
build
when we were talking about,
generational
like, owning-
wealth and all
yeah,
this.
when we were talking about owning land and so on and so forth. If you own a shitty, if I live in a shitty apartment complex and the apartment complexes around me, there's new apartments being built, the ones next to me are being renovated. This doesn't tell me that my rent is going to be cheaper. It means that rent around me, the property value is increasing because the areas around me are becoming nicer. There's new properties, there's renovated properties, which means my property is either going to get renovated or it's going to get purchased, right? When it gets renovated or when it gets purchased, my rent is going to go up.
You're
That
really
is
not
just
accounting
what
for
happens.
filtering.
Well, there's that, but then I just want to clarify further, because it sounds like based on what you said that your goal is to have people afford their rent. But I just heard, that's why I wanted to clarify, like your ultimate goal is you want Americans to be able to own their house, and that house increases
That
in
is
value.
the American goal. That's the American dream and goal.
Well,
is
I'm
that
not-
we
I'm
should
not-
be able
Yeah,
to
it's the American
afford-
dream.
Is that the
Yeah.
direction that you want to, like, that's you
I would
want
love
to,
for that to go in that
you want
direction. Yeah, of course.
policies to enact? So then you would agree that banning private equity does nothing to achieve your goal of that being the goal of like Americans owning homes, that homes appreciate.
Yes,
in
it
value.
doesn't help that goal, but it helps
Okay.
a different goal of mine.
Yeah, but the suboptimal goal.
I mean but that's the majority of people. Like, majority of people live in suboptimal. I wish the majority of people could own their own homes and live freely, but that's just not going to happen. So like, yeah, as much as I'd want the American dream to like succeed and be passing, the actual issue
There's
right
a
now, I
reason it's
feel like
called the
that
dream.
most people are just tied into rent, and that's
And
ever increasing.
But do you not? You don't see any foreseeable problems of like Americans having the expectation or the ultimate goal of like they own their home and that home must appreciate, or like largely on average should appreciate in value. You
No,
think,
well, what's the issue with that?
The
Okay.
issue is that they're going to expect that to occur, and when it doesn't, they're going to go to the city council meeting to restrict housing in their local neighborhoods so that it goes up.
Do you think that like when someone buys a house and the house value goes down, they immediately think it's because there's new apartment buildings being built, or do you think it's because like
Oh,
they
if
think
they're
the city
smart,
isn't
they do.
upkeeping in the no, well,
I don't-
most
I
people
don't-
aren't
I don't
smart,
think that
right?
that's
Most people
true.
aren't smart. Most people, when they buy a house and then their property values go down, they're gonna look around their surrounding 3 to 4 block radius and see what the fuck is going on.
And they're gonna be like, hey, maybe these drug houses need to go.
These are just
May-
homeowners.
Maybe the people
These aren't
cooking
people-
meth next door need to go.
These aren't people that are like apartment complex. These are people who buy and own their house just to live in their house. They're not looking at it as like.
So what difference does it
unnecessarily-
make it whether they understand
Wait.
the process or not?
Wait, Grid, do you
Well,
do
they
you
keep bringing
deny?
up the process? So it's like so I don't think the majority of homeowners are going to city council meetings and being like, we don't want these new apartments to be built. Right? That's not what I think is
Actually, that just
we-
happened here.
we
not
actually
for the
have-
reason that like they believe that the apartment complex is decreasing the value of their home because people are able to afford rent. It's because they believe that the neighborhood doesn't want these apartment complexes. People are leaving
It's so,
their homes.
It's
That's
wait,
what's happening. I
Okay,
mean,
wait,
you
two
can-
things. Two things.
What did you want, Hunter? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're good. First, Grid, do you deny that people who own homes will go into city council meetings to disincentivize
That
housing
just
from being
happened
built?
here a couple of months ago, where they there was a bill on the table to allow farmland or rural property to have one home per acre. Right now, it's one home per 2 acres is it is qualified for rural
Mhm.
land in the county. If they changed that, that would have been more houses built, and nobody wanted that. And so, literally, there was a massive
Right,
movement
why?
to stop.
Largely, why did they not want that?
because they want to live. They don't want to
Just
be
wait,
next
hold
to
on,
their
Grid.
neighbors.
Yeah, because they want to live in a rural area. They want to maintain the area as it is. They don't want.
You don't think there's any
growth.
financial incentive as to why they would do that? You don't think there's any recognition?
I'm sure that there are a few people who are like, yeah, I don't really want my 10 acres or 20 acres or whatever to be worth less, but I think it had more to do with they just don't want the apartment
People move to
complexes.
the
They don't
sticks.
want to.
People
They
move
don't
to the
even
sticks
want
to be
single
far
family
away from their
homes.
neighbors. People move
Yeah.
to like up north
People
or
like
like
to
the
piss
country
off their
down south
porch.
so that they can buy
Well,
land so they can not be near their neighbors. That's why they're doing it.
I agree.
Well,
There's
Like-
a double pronged approach here, and it feels weird, Ollie, that like it seems like you recognize that there's financial incentives involved in
But-
wanting to hold on
I
to as
think- wait,
much
Gibbs,
money as
Gibbs, real
possible,
quick.
except in this area.
No, it's not that except in this area. I think the average person, if they're looking into buying a house, are buying into a neighborhood, especially if they can afford it, right? And even in these rural areas where like maybe a house only costs like $112,000, but to them that's like the equivalent of a $300,000 house, right? But they're buying it in like some up north Michigan or down south in some rural area. They're buying into a neighborhood. They're buying into a community or an idea of what this neighborhood is, right? So when you buy into like when you're buying acres of land, the whole idea is, hey, I get to live on my property. No one's gonna fuck with me. I'm not gonna fuck with them. Hopefully, there aren't high taxes on this. I don't want the roads to be paved. I don't want them to plow the snow.
It's
I'll
true.
take care of that shit myself, right? I want everyone to leave me alone. And then when the city comes in, they go, hey, we're gonna actually we're gonna divvy it up so that like more parcels of land can be bought and more housing can be built. It's like, well, we don't want that here. That's not why we bought here. I didn't buy into this suburb so that apartment complexes can be built. Up the
I
block.
agree. I agree that this is part of the problem for
No,
sure.
that is the problem. It's just you
I
keep
think what you're talking about, Hunter, is
that these homeowners are like politically like smart enough to understand like what this shit. Like the average person is me. It's just some guy who's like, I bought this house. I don't want an apartment built in my
I
backyard.
agree.
So like,
there's
they're not
also-
saying, oh, my property value is going down because an apartment's going up. That's why I'm going to City Hall to fight it. I don't like
there's
that
also-
framing.
But
There's also a
they've
whole nother
also.
angle.
I mean,
we got a whole other angle with this too, though. Like, right? So, like, I'll speak at least on this part, right? So, like, where I have my ranch, so if you go down, it's between like Corpus and San Antonio, and they're putting up all these wind farms, and they have all these, like, they've been building all these roads for travel between like Karn City and some of these other towns that are growing, and like, so I guess my generation, when they like the families in the area started like dying off, like they kind of like they didn't divvy up all the land, but like everybody got like a little piece, but it's still run by trust and shit, and so everybody started building their like houses, like on these massive plots, like their own homesteads. And so that was cool at first. But then as they got older, they're like, oh, so they had maybe like made these deals with the refineries or made these deals with the like windmill people. And they come out there and like, so now it's starting to get like industrialized and you have like basically like worker refinery camp like being built in like these places. And it's like, you go out there and it's like, this is your ancestral land. And you're like rooting it. And at some point, it's like, hey, like this is no longer
stop,
what
right?
we own. Like you just have to stop. Like, because otherwise you're not gonna have what you had ever again. Like it's gonna be gone.
You
It's
just
gonna be
live in an
another
oil
city.
refinery town.
Yeah, and it's also hell. Like you went from being able to go look at like the sky at night to now you go out there and you see like just like lightness of fire coming up from like random little refineries, or you see like the cows like hiding underneath these like windmills and like these weird circles because they don't like to be underneath them. I don't blame them. I would be afraid and follow me too, I guess. But like they're like and they're just starting over there, and all the shit that you have like the industrialized road, and then you have the Caliche road, but it's just destroyed because you have like 18-wheelers going through it all the time.
Yeah.
And like this is like an issue that you don't want to like happen in some of these scenarios. Like
Yeah,
it's not
I'll
so
go with that.
dirty.
I think Gibbs and Ollie are right, and I think the most important thing to remember is that most people, when it comes to their home value, most people are more worried about they're like the 2-block area around them than the apartment complex. It's, going to be a mile down the road. They just don't give a shit. And so when they go to a city hall meeting and they vote for this stuff, or they say, hey, this is a problem, it's literally in their neighborhood. I think Ollie's right about that. When we, I get to listen to a lot of these council meetings, and usually they're pretty fucking boring. And every now and again, you'll get one where, something like this whole deal with the houses per acre defining rural land and all of that became a big deal. And it seemed really petty to me, but I mean, this was something that was like really fought over. And I didn't really understand it, but I think
can we all? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go first.
No, it's all right. I think that one thing that you guys keep dancing around, and I'll just say it out loud, is that the American dream of everybody owning a home is just that. It's a dream.
Mhm.
The average person in this country has never just been able to go out and buy a home. That's never been the case. It's like a mythology that we appeal to so that we can feel better about it. My ancestors were poor, and they didn't own a property until late in life, and all of this stuff. So I think that the idea that just everybody's going to get their little plot of heaven is just kind of insane. But at the same time, I enjoy, like Ollie, I'm like, I think that people ought to aspire to that if that's what they want.
Mhm.
And they shouldn't feel the need to live in an apartment complex with 150,000 other people that stretches 40 stories in the air. I don't think that that's good either. So I guess I just don't agree with it. I don't agree. I just don't like it. It's
Can I
like, you know,
fight? Can I fight back a little bit, Grid?
yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think not only is it a goal, and it should be a goal. I think it is attainable even now. I agree with you that it's overall housing specifically has experienced inflation. I think at a higher rate than other things. But when you look at this is data from Fred, our federal bank. Overall median income is going up, adjusted for inflation. The overall purchasing power of individuals is going up. Home ownership rate still sits currently at about 65%. Most people own homes in America. Renting is the exception, not the rule. I think that's good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's a good thing. I think that really what it is I think that for a lot of people, it is to some extent like, yeah, you're going to have to save, you're going to have to invest, you're going to have to prepare to do it. And not everybody's in that stage of their life when they're younger, for sure. But I think homeownership should be a goal, and I think it is attainable for most Americans.
So I want to say something quickly. I want to go to our friend Ali. That like, and this is sort of to Corey's point earlier, right? He asked me, should these assets, like, would I prefer these assets only appreciate housing assets? Yeah, like I think the reason why is something that's driving this NIMBYism is once again incentives. That like it's not unreasonable from the perspective of a homeowner, right? No matter what their politics are, right? You can have very left-leaning individuals engaging in exactly this NIMBYism when supposedly it's against their ideology, right? It's not unreasonable from their perspective to say like, well, this is the asset that I have, right? This is the thing that is going to keep me from being on the streets later on in life, or that can pass down to my kids so that they can have a better life. If this is the asset, the thing that you have to protect, well, then yeah, you're going to do a lot to do that, right? Like all the incentives for you are to engage in NIMBYism behavior, and I think that's part of the issue then. That like that shouldn't be the only asset class. Not in different countries they have where people put their money, they park their money is different. Now I'm not saying that other places are necessarily better, right? I'm just saying that it doesn't necessarily have to be the case that this is the single asset class that keeps you within the middle class or keeps you out of being the working poor or gives you generational wealth. We can find other asset classes. We can give people a mix of options. And if they do that, right, if they're not betting everything on their house, right, well, then I think they'll give us a lot of options. That will a level of friction that we see within the housing market due to public pushback disappears because like there's not their whole life. Yeah. Anyone want to jump in?
No, yeah. So I'm gonna respond to that. I think the other asset that we're giving people is the idea of an asset, right? So it's like these apartment complexes with all these amenities, right? You feel like you're living in luxury. And I think we need to reframe like owning a house isn't like owning a house is a luxury. It is like owning a home is the most luxurious item you're going to own, and that's why it's going to appreciate in value. It is a sought after item. It's a luxury that Lactoid. I'm sorry, I don't think most Americans own their homes. Maybe if it's like 51% of Americans own their homes, or like people own their homes and they're renting them out to people, right? I'm not saying like companies own them, but I'm saying like a house is a luxury in the same way that like a Birkin bag or like a Rolex is a luxury item that you buy that you're kind of hoping appreciates in value. There aren't too many of them. Not everyone can afford this thing, and the only people that can afford them are going to be people with money. That's the whole idea behind buying your house, especially buying your house in a sought after or an up and coming neighborhood. The new thing, which I said it in the beginning, is like you're not gonna own anything and you're gonna love it, is kind of the idea. This whole idea of owning an asset is more or less going away unless you're buying an investment, right? A car is a depreciating value unless you're buying a classic car. A watch is a depreciating value unless you're buying a Rolex, a bag, so on and so forth. The same thing is happening with the house. The new luxury is living in the location that you want.
Everything that you just listed, what makes them valuable, or like what results in them appreciating?
Rarity and then people's perception, right?
So it's a supply issue.
No. It's also people. No. It's perception.
They make Rolexes every day.
Wait. Yeah, people are buying fake. People are buying.
Yeah,
fake
but they're
stuff.
not on the market.
These things are losing their value, right? But to the people that can afford them, right, that can't afford the real, they're always going to purchase. This thing always exists. And it's also a fake scarcity, right? Like the only reason a Birkin bag is so expensive is because Hermes doesn't sell it to everyone. They
That's actually the point. Yes, they limit supply.
But in the aftermarket, in the resale market, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of Birkins. They're still expensive because they're
more than walking in the store.
Yeah, their perception is that these things are in the same way that diamonds, right? Diamonds are rare, but they're not. It's just a false scarcity, right? So like. No, the new luxury is not in owning your home, but it's in the location that you live in. If you live in a good part of town versus if you live in a bad part of town, that's your new asset. It's where you live and what you
can do. But be careful what you mean by scarcity, though, right? Like, yes, like diamonds are. My understanding of the diamond market is that it's heavily constricted, right?
Yeah.
By De Beers specifically. Yeah, it's really constricted, right? But like, yes, and they make it less available. And you can call that scarce, but you can apply scarcity.
They also do an excellent job of marketing.
Scarcity, like what I think Hunter was saying and Lactoid was saying previously, scarcity, that word still applies to this housing market, right? And these things still work on supply and demand.
Well,
so like
I understand that they do, but there's also false scarcity within these things.
And,
but then there's also like once again the new asset. Like I don't think most people are owning. I think most people are renting. It's just like there wouldn't be all these rental.
I linked it to you.
Well, Ollie.
All right. Yeah.
Ollie. So let me. I'm gonna help you out a little bit here, but I'm also gonna back up Lactoid to some degree. People do own houses, but they own houses in places where that are not necessarily. These are not like houses that most people would want to own. Like they include everywhere. They include out 50 miles out in the desert in Arizona. That is still you're owning a house. If you own a mobile home on a piece of land and that whole thing's worth $50,000,
you own a house.
No, that's not how it's calculated. It's calculated whether or not the home is owner occupied. So I linked it to
right. Yeah, but I'm saying if he lives in a mobile home on a piece of land out in the middle of nowhere,
yeah, but that's becoming less common.
That's still owning a house.
So let me just explain this. You're right.
How do I read this chart?
Hold on. Let me finish. So in the same way that we're talking about how the diamonds are constricted and there's a false scarcity value there, it's the same thing with actually land in this country. If you get in a car and you get on 40 and drive from Nashville, Tennessee to Flagstaff, Arizona, and tell me what you see, and it's going to be a lot of nothing, like nothing. but there's land for days. That's what Doobie said earlier. You could buy miles of land for cheap because there's nothing there. And but in the same way that diamonds are super expensive because we've been told they are. And yet rubies, emeralds, and sapphires are rarer and it should be worth more, and yet they're not. And so it's this idea, perceived value has a lot to do with it. That's what I think Ollie's talking about. And
I guess I can understand that as well. Yeah, perceived value.
It's a perceived value, right? Like, I want to live at this address. I have to live here. I can't live over there. If I live over there, I'm a fucking loser. But if I live here, I'm a fucking winner.
I mean,
that's the way
true.
that's
Let me explain the Fred stats now, because this is important. So over time in the United States, as with most developed countries, you're seeing and most countries generally, you're seeing more urbanization. You're actually seeing more and more people moving into suburbs or urban areas and away from rural areas. You still have people living in rural areas in America. You still have this, but it is becoming a percentage of people living in rural areas is overall dropping. Despite this, this is from our the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. This is one of a couple banks that makes up our Federal Reserve Bank of America. They pull this data from the U.S. Census Bureau, and it tracks percent home ownership rate in the United States. We're currently sitting at 65.7%. It's an interactive chart. You can hover your mouse over at the very end. 65.7%. The absolute peak that we have here is in 2004 at 69.2%, which, if you notice, really isn't as high as you'd think. We've only fluctuated from the highest until now. We've only fluctuated less than 5%. In fact, we are higher now than we were in 1965, the golden days, when home ownership rate was only sitting at 62.9%, which means there were a higher proportion of renters back in the 60s than there are now in America. And so this is one of those things where I think that perception is, you got to be careful about perception, because the reality is a little bit different. People are owning more homes now. People are owning homes more in suburbia. There was a massive push to do this in the 60s and 70s, to push people like into suburbs and into cities away from rural areas, and this has happened. So yeah, about 2/3 of households are living in homes that they own. Only 1/3 are renters, and this is higher than it was in the 60s, but only slightly lower than it was at its peak in 2004.
I'm a lot to be wrong.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But I think this chart's important too, because I agree with you that a lot of the perception, especially amongst younger people, is, well, nobody owns a house. This is incredibly unaffordable, and to some extent, yes, the price of housing has gone up faster than other goods, but because you're spending less money on other goods in proportion to your overall income, the way to think about this should be, this frees up more money to save for housing when it comes time to get housing. And
there's also
one last thing, and then the reason why I think this is, for a couple reasons, I think this is important. First of all, I think owning your own house is just fucking awesome. As a homeowner that bought a fixer-upper, and
you had to put up all the Nicki Minaj posters.
Yeah. Not only that, I had to put up all the paint and the flooring and the insulation
and all the flags,
the toilet, and I've learned shit about plumbing, and it's work. It is work. And have I hurt myself bad sometimes trying to fix shit? Yeah, for sure. Cuts and hammer goes the wrong way. It's just part of the thing. I survived. But home ownership, and this is kind of my I think not for you, Prime, but this is for Grid and Gibbs, my compatriots here on the right wing of the spectrum. We want people to own homes for the same reason why we want them to own guns. When you get people invested in something, that changes their political behavior.
Yeah.
One of the best ways you can get somebody to support the Second Amendment is get them financially invested in a firearm. Just point blank. One of the best ways to get people invested in having an established community, being invested in their own financial interest in that community, which pushes them to more right-wing politics. Get them to own their own property. It actually helps. Just the fact.
It makes sense. You have more stake in the game. You have more stake.
Renters tend to be left-wing. We don't want the country full of renters. I think it's important
So,
that we
but-
maintain our home ownership rate.
But what you're saying is like, hey, there's incentives, right? Now they have a different set of operating under a different set of incentives, right? If it's to protect this asset class in the specific neighborhood,
Mhm.
then they're more bought in, and then they can, slowly their minds
the
can slowly
asset.
degrade and become Republicans. No, I hear you.
This is my
Um,
goal. Everything
But
I do to
also,
that.
but yeah,
And you start really hating
it
taxes.
makes sense.
Yeah,
but
you
it-
start
it-
paying taxes because you're paying that every time instead of rent to the evil landlord. You're paying taxes to the government. That has a psychological effect too.
So what I would take that trade-off, friend, right? If we can have more affordable housing and far less homeless individuals.
I think one
Right,
of the
like, I would
interesting things about the
put more in
affordable
housing
housing.
and deal with like the externalities you were talking about just then.
But once you get us
Well,
enough of us
okay.
elected, then we're just gonna make more homeless people, right? Because that's what we do as right wingers.
Oh, yeah.
Prime.
You'll
Yeah,
have to do
so-
it.
I think one of the interesting things about this affordable housing idea is that, like I said, I think I know my grandparents didn't own a home until they were in their 30s, and actually I think their mid 30s. I didn't buy my first house until I was 35. I think there's this like mythology built around that you should be in your mid to late 20s and you should buy a house. You should be able to do that. And it's certainly possible today because more and more people have more and more disposable income at a younger age. But I don't think that tracks with reality in general, right? Like I just don't know that many homeowners that are super young, unless their parents help them, unless something like that, which is certainly I would like that. I think my brother bought his house. I think he was in his 40s before he was able to buy a house. So I don't know. I think that
I will say this is one of the reasons why the 2/3 of homeowners in America is so misleading. It's because young people look at that and they go, "What the hell are you talking about? Everyone I know doesn't own a home." But you ask someone who's 60, they're like, "Everyone I know owns a home. What are you talking about?" So it's weighted in that direction.
So-
yeah, I agree. And let me go to I would say one of the quick thing. I'm gonna go straight to you, Ali, I promise.
Got you.
A quick thing. I think that's also really important, right? Like, I think you just touched on a really important point. Is that like what kind of work is this this asset class doing, right? Is it going to build the wealth of like a young, dynamic group of individuals, or is it held in a certain demographic? Right now, housing is naturally going to like filter up to the older individuals, right? That's just how like life necessarily works. But that doesn't mean there should be interventions for younger cohorts. That doesn't mean that just because, especially since we have an aging population, right? Well, you're saying, well, yeah, there's a lot of people with housing with our aging population, but like, who is actually being left out? I think that's part of the conversation we haven't really touched on. But thank you for that, Hunter. Go ahead, Ali.
It's, I don't know. I don't know how to read these charts. I was just going through all these little ones, and this one's the vacancy chart, which
Yep.
says, pretty much we've been hovering between 5 and 7 of vacancy, except for in the mid 2000s. But like right now, we're doing there's what 7% of apartments are vacant. Is that what the idea is? So there is apartment vacancy available.
Well,
Yeah.
you want some vacancy, obviously, so that moving becomes easier. It drives prices down.
Well, also, what when you have a higher vacancy, what that indicates actually is that a percentage of available units is going up,
Right.
because people are moving. So that actually might indicate that we are sort of addressing, or at least making a little bit of a dent here in addressing housing, which kind of makes sense because housing inflation has slowed compared to where it was just a few years ago. So
it's
get
after
lost in
11.
Brent, though, it's
I've got to get out of here. So
Have a good one.
all right.
So
Catch
so
you later,
Hunter,
Grid.
the only
In
time
there.
I've seen a community get together, peace out, Grid, get together
yeah,
and
see
like
you guys.
stop.
It was a great talk tonight. Really enjoyed it. You guys
Have a good one.
your guys were cool. So,
Yeah. Have a good one.
but I got to go. See you.
Yeah, have a good one. So when I was living in
Right,
Ypsilanti,
buddy.
which is it's a college town,
Okay.
I don't know, like 10 years ago, there was this like I don't know if it was real or not, but like Chinese companies were buying out apartment complexes and just fucking either making them super luxury apartments and never moving anyone in there. Like they would sell them and people would use them as like vacation spots, so on and so forth. They wanted to do that in Ypsilanti. The kids, the city got together and voted against it, so on and so forth. But it wasn't well, I mean, maybe the kids weren't doing it for the property values, maybe the apartment complexes were doing it for the property values, but that's the only time I've seen like that, like a community get together and be like, no, we don't want this investment in this like area, but it was just because they don't want luxury apartments being built that are going to remain vacant. So like, I don't know, just this I've had this conversation, and I understand the idea that you build more apartments, people move into these apartments, you leave the other apartments, those apartments have to rent out, they have to rent to somebody. They're going to have to lower their rent if they want to rent to somebody. I understand that that's the idea that's put out. It's just that apartment complex that loses all that vacancy, right? They have an option of like renting at a lower rate and dealing with renters and so on.
Wait, sorry, which apartment?
So like you have an apartment that loses vacancy because the new apartment in town gets built and people are moving to that one.
They lose vacancy?
People move out of that apartment to the new apartment.
Right.
And then there's no vacancy in that apartment. They right?
Am I if they're moving out, then they're gaining vacancy?
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of vacant apartments, right?
Sure.
And so to Lactoid's point, dealing with renters is fucking a headache, right? So you have this apartment complex that's losing
tenants.
Losing tenants, yes.
Quickly before you finish that, Lactoid, could you find us like the average age of the first-time home ownership, like how that's changed, a graph that could show us that, please? Go ahead, Ali.
Yeah. So they're losing all these tenants, and like you're telling me that they're thinking we're gonna lower the rent and we'll get more tenants. That's what's going to happen.
Well, that's what they're going to need to do if they can't get enough tenants.
Yeah, I think the likelihood, what actually ends up happening is they just sell that apartment complex and cut their get as much as they can out of the sale.
Who are they selling to?
Well, once again, in my time when I was in Ipsy, it was McKinley. McKinley would buy the apartment complexes if they weren't doing good, renovate them a little bit, and I mean, there you go. They're not always doing bad.
Wait, I don't even understand the issue then. Okay, so you're saying
so the issue is that you're saying that building new properties incentivizes or kind of makes rents lower. I'm saying that the people who have to deal with all their tenants leaving don't end up lowering their rents. They're going to end up selling their properties, and whoever buys their property isn't going to lower the rent.
Here's what's sometimes aggravating about this conversation.
Please,
is like I understand your perspective. It makes sense in theory, and you understand my perspective in theory. Why then not do we check every available graph and study that's been about this that confirms my theory but doesn't confirm yours? Does that make sense? Like it's such a wait, real quick. Yeah. It is such a well documented phenomenon that when you increase supply in a city, rents lower. That's just like it's almost.
I can tell you why that's
factual.
It's okay. The marketing for YIMBYism is fucking atrocious. All right, because you have to fight against you have to convince people that in 10 years, with inflation and everything, that the rents are going to be cheaper. One. Two, you really do have to fight against a majority of people's lived experiences, right?
Sure.
I don't give a fuck how many graphs you show me. I've been in multiple apartments where someone just buys the fucking building and my rent just goes up, but nothing gets any fucking better.
Sure.
I've been in areas where it seems like everything's developing around me, but my life isn't improving very much.
I understand. So
the graph doesn't really do much to the experience.
I get it,
which is unfortunate.
This is just the unfortunate reality of policies. This is the unfortunate reality of being a liberal, is recognizing that the answers are difficult and the answers are going to take some time, and the answers they're going to feel slow and they're going to feel like they're not doing anything, but over time you will see large benefits occur. And I don't know what else to say other than this is a well-documented phenomenon, and this does occur. This does happen.
Figure out a way to make that more sexy, because it's not that
I get it.
It's not that it feels slow.
That's a fair criticism. Sure. That's also true.
So that's why when people are like, you are trying to convince renters to not say freeze the rent. You're telling renters, hey, no, your rent is going to go up, and then also you should push for like new apartment buildings to be built. They'll be built in like 5 to 10 years.
I know,
Like, they're
yeah.
not going to be built tomorrow. Yeah, like I don't. You're never gonna like versus like telling them, hey, can you keep my rent what it is right fucking?
Yeah,
you
simple,
never,
simple wrong solutions are gonna look better, and that's just the reality. We all agree that. Do you agree that
agree.
rent control is bad?
Me, I mean, I yes, in theory, but like as someone who like has
that
rented,
mean?
no. So like as a renter, right? I've been a renter. No, fuck you. I don't give a fuck what graph you show me and what you tell me. No, rent control is
What
the
the
best
hell?
thing on earth because I can
But
afford
what if?
my rent.
But what about
So-
what about someone who tries to move into New York City? Real
Before
quick. Okay,
John,
go
our friend Ladtwit's gonna leave in a second. So I just want to say.
I
something
also
to
need
you.
to do something else. as
Yeah,
well.
we should probably.
Yeah.
call
Okay,
him soon.
well, we can. Then we can. I guess end it here. I'll give you guys
We
all
can end it,
outros.
I don't care.
And then you can say your whatever final things you want to say. Yeah, Ladtwit. So I think the graphs you shared were like pretty interesting here. Like especially the one graph that's because I'm not exactly sure what lessons to draw, and that just might be my own ignorance here. The one that you sent about percent homeowner with mortgage by age 25 to 34, and like the number of mortgages has dropped here. But like previously, like before the Great Recession, it was high. It was above 42%. Now it's dropped down to 35%. So less people are having mortgages, right? Now, that I think what that's supposed to tell me is that houses are more affordable, maybe, but it could also be that there's there is a drop in the number of people who are
There's a second graph I
this-
sent you. This one is
Yeah,
percent
yeah.
homeowners without mortgage, and that actually has been going up.
oh
So more
without
people,
mortgage. Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah.
more young people actually own their homes outright. Well, more young homeowners do than in the past. That's actually been going up. So it's weird, right? So Fred, you can get lost in these graphs because Fred collects a lot of data and they put it all out for the public. It's great. And so, if you ever have like a whole bunch of free time, you can spend the whole day just going through all the different graphs and trying to make sense of them. They're very well done. I've looked through the methodology of some of them. They control for inflation. They, in fact, the median income one that I posted, we actually changed the way we measured inflation, but this graph accounts for that. And it uses the old CPI measurement for assuming that we didn't change the way we measure inflation, which is awesome, right? I love it when that they're keeping things consistent. So really good graphs. And I think when you look at them, the thing I think that the biggest thing to notice really in a lot of them is, depending on the graph, you can look at some graphs and you can say, look at this specific one, home ownership with mortgages going down a little bit, right? And you're like, yeah, but it's not really going down as much as you'd think, right? And then it's also still better than it was in the 80s and 70s and 60s, et cetera, right? And then if you want, you can also look at home ownership rates by older people too, and that's going down. And when we're looking at home buyers, there's a lot in the news I've seen about the median age of the first-time home buyer is going up. That's probably true. The median age of marriage has gone up considerably as well. That seems to be tracking. Most of the time, that's when people are thinking about buying a house, just as a consumer choice, is when they start having married and having a family. So it would make sense to me that the age was going up, but I think the graphs show Fred is basically my secret weapon for when people tell me that America is just becoming shit. And I think people have this perception oftentimes because the news cycle is constantly giving them, oh, America's going to shit, we're going to shit. But I'm just not convinced. I think that my perception really has been is there are things that are getting worse. I think the way we engage with each other socially has been getting worse. Political polarization has been getting worse. Certain measurements of income inequality getting worse. There's things you can point to that are getting worse. But overall, there are metrics that I think are very important that are getting better over time. And the big one there is inflation-adjusted median income, both on a household level and an individual level. Median, not average, median. That has been going up consistently since the 50s. Back in the 50s, your average household spent about 25% of their money on groceries. Now, it's less than 10%, right? Over time, there are certain segments of goods that it's harder for us to focus on, but we are just much better off in certain ways than our ancestors were. So I'm not all that doom and gloom. Yes, you can always improve things. You can always point to things that are getting worse and say, hey, we should stop that from getting worse. And you can always point to things that are getting better and say we should keep pushing things to get better. But I'm not. I'm pretty optimistic here about overall some very key measurements that I think are kind of going the right way. So that's basically my position. You know, fix the bad things, keep improving the good things.
So I'm a little confused
Courageous.
by this graph, and it
Sure.
a little bit, but it says percent home owner with mortgage by age. So just to be clear, is this the percentage of all people within 25 to 34, right?
Yes.
Who have a house, right? Like
Let me take a look.
Sure.
I'll have to
Actually, no,
read-
no. hold on.
In the
I'm
bottom,
probably
in the
just
bottom, it
confusing
tells you in
myself.
fine print exactly what it's referring to. Let me take a look.
Yeah. It's just that like this isn't all people within that age who have. Okay, never mind. No, I think I'm just confusing myself. No, I think I got it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I-
So if you scroll down under the notes section right below it, it
Mhm.
explains basically what they're saying.
Yeah.
So, and then if you want to, there's also there's a table survey under the release tables, and you can go into each individual part of the data if you really want to dig into it. But
Yeah.
the notes kind of explains what it's looking at.
Mhm.
I guess I really didn't need to give it by both mortgage and with mortgage and without mortgage, because there's also just the home ownership rate by age
Mhm.
25 to 34 as well that I posted.
Mhm.
And so that one has been, we're currently sitting at 44%. So between the ages of 25 and 34, so young adult, about 44% are homeowners. And if we were to compare this to 2006 at the height, it was 50. And if we compare it to the 1990, it was at 44. So we're basically unmoved since 1990 on the percentage of that age group that owns their own home.
It just okay. Because it says percent homeowner by mortgage with like with a mortgage, right? And then the other graph says without a mortgage, but these don't equal 100%. And that's the thing that was confusing me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it must then be referring to
The total, like that total age group,
yeah,
and
that makes
whether
sense.
they have a home or not.
That makes sense
Yeah.
because if you look at the percent homeowner age per group, it's 44, and then if you
Mhm.
look at without mortgage, it's 9, and then with mortgage, it's 35, which comes out to 44. So
Yeah.
literally, it's the percent of people who own a home with that. So right
With
now,
that, yeah.
So right now in America, people between the ages of 25 and 34, 35% of them own a house with a mortgage.
Yes.
9%
Okay.
of them own a house free and clear without a mortgage.
Yeah.
The total of those two combined is 44% of people who own a house in this age group, which is
Yeah,
again,
that was confusing
yeah.
me a bit. Yeah. Okay, I got
which
it.
is the same as 1990. And in fact, we're actually up from 1994, depending on where and we're way up from 2016. 2016 was the low point. We've actually improved pretty considerably since 2016.
I think with the housing, people talk about the housing crisis, and we don't have to like discuss this now because we're ending. But like I think what they're talking about is necessarily affordability, right? So that like the prices of housing are rising and disproportionately to people's income, and that's like the issue there. So that doesn't mean that people aren't in housing, right? So you can be in housing, but the housing can just be really expensive and beyond, like, let's say that it was the 30% magic number, right? That you should be spending on your housing. And then you could say, well, that's unaffordable. Because now it's 40% of your income is going to the housing, right? That would also be included when we're talking about affordability with people who aren't in housing at all. So I think that's what they're talking about. And again, you don't have to do this now, but if you ever had data on that, if it says differently from what I think, then I'd love to see it. But we'll move on to our friend Corey. Corey, Thanks so much for being here. Yeah. And say what you got want to say.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Always grateful to be here. And I'm also in agreement with Lactoid of like focus on the good things and fix the bad things. And then there's no disagreement at all between us, me and Lactoid. We're both still socialists. But yeah, and I also do find it interesting and entertaining that Hunter appears to be unaware that if someone's upset or angry, telling them to calm down is like never a good tactic. Just FYI. But take it for what it's worth. But yeah, you can find me on Twitch, Corey Campbell 4, Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Substack. It's Corey Campbell. Ali, Hunter, Gibbs, Lactoid. Always a pleasure. Love you, Brian.
Thank you so much. And thank you to our the users out there. Hopefully you're still in chat. Respect _ they have been subscribed for 69 months. Extremely nice. Thank you for sticking with us for so long. I really appreciate you. You've always been here, always been a kind supporter. Shout out to you, Respect. And let's go to another person who's actually been a kind supporter, our good friend Gibbs. Thank you for being here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good to be here. I don't feel like I got to talk as much or explore some of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, but that's okay. We can always do things a different day or something. Always good times. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed hearing some of the different perspectives, especially from the housing, because it's not an area that I deal with on a regular basis compared to some of the other stuff I do with land. But it's been good. On the YouTube side for me, this will be ending, but if you want to make your way over to Twitch, we're going to be continuing. We got other content planned for this fun little marathon we're doing. I'm excited. And yeah, thanks for having me, Prime. Always fun stuff. Everybody here. Till next time, brothers.
Yeah, I'll raid into you. You're going to do a thing? Right. I'll raid into you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Sure. Next, Hunter, thank you for being here.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm excited that me and Lactoid have had so many cooperations recently. I mean, it's not expected.
Unholy
it's
alliances.
Unholy alliances.
I just said I agree with Lactoid all the time. There's no golf between us.
Hunter's agreed with Lactoid almost every panel. I feel like.
Yeah, like all the time.
Weird that the liberal and the Trump voter.
Who would have seen it coming? Who could have?
He agreed with me right off the start this panel too.
Who could have predicted? I don't know. But go ahead, Ty.
Okay. I just want to say rent control is largely bad. We talk about, hey, look, who cares? It's just going to feel good right now. What's going to happen right now is you're going to have unfurnished apartments where you're expected to furnish it. You're going to have an extremely higher amount of income that's required. You're going to have a lot more credit checks in the places that you're from. They're going to find some way to claw back that profit. And if they can't, they're going to disappear from the market, and then there's going to be way fewer people, and it's going to take months for you to actually find a place. There will be drawbacks from rent control, even if you don't feel them. Thanks for watching me. I'm Hunter E. Kozak. You can find me virtually everywhere. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And last but not least, we'll go to our friend Ali, who he's had a day today. But I appreciate you, and I appreciate you trying to make your point. And I think something we can all agree on is that Lactoid makes a lot of shit hypotheticals, and so I'm sorry you have to struggle through that. It really isn't your fault.
Hypotheticals, Lactoid.
It was a good hypothetical.
Yeah. So my problem when with the housing conversation is that I think graphs and statistics apply to people who have the ability to be patient and ability to actually think about a graph. No. Have the time or the wherewithal to think about a graph or the ability to have that type of patience. Because I think most people in the 30% of people who are not owning homes, right? You're telling them that, hey, it's going to be fine later. And they just they've experienced that every single time someone promises them it's going to be fine. It's not fine. They get fucked over more and more and more. I think it's hard to tell people with a lived experience that the rent control isn't going to be good because you were going to bring up new people who come into the city won't be able to rent. The people who are living in the buildings already with the rent control, that's who matters, right? It's not the new people that are coming in, it's the people who are already living there that feel like they can't afford their rent, right? I think it's hard to tell people that hey, we're gonna build new apartments, and people will just move, because moving out of your apartment when you live in a city like New York isn't like some easy task. Moving across the block like isn't an easy thing. It is a major ordeal, and most people don't have the ability to just like uproot and move across the block. They're going to have to move into completely different neighborhoods, right? And in a city like New York, moving from one borough to another is like essentially like it's huge towns, right? It's not easy navigation. I think people can afford houses in like rural towns and neighborhoods. It's just most people don't want to live in them. The affordable housing is in the worst places in America. The unaffordable housing is where the money is, and it's where people want to live. So it's, once again, telling people that if you want to live and make good money, you have to pay this exorbitant amount of rent, but it'll get cheaper in like 10 years if we build a bunch of apartments, which once again, try convincing people that. I think that's the biggest issue with this, with the YIMBYism, is you have to convince people that, like, you have to prove to them that it'll get cheaper, because they haven't experienced it, and I don't think they will.
Also very quickly, to our friend Lactoid, right? You know, I'm not sure if he kept track of this, but the DOJ is looking into recent grads to like become prosecutors now.
There we go, Lactoid.
Yeah, like the DOJ is extremely desperate, right? So that's what I'm saying.
It's
like
my opportunity to help
lock in
my Lord,
just like
God, King.
Just like every girlfriend
And our alliance
that
is
Lactoid's
over.
ever had, they're desperate, and this is his time to swoop in. So
Can
I'm
I-
just saying.
Fair enough.
Wait,
Yeah,
hold on, wait, one more thing. I want to end with this one more thing. If you look at the graphs, things are fine. Apparently, that's
Yeah.
all. That's all I'm
No,
saying.
no, they are,
Everything's
they
fine.
are.
Things are
Everything's
fine,
okay.
apparently.
So like, there is really no
Things
issue.
are fine.
I am going
Okay,
to.
so then
I'm gonna.
there
I'm
is no
gonna.
affordability issue.
Ollie,
then.
I have a response. I have a response, Ollie. I'm going to demonstrate as a based patience haver. I'm going to demonstrate my superiority right now. Okay.
Do it. I'm one of you.
Okay.
According,
I'll-
hold
I'm
on.
not a renting
One last
plebe.
thing. One real quick. I'm
Okay.
pausing for dramatic effect. If you just look at the graphs, which I do, I come to the conclusion maybe I shouldn't be a NIMBY, and I'm not. But if we want to go off my lived experience, you're damn straight. Not in my backyard. Ain't no multifamily housing anywhere near me. Nothing but old people and single family McMansions. My personal lived
Yes.
experience, that's the best. So
Listen, man. Fuck your
Okay.
stats. Got my anecdotes.
Okay, I'm gonna rate out.
That seems healthy.
And hopefully, our friend Lactoid will consider, like upgrading his.
why do you want
That's
me to
what he wants
work for the
do.
Trump administration so much?
Don't you wanna work with Pam
want
Bondi?
He
good
wants
things
you to
for
make
you.
money, dog.
I
He wants you
want-
to
No,
make
I
money.
appreciate. I
Good
appreciate
things
that.
for you.
I
That's
Hey,
appreciate that.
Lactoid, I would never advocate you for working for the Trump administration. I would never fucking.
All
I
right.
want you to do well. I don't want
appreciate
you to
that.
sell your soul down the river. I care about your morality a little bit.
Yeah, look, as
Oh, but he doesn't care about that.
I think Brock would be an excellent.
well, making
Trump
money is
employee.
directly related to
An
morality.
excellent-
We've discussed this a few times, I believe, on this.
Well,
very
in
panel.
your morality system.
True. That's
Yeah.
why Lactoid's a capitalist.
but,
He wants
like,
to make money so he can
Lactoid-
match Epstein. He wants to be
No,
equal to
I-
Epstein.
Yeah,
That's what he's.
Lactoid.
Did I
he's-
not say that he was an exception?
No, you said
Lactoid.
when you
But, like,
corrected it, but
You
I
did
did.
say it.
I
You did
did.
say
You don't
it was.
have
a-
you realized the
moral-
error in your ways. right?
I quickly adjusted. Go ahead, Prime.
So Lactoid, you don't have a moral objection to this, correct? Right? Or do you? Maybe
It
you
depends. Yeah, it depends. Okay. Do I have a moral objection?
I already rated you.
Well, he's a
Gibbs,
libertarian, so
I saw
working
that.
for the government would
I don't
probably
think-
be
I-
his own moral
I was just
objection.
I don't think so.
Not his issue.
And here's what I mean by
Okay.
I don't think so. I've represented some bad people.
All right, guys, I gotta go though, but y'all be good.
Have a
Thank
good
you
one,
so
man.
much,
Catch you
Ryan,
later,
and that
kids.
was-
Yeah.
I mean, it just is what it is. Like, part of the job is putting aside your
morals.
personal grievances, and because everybody deserves representation, and doing the job that they give you. Now, I would want
There's
to know.
probably a difference between a public defender
But is there
and
though?
the federal. Huh?
But here, I know it sounds like it sounds like intuitive, right? So let me explain. As a public defender, you're representing, child molesters. You're representing
Yeah.
killers. You're representing people that are really, really bad. If the DOJ You're
The
representing child
government.
molesters and you're representing
Yeah.
people killing
Killers,
people.
yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I don't know what my job would be doing. That's the thing. I would need to know, like, what am I just like prosecuting ICE cases? Is that really would be my job? Is that what I'd be doing?
Maybe
Prosecuting? Oh, sure.
You're,
You don't know
For
what you
you're
don't
the
know what they
lawyer.
need.
I feel like you have access to this information. More
I don't know
than
what the
do.
DOJ is doing right now. My understanding is they're doing a lot, but it's not really clear what.
Yeah.
A lot
Well,
of it
one,
has
you
to do
could
with
ask
ICE.
that. You could.
I could ask
Yeah,
that.
part
yeah.
of the application is
Here,
figuring
question.
out what the job is.
Would you rather me
I'll-
be a DOJ attorney or sign up for ICE and be an enforcement officer?
DOJ attorney.
Okay.
Absolutely, because you
But
have. a
why do
level
you
of
care?
discretion.
Apparently,
Hold on.
I thought you didn't care because he doesn't care.
No.
I speak a little bit of
I
Spanish.
care.
Habla español. Muy bien.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah, so-
shit! What did he say?
I
Sí,
think-
bueno.
What the
Well, like I s-
hell?
Like what
Sorry,
I
Brian.
like what I was saying. No, it's fine. What I was saying is that like I just want like good things for you. If this is useful, if it's not useful to you, then
Mhm.
tell me. And I'll never mention it again.
No, it's fine. I'll like
yeah, yeah.
I'm always looking for a step up in the world. Maybe
Yeah.
Trump is my path.
Are you saying you're not being fairly compensated by your current firm?
I'm being fairly compensated. I'm being fairly compensated.
Okay, so you're not
Um,
looking for a leg up, right? Because there's no.
Okay,
room
well, for a
you.
certain amount of money. I mean, I
He
think
wants
they would
more
understand.
compensation.
He's
$200,000.
It's going to bring you closer to Epstein or not. That's the metric, right?
Yeah.
In terms
like,
of
don't know,
money,
like-
I wouldn't put it that way, but like he had a lot of money.
And again,
That's how you think.
I
I get
did
it.
that.
I think
Vans.
I really do think you should consider timing it. Like I wasn't like so tongue in cheek last time. Like I really think you should time this. That like
Maybe.
towards the end of the Trump administration, towards the end of like whatever this nonsense,
Oh, I
that
hear
would
you.
satisfy both me
Get
and
your
you,
name on the
right?
bill,
Like,
baby.
it would.
And then I'm gonna have
minimize
to
the
work
amount of
under
time-
fucking Gavin Newsom. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, well, maybe, but in the end, you just said you worked for a lot of bad people, and Gavin
That's
Newsom's
true.
shit. I agree.
That's
He's an awful
true.
person.
That's a
So
little
I'm
bit of
just
money in your
saying-
pocket, man.
Yeah, like I want to see my friend. Hey, I would be happy. I would
I
fight
would not
against
be
them,
happy.
but I would be happy.
I'd be happy for
in
you.
the friendship sense that
wouldn't.
if he be,
I'd
if
be
my
happy
friend
for you
back
as a
could be
Well,
person.
I'm
Attorney
gonna say this though. I'm gonna say this though, Prime. I mean this sincerely.
Hmm?
This might affect your opinion here. If I became a
Okay.
DOJ attorney, that might limit what I can do here.
I said
You wouldn't
that
be able to
last
come
time.
on here.
Yeah, I said.
I don't
that
know if I
last
could
time.
ever
said-
come on here, really.
You could.
I said that last time too, right? I said like that would hurt me because
Yeah.
I would probably lose you.
But he'd have a
Even
friend on the
if-
inside.
True.
That's really important. That's really, really, really important for private goals.
But
That's
would be
it.
hurt-
That's the reason. That's why
I
he's
would be
pushing
hurt
this
by
so
not
hard.
having you anymore. But I'm just saying this might be a good thing for you, And in the end, like this place is just temporary. We've had a lot of people come through here. Eventually, everyone leaves, right? So like that's gonna happen to you. And if it's gonna happen to you, I want it for a good reason, not like a bad reason.
Yeah, like
So.
working for Donald Trump that you believe is a fascist. Yeah.
Well, he believes everyone.
Hey,
Time
who
it.
is a
Like
fascist?
the end 2 years later. Yes, 2 years later, maybe you should put that application right near the end. Is what
Alright,
I'm
we'll
saying.
All right, homies. I gotta bounce though.
Bye.
Hunter. Before
care,
you go, I do have a question.
Okay.
Do you think the average person like is able?
Thank y'all so much for tuning in to today's episode of Lactoid TV. We're gonna raid on out into Admiral Gibbs. Admiral Gibbs. And I will see you guys next time. We got a big debate coming up, not this weekend, but probably the next. So stay tuned.